As the story begins, the assassin looks inside the iron bars and shouts loudly, "Giselle Roysevin, you wicked witch." He points at her face and scolds, "I will eliminate you." Giselle Roysevin nonchalantly twirls a strand of hair in her hand and nods. "Yes, you brought poison for me, right?" Her face eager, she urges, "If you came to assassinate me, hurry up." The assassin, still not understanding what is happening, "What?" Giselle Roysevin quickly snatched the bottle of poison from his hand. "Don't hesitate." Seeing her drink the whole bottle of poison in one gulp, the assassin flinched. The rumors about her madness, could it be, are true. After finishing the bottle of poison, Giselle Roysevin innocently wipes her mouth and asks softly, "So it tastes like weak strawberry milk?" The assassin replies in confusion, "Are you okay? Clearly, they said just one drop of poison is enough to open the gate to another world." He tastes a drop of the liquid inside the bottle. "Did I bring the wrong poison?" However, right after drinking it, the assassin's face turned pale, and he continuously spat out streams of dark red blood. He trembled on the ground, interrogating, "You, what tricks did you use?" The assassin looked at Giselle Roysevin's innocent and indifferent appearance and shouted, "Giselle Roysevin? This is none other than the name of the villain in the novel Poison Apple. The novelette Giselle Roysevin read to relax after dedicating herself to capitalism. In her previous life, she was frantically working overtime. Death to all. Poison Apple is a hopeless romantic novel where both the main character and the villain die. And among the villains, this female supporting character dies the earliest. From the beginning, she was defeated and executed by the main characters. While waiting for execution, she was poisoned by an assassin. That was her destiny. However, when Giselle Roysevin woke up after the accident she had while leaving work, Giselle Roysevin became a character in that novel, Giselle Roysevin. She gripped the iron bars of the door and lamented, "Damn it!" When she woke up in this world, Giselle Roysevin was already locked up in prison, and the assassins really came to poison Giselle. They aggressively pried open her mouth and shouted, "Open your mouth, swallow it." Giselle Roysevin blankly wiped her mouth and wondered, "Isn't this strawberry-flavored syrup for kids?" The assassin was stunned. "What the heck? This is the kind of poison that can take a person's life. Did I bring the wrong poison? Let me try some." As soon as he drank it, he immediately fell backward from the poison taking effect. Giselle Roysevin stared in surprise. After that, many other assassins came. However, strangely, all kinds of poison had no effect on her. Giselle Roysevin sat on the ground looking at the assassins with confusion. "Why are you all trying to verify by drinking the poison yourselves? These assassins in this world all seem to be idiots." At first she resisted because she was afraid of having to drink the poison. After getting used to it, Giselle Roysevin realized that drinking the poison quickly was probably better. Either way, they would make a fuss and force her to drink if she resisted. When she drank that poison, Giselle Roysevin realized that each type had a different taste. She held the bottle of poison and licked her lips, smiling slightly. "This tastes good, a yogurt apple flavor." In Giselle Roysevin's head, she wondered, "It does not taste like real fruit, but somehow has an artificial and spicy flavor. Is it because it is poison?" At first, the soldiers were very angry when they heard that Giselle Roysevin had killed the assassins. They rushed over and cursed, "This wicked witch." After they learned that the assassins had drunk the poison themselves, they no longer cared. Giselle Roysevin explained helplessly, "I am an innocent citizen." The soldiers trembled in fear and backed away. Witches and assassins are all crazy. Because there were so many assassins coming here, Giselle Roysevin thought that this prison must have very lax security, or the guards had probably taken bribes, and decided to turn a blind eye. She sadly hugged her legs and retreated into the corner of the room, cursing inwardly, "What a rotten world. I am also a bad person, but..." Giselle Roysevin sighed and thought, "In this dirty prison, I have to wait for the day of execution and fill my stomach with bottles of poison." Thinking this, she lamented, "I wish the next assassin would bring a new and more delicious type of poison. At least I will feel better." As soon as Giselle Roysevin finished speaking, a cold laugh suddenly echoed from in front. Startled, she looked around. A laugh, but there is no one here. Giselle Roysevin turned pale with worry while the laughter continued nonstop. Is this a side effect from drinking too much poison? Sure enough, too much of something is never good. She was terrified. Her face turned purple, and she was constantly alert. What the heck? Where is that sound coming from? Is it a ghost? From in front, a strange young man walked forward. It is not a ghost. Giselle Roysevin thought with mixed emotions. It is a human's laughter, right? But why is he laughing? Thinking this, she angrily grabbed the iron bars and shouted, "Hey you, even though I can't see you, I think you are probably an assassin. I just drank poison. I need time to digest it. Can you wait a moment?" Even after hearing her words, the laughter did not stop. The strange man gave Giselle Roysevin a small vial of medicine and urged, "This is a small dose, so it is okay. Drink it quickly." She blankly stared at the vial in her hand, a vial of medicine falling from the sky. Suddenly, Giselle Roysevin seemed to remember something, and immediately became furious, scolding harshly, Wait, I told you to wait a moment. In her heart, she was annoyed. What kind of person throws poison and tells me to drink it as if feeding a dog? This assassin has a really strange personality. Giselle Roysevin held the vial away from her, wrinkling her nose in disapproval. Even this vial smells sour. Could it be spoiled, or is he implying that I should drink spoiled medicine? Suddenly she realized, but I have never died from drinking poison before. This time will be the same, right? Innumerable scenarios appeared in Giselle Roysevin's head. Well then, if the poison does not work on me, then I will probably be killed with a knife. Even if that does not happen, I am destined to die by execution. She told herself, I can't die like this, and this assassin seems to be a capable person. Thinking this, Giselle Roysevin called out, Hey you, Mr. Assassin. I will drink this poison, so can I make a suggestion? The strange man laughed softly and asked, A suggestion? Giselle Roysevin nodded eagerly to confirm, Yes, if I drink this and do not die, since it does not work on me anyway, please save me. The strange man appeared curious. You want me to save you if you do not die? Giselle Roysevin hastily explained. I mean, help me escape from this place. Suddenly she remembered. That is right, I can't just swallow all kinds of poison while waiting for the day of execution. I can find out why I fell into this situation later, but first, I have to find a way to escape from this place. Suddenly, the strange man bluntly asked, So you think you can survive if you escape? Giselle Roysevin was startled and uttered a confused, Huh? The strange man then continued, The entire empire knows that you are a wicked witch. Even if you run away, there will be warrants for your arrest everywhere. You do not even have any family left, and no one will be willing to help you. He wondered with a contemptuous attitude. Whether you die in pain from being stabbed in the street, or die here, is not it the same? Giselle Roysevin clenched her fist angrily. Why are you so pessimistic? Can't you look at it from a more positive direction? The strange man repeated in confusion. What? Giselle Roysevin tossed her hair back proudly. I am indeed hated a lot, but is not there room for me to stand in the middle of this vast land? She confidently asserted, If a good person turns away because I am a wicked witch, I can work under a wicked villain. Hearing this, the strange man wondered in his heart. Work? He involuntarily burst out laughing. A moment later the strange man probed. It seems like you are thinking of some villain. Giselle Roysevin nodded to confirm. That is right, a very wicked villain. The strange man suggested, Can you tell me who that is? If I find your plan interesting, I might consider helping you. Giselle Roysevin propped her hand up and speculated. What is the name of the dark wizard in Poison Apple? It is Wayne Aylray, right? The strange man curiously repeated, Wayne Aylray. Giselle Roysevin nodded repeatedly. Yes, that is right. That name. She innocently wondered, Do you know him? A hooded person stepped closer and confirmed. Well, we know each other a bit, Giselle Roysevin. Giselle Roysevin froze, her eyes wide, looking at the person in front of her, who was getting closer and closer with a chilling voice. Witches, like you can't die easily. She felt his voice seems a bit different than before. Suddenly, Giselle Roysevin realized, how does he have the key to the dungeon? Could it be? In her heart, she was both annoyed and frightened, backing away. Now they are even giving the keys to the assassins. These rotten jailers. As soon as the hooded figure entered, he angrily raised a knife and rushed over. The enemy of my fiancé, you will die in pain. Giselle Roysevin hastily dodged. Whether it is crying or screaming, just pick one. She resolutely drank the bottle of poison in her hand. I hate being stabbed by a knife, it hurts too much. Giselle Roysevin shouted loudly for help. Hey, mister? Faceless, are you listening? I have already drunk the poison, so please save me. She cried and wailed miserably. You said you would help if I survived after drinking the poison. What a jerk. As soon as she finished speaking, the strange man finally spoke. I said I would think about it. I never gave you a definite answer. In an instant, a dense black aura surrounded the assassin's feet. Huh, the strange man's voice rang out, but I admit that it is interesting. Immediately afterward, the assassin was swallowed into the darkness by the black aura. Giselle Roysevin widened her eyes in surprise. Is that magic? He disappeared into the darkness. A moment later, the strange man finally appeared before her eyes. Mr. Assassin? Ranil, with a devilish expression, confirmed. Yes, I am that Mr. Assassin. He stroked his black hair and greeted. Yes, I am that Mr. Assassin. Giselle Roysevin froze for 5 seconds. Wait, how can an assassin be this handsome? But she looked at Ranil's handsome features before her. Well then, if he is this handsome. Suddenly, Ranil bent down to the ground. Here it is. Giselle Roysevin was curious when she saw him pick up the bottle of poison. Is he also going to try the poison? She sighed in frustration. So what if he is handsome? He is no different from those other guys. Thinking this, Giselle Roysevin suggested, Do you need me to check if you picked up the wrong poison? Ranil shook his head in denial, putting the bottle away. No, I am sure I did not bring the wrong one. Giselle Roysevin was immediately moved. covering her face. Finally, there is an assassin smart enough not to try the poison himself. It is really touching. Ranil snapped his fingers without hesitation, urging, "That is not important right now, so shall we get out of here?" Immediately, a magic circle lit up beneath their feet. Giselle Roysevin was stunned. This is not this. A magic circle? I knew it. This assassin is a magician. In her head, she recalled, now that I think about it, before he clearly told me. We are indeed a bit alike. Giselle Roysevin was wary and uneasy. If he knows Wayne Aolra, the leader of the mages, she speculated he probably is also a mage. In the silent space of the night, a pillar of light created by Ranil shot straight into the sky. Giselle Roysevin escaped outside, blankly looking around. This is... Ranil continued to explain. It is the alley behind. What is wrong? Are you disappointed, beautiful lady? Giselle Roysevin shook her head, denying. It is not that. I can't believe I escaped so easily with just a few spells. Even though I knew that the surveillance there was lax. I did not think it would be to this extent, so I am a bit disappointed. Ranil immediately suggested with a smile. Need me to take you back there? Giselle Roysevin, startled, and quickly shook her head. No, thank you. Ranil crossed his arms and encouraged. No need to be disappointed. You will be recorded as having escaped by using dark magic, so once they know you have escaped, you will immediately receive a death sentence, and there is also a rather large reward being offered just to find you. Giselle Roysevin was confused. No, but why is he saying those words with an enchanting smile? She propped her chin up and calculated in her head. Just as I thought, he really used dark magic. Dark magic is the type of power used by the villains in Poison Apple. Right, even the current body that I am occupying, Giselle Roysevin, also received help from the mages. To increase the power of the mages, the last successor of dark magic, Wayne Aolra, gathered a group of mages to confront the male lead. Giselle Roysevin turned pale and wary. You could not be one of them connected to him. Black Cloud is a mage organization established by Wayne. In the beginning of the novel, there was only a short passage saying that Black Cloud was rising, but later on, its implications became clearer. Giselle Roysevin mustered all her courage and asked tentatively, So are you, from Wayne? The emotions inside her gradually became chaotic. Oh God, did I just yell at Wayne's people, and even said that I wanted to work under him? What should I do? Thinking this, Giselle Roysevin asked in a confused and soft voice, Can I know your name, please? Ranil smiled and propped his hand up, introducing himself, Ranil. Giselle Roysevin was surprised. Ranil, I do not remember anyone with that name in Poison Apple. She tried hard to remember in confusion. Is there anyone with black hair and red eyes in the story? I do not think there is anyone like that. The leader has silver hair. I really can't think of anyone. Giselle Roysevin looked up and admired Ranil's handsome face. Even so, as I said before, in prison, if he is this handsome, then it would be a bit much if he is just a supporting character, right? She told herself. Anyway, I do not remember anyone named Ranil. He is probably just some unimportant character, right? Although the mage guilds are all under the Black Cloud organization, they are still people who prefer to act on their own. Giselle had also worked with a mage guild that specialized in personal missions. She believed that Ranil was similar. Giselle Roysevin reassured herself. I feel quite relieved that he is not directly under Wayne. First, I have to clarify everything before my crazy conversation with him is reported. Thinking this, she tremblingly asked Ranil about the job I mentioned earlier. It is something that even your leader does not agree with. Ranil agreed nonchalantly. I said I understood. I won't badmouth you to that leader you are talking about. He lowered his head curiously. But, are you planning to stay here forever? Giselle Roysevin blankly replied. What? Ranil then reminded her. Here, near the tower where you were imprisoned. He pointed behind him, gesturing. I am sure they will start the manhunt soon, right? Giselle Roysevin then suddenly realized, that is right, this place is really close to there. No, if I am using dark magic, then I should go a little further away. She immediately turned on her flattering mode, saying sweetly, I believe that fate brought us together even in this situation, but do not you want to go a little further with me? In Giselle Roysevin's head, she secretly affirmed, If I go alone, it will only be a matter of time before they catch me again, so I need this guy, who helped me escape from prison. Ranil asked with an innocent expression, Why should I do that? Giselle Roysevin forced a smile and explained, As you already know, I am dirt poor with no home or money here. And since I helped you before, it would be great if... Ranil bluntly cut her off. I do not see any benefit for me here. He came closer, probing. Let us see. What will you give me if I help you? Suddenly, a noise came from outside. Find her quickly. Ranil pretended to be surprised. They have started already. He propped his chin up, pondering. Now that I think about it, I should keep you until they offer a big reward for your head before handing you back to them. Before Ranil could finish speaking, Giselle Roysevin hastily interjected, I can give you valuable information. For a moment Renil was silent, seemingly considering something. Giselle Roysevin continued to offer more conditions. I can offer you valuable information that will help you get promoted faster. Renil repeated in confusion. Promoted? Information? Giselle Roysevin affirmed confidently. Didn't you say you are from Black Cloud? I know the future of some important people in it. Her heart was filled with confidence. That is right. I know the plot of the original novel and the future events that will happen here. Thinking this, Giselle Roysevin forced a smile and suggested, for example, the future of your leader. Renil said with a disbelieving tone, Don't you think what you are saying is unfounded? Giselle Roysevin nervously made an excuse. Yes, well, I gained this magical ability from drinking too. Much poison? Renil still shook his head, unable to believe it. I have never heard of anyone gaining magical power by drinking poison. Giselle Roysevin tried her best to persuade, No, I do not mean magical power, you could call it. The ability to prophesy. Renil was surprised. The ability to prophesy, what is that? Giselle Roysevin blushed and said awkwardly. So, you see, after I drink the poison, I gain this ability. It allows me to know more information than anyone you have ever known. Renil did not reply immediately. He pondered for a few short seconds. At the same time, the soldiers were rushing past, search over there. Giselle Roysevin was worried. Are you not planning to leave me here alone? Renil's face darkened, and he said, Giselle Roysevin, before being arrested, she tried to perform forbidden spells. Giselle Roysevin's face froze in confusion. Huh, what do you mean? Renil ignored her and continued to speak. I tried to gain more power by sacrificing the mages working with me. Giselle Roysevin gasped in shock. Oh God, was not that mage the only person helping me? At the time. And now, what did she do to him that she turned him into a sacrifice, this crazy woman? Renil kept explaining. There are certain rules when using dark magic, and between the mages as well. He stroked his black hair and announced coldly, Now I am here to clean up the mess of the stupid friend who lost his life after being tricked by Giselle Roysevin here. Renil offered a consideration. I have to check if the spell was successfully performed. If it was, I have to find and study it. He leaned closer to Giselle Roysevin, staring at her. Aren't you curious what kind of magic it is? Giselle Roysevin then felt a sense of unease in her heart. Something is wrong. Her hands trembled as she reached out to Renil. He wrapped his hand around Giselle Roysevin's hand and called out her name, Fallen Star. She looked at him in confusion and repeated, Fallen Star. Renil explained, That source of power is necessary to summon beings that exist outside this world. Giselle Roysevin's eyes widened in surprise. Huh, Renil continued to add. However, the research being conducted is not yet complete, and the spells are not perfect either. If this situation continues, there is a high risk of being swallowed by the summoned creatures themselves. As he spoke, he leaned closer to Giselle Roysevin. So you? Renil delved deep into her innocent eyes, probing. Who are you? Giselle Roysevin thought to herself. So, in summary, she was horrified to discover I was summoned to this world because of Giselle Roysevin's experiment. In her heart, Giselle Roysevin lamented and blamed. She should be careful about what she wants to summon. Why did she choose a tired, exhausted, ordinary, and kind person? Completely unrelated to this world, like me. Please spare this poor employee. Renil reached out and gently took her hand, probing. Who are you that knows such wonderful information? You know the future of many important characters, right? Giselle Roysevin awkwardly pulled her hand away and hastily denied, who, of course, I am Giselle Roysevin. In her heart, she calculated. First, let us hide this matter. Renil then speculated. You mean we should have an exchange if we want to hear information from you? He smirked knowingly. Even if I do not hear them from you. Renil's eyes gradually sharpened. Isn't there another way for me to extract your information? Giselle Roysevin now felt like she was being swallowed whole by his gaze. Oh God, that is right. He will definitely find every way to get the information. Renil smiled brightly, crossing his arms and asking. Aren't you curious to see what a dark mage's prison looks like? Giselle Roysevin's face turned purple as she waved her hands. No, absolutely not. A horrifying image flashed in her head. Now that I think about it, he said he would study the experiment if it was successful, so that means I could be dissected alive. However, in reality, Renil never said that. Deep down, Giselle Roysevin trembled in fear. I hate things that cause pain. Thinking this, she brushed it off and refused. I love my body very much. Even if you do not threaten me, I will still cooperate. Can't we resolve this peacefully? Renil stared at Giselle Roysevin, who was trembling like a wolf, looking at a small chicken. He stroked his chin, admiring inwardly. What an interesting reaction. Renil frankly confirmed. Clearly, you are not Giselle Roysevin. If it was her, you would not be so obedient. Hearing these words, Giselle Roysevin felt a twinge of pain in her heart. No. Is it okay to slap me with such a bitter truth like this? She might be a little obedient, especially when you can drag her into the lab right now. Renil curiously suggested, try to prove your other values. Besides the things I can get by forcibly checking inside your head, or from the reward for your head, I want something more valuable. Giselle Roysevin hesitated. My value. She stammered, unable to speak. After thinking for a long time, she finally answered, I can distinguish the taste of poison. Renil repeated in surprise, the taste of poison. He sighed in disappointment. How is that useful? You disappoint me. Giselle Roysevin quickly warned, your master might be poisoned. Hearing this, Renil suddenly stopped. Giselle Roysevin patted her shoulder and assured with a determined gaze, I can be the poison taster for your leader. Only then did Renil really listen to what she said. In the end, Renil did not throw Giselle Roysevin into the dungeon, dissect her, or hand her over to the soldiers. What a surprise. However, from the shelf, a doll emitted a dark and ominous aura. Not only that, but there were countless other terrifying things on that shelf. Giselle Roysevin sat amidst the stall, her face pale. He told me to work in this very suspicious-looking item shop. She glanced at the creepy doll on the shelf. What is that scary doll? Is it a cursed doll? Thinking this, Giselle Roysevin sighed. That is definitely a cursed doll, because this place is, well, a cursed item shop. A few hours ago, Renil had brought her here in surprise. Did you just say cursed items? In a place like this? Why me? Giselle Roysevin cried out in fear. Is it because poison does not work that you decided to kill me with a curse? Renil crossed his arms and explained, it is a cursed item shop, not a cursed shop. He glanced over meaningfully. I find it hard to believe your words right now, so, while working here, prove your abilities. Renil instructed, your job is to classify the poisons sold in this shop. You also need to interact with customers. Giselle Roysevin was surprised. Classify. You want me to sort the poisons by labeling them? Renil nodded in confirmation. You said you can distinguish poisons. He smiled and instructed, you have to taste all kinds of poisons yourself and distinguish their flavors. Giselle Roysevin sat on the table, trembling as she clenched her fist. What a cruel man. From the beginning, he did not even let me set my sights on the boss's secretary position. So he is telling me to start my career from scratch? It had been 10 days since she became an employee of this shop. At first, Renil supervised her, but for the past 3 days, I have not seen him anywhere, not even a strand of hair. Giselle Roysevin propped her chin up and sighed languidly. How boring, Isabel. You are really the only one by my side. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang out. Giselle, you even named the cursed doll. Ten stepped in, smiling from the doorway. Just as I thought about the crazy Giselle. Your thinking is so strange. Giselle Roysevin turned around in surprise. Ten was responsible for carrying goods in this shop. With the black magic apprentices, it is said that you have to do all kinds of chores to become an official mage. Giselle Roysevin scratched her head, thinking to herself, no matter how I look at it, I do not think carrying things has anything to do with becoming an official mage. Her face darkened as she scolded lightly. No, I am not crazy. Ten still laughed and teased. Usually, crazy people do not know they are crazy. Giselle Roysevin really got angry and shouted, I told you I am not crazy. It is okay. But Ten still kept a kind face, because Giselle is interestingly crazy. He looked eagerly at the cursed shelf. You even became a temporary employee at this shop. You, Giselle, must be very fierce. Giselle Roysevin was speechless. Is that something to admire? This shop owner Renil must be very famous, but I am really not crazy. Ten stepped forward to carry the things down. Now then, I will leave the things here. Giselle Roysevin turned to complain. Even though I know this is a shop, no one comes here to buy things. Yet there are so many goods coming in and out. She recalled some memories. Maybe some villains have stopped by, but none of them bought anything. At that time, Giselle Roysevin tried to stop them. Don't leave. Ten rummaged inside his bag and replied. Occasionally, there are customers who come to buy things. And here, he said, then took out a small bottle. It is today's poison. Giselle Roysevin turned pale. What is that smell? She covered her nose and wondered, do you know durian? Ten asked curiously. Durian? What is that? Giselle Roysevin explained. A fruit with a smell similar to this poison. Ten handed the bottle out in confusion. What are you talking about? This poison does not have any smell. Giselle Roysevin received the bottle, thinking, it is terrible to be able to feel both the smell and taste of poison. She recalled. Renil also said that, no one has the ability to drink and distinguish poison like me. Ten smiled like a flower in front, teasing. As expected, the crazy Giselle is really crazy. Giselle Roysevin was exhausted and ignored him. I do not have the energy to argue with him now. When Ten left, the shop became quiet again. Giselle Roysevin still propped her chin up, waiting bored inside. She wondered, bored? I know Renil told me not to worry about him and just stay at the shop, but he has disappeared for 3 days without any news. Suddenly, Giselle Roysevin realized, isn't this the perfect time to escape? Thinking this, she quickly ran to get the jacket in the closet. Although Renil has not done anything now, he can dissect me at any time. Unlike the original story, because I am still alive, if I do not run away far, I might be tied up and taken to the male lead. Giselle Roycevan rummaged and took a few more bottles of poison from the nearby shelf. I will take them with me as a salary for 10 days. In just a moment, Giselle Roycevan stuffed a large bag around herself. She sighed in relief, feeling nervous. Okay then. Giselle Roycevan reached out to the door in front of her. It is time to escape. She crept out stealthily. Giselle Roycevan carefully probed. It seems he did not place a spell to prevent me from leaving. I was afraid of being discovered by the aura of dark magic, but should I just ignore it? After seeing that there was no one, she ran away quickly. Anyway, the escape mission was successful. Giselle Roycevan calculated as she ran. According to those villain customers, as long as I pay, I can secretly sneak onto a horse-drawn carriage, first, to the horse-drawn carriage rental place. Suddenly she stopped. Huh? Giselle Roycevan braked in confusion and wondered, no, what is this? In front of her was a marching army, near the shop of the Dark Forces. But why? Why is there a military outpost here? Giselle Roycevan looked inside the ranks. There is. Slamming into her face were dozens of wanted posters of herself. Are you kidding me? Giselle Roycevan turned pale. Is it reasonable for a shop that specializes in serving villains to be near a security outpost like this? She still had not regained her senses when someone approached her silently from behind. Renil suddenly appeared, whispering, What is wrong? Keep going out. Giselle Roycevan jumped back in surprise and looked at him. Renil warned, If you go any further, they might discover you. Giselle Roycevan tried to force a smile. Long time no see, boss. In her heart she was confused. It seems like I have been caught. Renil's eyes flashed with a murderous intent as he interrogated. This is the first time you have run away in 2 days, right? Giselle Roycevan's face immediately turned pale, thinking, more importantly, boss, why do your eyes look so scary? Can you calm down a little? She forced a smile and waved her hand to explain. To avoid misunderstandings, let me clarify first. I am not trying to run away at all. Renil propped his chin up, pretending to be innocent. So if this is not running away, then are you planning to surrender? You finally decided to challenge the execution. Giselle Roycevan jumped and shouted, No way! I just thought I would take a little walk. Actually, I have a habit of brisk walking for an hour every day. Renil pretended to understand. Ah, right, a walk. Giselle Roycevan waved her hands and feet, explaining, I highly recommend it. It is very good for your health. Renil just smiled and responded with a faint, Ha. He speculated with interest. Is that why you brought poison to drink if you are thirsty while walking? Giselle Roycevan felt guilty. No. How did you know? Did you see it with magic? She quickly made an excuse to cover up. That is, to maintain passion and a sense of work. You could say that. Renil did not let go, asking, So what about the money? Do you need money for a walk? Giselle Roycevan continued to make up reasons. Now that I think about it, I have not properly repaid Mr. Renil, who helped me, so I was thinking about buying a gift on the way back from the walk. Renil smirked knowingly. So for Mr. Renil, he leaned closer and teased. You usually become humble when you are worried, huh? Giselle Roycevan smiled faintly. There is no such thing. In her heart, she cursed. Damn it, socializing is so tiring. Even so, Giselle Roycevan had to be enthusiastic. I call you Mr. Renil with all my sincerity. Renil covered his face and recalled, I thought I was called a scoundrel in prison. Giselle Roycevan tried to dissuade. Why do not we leave the past behind and look towards the future? Renil refused to let go. You call that the past. But it was only 10 days ago. Giselle Roycevan got a little angry. 10 days ago is still the past, Mr. Boss. Suddenly, a strange movement attracted the attention of the two of them. The two of them turned to look towards the barracks at the same time. There, countless soldiers were standing in solemn rows. Giselle Roycevan realized in shock, they are coming in this direction. She began to panic in her heart. What should I do? Thinking this, Giselle Roycevan reached out and grabbed Renil's collar. Seeing her crawl inside his cloak, he wondered, Why are you panicking? Giselle Roycevan explained. The soldiers are coming. We need to hide. It won't work. As soon as she finished speaking, she pulled Renil's collar down hard. Giselle Roycevan bluntly suggested, Boss, please pretend to kiss me. In a moment, Renil froze. Giselle Roycevan quickly clarified. Running away suddenly will look very suspicious. You need to act like a passionate couple to divert the soldiers' attention. Renil smirked and teased. So in this situation, we should pretend to be a passionate couple, kissing in a deserted alley, to avoid trouble, right? Giselle Roycevan nodded in confirmation. Okay, if you understand, then just quietly cooperate. Suddenly she realized something was wrong. Renil professionally pushed Giselle Roycevan against the corner of the wall. She looked up a little worried and said, If something like this suddenly happens. However, a second later her eyes flashed with surprise. Reniel, with his handsome features, leaned closer to her face. In Giselle Royceven's eyes, he was like a perfect beauty. Giselle Royceven blushed in confusion. What is this? Are you attacking me with your looks? Reniel smiled wickedly. What is wrong? He leaned closer and whispered. You said we need to act like a loving couple. Giselle Royceven did not dare to look directly at his face. The important thing is not pretending to be a couple, but using it to avoid that situation. Suddenly she noticed something. Giselle Royceven discovered that there were guards looking at her. It is clear now. I made eye contact with the guard. She panicked. They definitely saw us. Giselle Royceven whispered, Hey, look to the side. He moved closer, shielding her. Okay? Startled, she lightly punched him a few times. If you are going to push me against the wall, then play it out. Do something like pretending to kiss me. Suddenly, Reniel smirked knowingly, in the middle of this alley. Giselle Royceven did not dare to look forward either, so, right next to her. Inadvertently, she discovered, they are just passing by. Giselle Royceven's head was in a mess. They definitely did not look directly into my eyes just now. Did they not recognize my face? Don't they look closely at the wanted poster for the people who get paid without working? After discovering that the soldiers did not pay attention to her, Giselle Royceven was stunned. Reniel turned to announce, they did not see us. Giselle Royceven quickly stopped him. Where are you going? If you go any further, you will really get caught. Reniel calmly strode forward. That is it for here. He explained. To them, this place just looks like a wall. It has been enchanted with an illusion spell. Giselle Royceven repeated in confusion, an illusion spell. In the original story, it said that when using magic, it would leave a magic circle at that location. Moreover, some types of magic left a lingering aura. That is how the two main characters overthrew Wayne and they eventually won, or something like that. Giselle Royceven propped her chin, pondering. Am I misremembering? No, that is not right. I remember clearly, right? She moved closer and wondered, if this is magic, why did not the soldiers notice? Reniel calmly confirmed, obviously. He asserted with full confidence, because I am stronger. Giselle Royceven's eyes teared up as soon as she heard that. She slumped and knelt on the ground. Can you report things like that beforehand? Reniel teased. Honestly, you look very stupid, but I will consider it cute. Giselle Royceven still kept complaining. I am not grateful at all. Reniel then continued. Well then, he added, causing Giselle Royceven to stop. Let us go back to the shop to finish the rest, shall we? Her face started to change again, thinking, that is right. I completely forgot. I was just caught trying to escape. In Giselle Royceven's eyes at this moment, Reniel seemed to have turned into a wolf. And the rest? I have to go to work to receive my salary, boss? She begged. Boss, the rest does not mean torture, does it? Reniel replied, if you want, I can let you experience it right now. No need to go far. Giselle Royceven jumped up in fear. Boss, we received new poisons today. She announced solemnly before running away. This hard-working temporary employee will return to work and check the products immediately. Saying that, Giselle Royceven quickly turned and stepped away from Reniel. Behind her, he could not help but cover his face and laugh to himself. That was a concise statement. That night, Giselle Royceven returned to the cursed item shop. She awkwardly handed over a stack of papers. Yes, here, please take a look. Giselle Royceven explained. This is a summary table of the flavors of the poisons that I identified in the past 10 days. Looking inside the reports, Reniel thought. They are very easy to read. She has arranged a large amount of poison neatly. This is the ability that Bedra wants to bring directly into his office. Standing next to him, Giselle Royceven awkwardly recounted. It is hard to believe that they all taste like fruit, but it is really true. Reniel pondered. Surely Giselle Royceven did not try alchemy just to get office skills. Giselle Royceven still kept talking nonstop. With the same type of apple, the taste can be different depending on their sweetness, as well as the flavor of the poison will change based on its purpose. In her heart, she was a little uneasy, thinking, when you receive the report, at least react somehow. Reniel was still silent, only smiling indifferently. I guess you do not want to see me being rude and saying silly things. Inadvertently, he covered his mouth and made a strange sound. Reniel looked at Giselle Royceven with complete curiosity. What exactly did Giselle Royceven summon? He said to himself. She would jump up if she got hurt or felt pain even a little. Yet she is not afraid of drinking poison. She said she does not like danger, but she is willing to work for a wicked villain. Reniel unconsciously stared at Giselle Royceven. Interestingly, these things are strangely contradictory. What is hiding inside that shell? He spoke up to inquire, by the way, what is your name? Giselle Royceven, still not understanding, asked back. What? Reniel suggested. Tell me your real name. I have already told you my real name, but you still have not told me yours. Giselle Royceven hesitated, and hesitated for a long time. A moment later, her eyes looked at him firmly. I am Giselle Royceven. Renil was silent. She usually acts very rudely, but when asked about her true identity, she becomes determined. He glanced up and down at Giselle Roysevin. How interesting. With platinum blonde hair and blue eyes, she clearly looks exactly like Giselle Roysevin, but inside she is a completely different person. She does not even try to look like Giselle Roysevin, but insisting on being seen as Giselle Roysevin is the biggest contradiction. Thinking this, Renil turned to call out, "Okay, Giselle." Giselle Roysevin stood in front, still silent in tension. She confidently pointed to the reports on the table. "Anyway, do you believe me now? This is really the material that I sorted out using my ability to distinguish poisons." Renil nodded. "I understand your ability, but I still have doubts about you as a person." Giselle Roysevin closed her eyes tightly and asked loudly, "Then, what makes you still doubt me? Don't I look harmless to you?" Renil recounted with his handsome face. "Actually, I can't easily trust others. Moreover, I saw you running away with my own eyes." He kept accusing Giselle Roysevin. "You even stole money." She hurriedly became humble to cover up. "I was not running away. I was just taking a walk. And about the money, just consider it in advance because I will be getting paid soon." She slammed the table angrily, feeling wronged. "Why, seriously?" Giselle Roysevin pointed at herself in disbelief. "Am I working for free?" She was annoyed and demanded justice. "This is really unreasonable. I have been working like an Excel sheet. This is exploitation of labor. I am risking my life to drink poison. At least pay me a toxic substance allowance." Renil chuckled, covering his mouth. "That is right. It is fun to see these cute actions. Those are things that Giselle Roysevin would never do." He thought to himself, "The dark mages buy chicks to use for curses. But they can't kill them because they are too cute, so they turned the whole room into a chicken coop. Now I can understand it somewhat." Thinking this, Renil put his hand out. From his hand a dark aura burst out. Giselle Roysevin trembled. "Boss, because it is only the trial period to learn the trade, I can understand not paying a salary, like when you provide meals." Renil covered his mouth with amusement. "I really do not understand what you are saying at all." The light in his hand gradually turned into small butterflies. Giselle Roysevin stared blankly, admiring in her head. "They are so beautiful." She asked curiously, "Are these real butterflies?" Renil explained, "They are my subordinates, and they will also be supervising you from now on." Giselle Roysevin exclaimed, "So that means you will always be by my side from now on, right? Can they talk? Can we communicate?" In Renil's heart, there was still a little hesitation. I am not sure if she really understands what supervision is. Thinking this, he introduced, "They can only communicate with me." Giselle Roysevin looked resentful. "That is not fair. I want to talk to them too." She curiously touched the butterflies. "Why are their wings so beautiful?" Inadvertently, Renil calmly announced, "The red one is poisonous." Giselle Roysevin replied confidently, "Don't worry. I won't die from poison." Renil ignored her and continued to warn, "The blue one can cause paralysis." But this only made Giselle Roysevin even more interested. "Butterflies can sting. How interesting." Renil observed in silence, thinking, "You are more interesting." He was surprised. Just a few minutes ago, she was still very nervous, but now she seems quite excited. Renil propped his chin, pondering. "Now that I think about it, Giselle also has another ability. She said that she knows the future of important people." In his heart, a question appeared. Who will Giselle see as an important person? How does she determine the criteria for that important person? He was confused. Why is Wayne Aylray even in there? Thinking this, Renil spoke. "What do you know about Wayne Aylray?" He wondered, "Why do you want to work for him?" Giselle Roysevin silently released the 2 butterflies in her hand. She explained, "I just think he is probably the most evil one in the villain lineup." Renil nodded in agreement. "That is right." Giselle Roysevin eagerly begged, "If you meet the leader, please remember to tell him that I said he is the strongest person in this world. I would be very grateful if you could help me get that job." Renil sighed, wondering, who exactly is the leader? He wondered, "You call him a bad guy, right?" Giselle Roysevin dismissed. "Forget about that." Renil asked again, "Is it really that you want to work under Wayne Aylray?" Giselle Roysevin nodded as quickly as lightning, confirming, "Yes, I would rather be the tail of a dragon than the head of a snake. It would be great to get a job at a big company." Renil scratched his head, replying, "You said you could help me distinguish poisons, even if I arrange the poisons into a table. Only you can really distinguish their tastes. How can you help me avoid drinking poison?" Giselle Roysevin explained fascinatingly, "Then I can try everything first to make sure, like a concubine testing poison for the king." "Oh right, you probably would not know what that is." She looked at Renil with sparkling eyes. "Anyway, can you arrange a meeting with Wayne Aylray, the leader? Help me." However, he coldly smiled and flatly refused. "No, I do not want to." Giselle's eyes widened in resentment. "Come on, why?" A teasing tone from Renil rang out. "You said you would eat everything for him. Does not that mean you will always be by Wayne Aylray's side?" She quickly denied. "No, only at mealtimes." Renil became serious. He slowly said, "He will also drink tea and maybe eat desserts. so you will have to follow his schedule closely and come forward every time it is mealtime. Giselle replied awkwardly. Oh yes, that is right. Speaking up to this point, Renil made a conclusion. In the end, you will still have to be by his side all day long. She was momentarily confused, her mouth stuttering. Well then, that is what it will end up being, right? In the blink of an eye, Renil's expression changed. He reminded in a serious tone. That is why I do not want to. Before the meaningful words, Giselle quickly asked back. Yes, what? Renil did not explain. He turned to leave. A voice suddenly rang out. So, take good care of the shop. I will pay you a monthly salary. Giselle's eyes sparkled. Her ears almost perked up with excitement. Salary. Afterwards, Renil emphasized each word sternly. Of course, that is when you become a full-time employee. She sighed, lamenting. Oh God. Giselle suddenly leaned forward. Boss, wait. Hearing that, he turned around. She quickly stepped closer. Only to see Giselle put on a very serious face. Noticing the abnormality, Renil's heart became worried. What is wrong? Her attitude suddenly changed. Could it be that she has another purpose? Approaching Wayne, pretending to be stupid and looking for a chance to assassinate him. So his fingers slowly moved, avoiding Giselle's line of sight. After a while, she let out a call, Boss. Immediately afterwards, Giselle seriously burst out a lecture. You see, I have learned that a labor contract includes negotiation between the employee and the management. There must be a reliable contract to avoid future disputes. She unconsciously pointed towards Renil and declared loudly at the same time. The trial period and salary are issues that need to be negotiated. I will get the pen right away. After speaking, Giselle immediately turned back to the desk, only to see her flustered with both hands and feet. Witnessing that scene, Renil could not help but laugh. He hugged his stomach, the corners of his mouth curved up as he thought, Giselle Roysevin, whoever you summoned, this is the right thing you have ever done. Renil thought to himself, I should keep this interesting person by my side and supervise her. A moment later, Giselle carefully closed the door. She concentrated on thinking. After sending the attendants to my side, Renil visits less than before, thanks to that I have more free time. And I can occasionally take a walk in the alley behind. Of course, I am still being supervised, but I like them because they are beautiful butterflies. Actually, it is even more comfortable, because when I take a walk with the butterflies, I can let Renil know that I have no intention of running away. Just at this moment, she blankly turned her head to look at the front door. A familiar greeting rang out. Hello, Giselle. She turned around happily. Welcome. Giselle turned back, smiling, her hands clasped in front of her chest. From now on, I am no longer in a temporary position, but a probationary employee, you understand. Please call me Trainee Giselle. He could not help but exclaim. It has only been a few days, but you have become fiercer. She tilted her head, smiling smugly. No matter what you say, I already have a formal labor contract, which means that the trial period and the transition to the main job have been clearly defined, at least, even if Renil hands me over or sees me as an experimental object. I can understand that he has given up those intentions, right? Thinking of this, Giselle could not hide the joy in her heart. So this contract not only includes the job, but also guarantees my life. At the same time, Ten pointed towards a corner of the closet. Today, I came to buy something. I need this cursed doll. She nodded without hesitation. Okay, I won't touch it. So bring it here to me. Ten quickly took the doll. He slowly brought it towards Giselle. It is said that if you touch the cursed doll directly, you will also be cursed. She raised her head to look at him, silently assessing in her mind. Ten looks a bit timid compared to someone who aspires to become a dark mage. Then Giselle chuckled. They sell cursed items here, but it is not cursed. Ten scratched his head shyly. Oh right, wrap it up for me. After finishing, he politely turned around, waving his hand. See you later. As soon as Ten left, Giselle tilted her head, thinking, I feel a little empty without Isabel here. From above, butterfly sprites suddenly appeared. Seeing that, she smiled happily. They are still here with me. Giselle unconsciously immersed herself in the scenery. She could not help but exclaim, They are really beautiful. Then suddenly Giselle was lost in thought. The black thing, gathered at Renil's fingertips, must be the type of magic used in dark magic. Different from the shadow used to swallow the assassin in this dungeon, this one has a more sparkling feel. She could not help but feel a little curious. Or is it so gorgeous because of his appearance? A click rang out. Giselle reflexively raised her head. Another new customer. She quickly greeted, her body facing forward. Welcome. A teenager appeared out of nowhere. He suddenly slammed the table hard. What the hell is this? At this time, the teenager glared resentfully at Giselle, muttering words of criticism. Renil took in another death row inmate. Hearing this, Giselle was confused. She raised her head blankly. What do you mean, sir? What is all the noise about? The teenager paid no attention. He continued with a cold tone. Answer me, are you the person that Mr. Renil hired to work at this shop? Giselle tried to ease the atmosphere. She slowly replied, I do not know what happened, but it is true that I was hired to work here. Seeing that, the teenager almost lost his mind. He shouted fiercely, "Let me tell you, this position at the counter was originally mine." Giselle was momentarily confused and bewildered. Wait, there is even a designated candidate for this cashier position. What is going on in this convenience store? Not stopping there, the teenager leaned forward. "I want to see Mr. Renil. Where is he?" Giselle stammered. She tried to calm down. The shop owner usually does what he wants. "I mean, he is very busy, so even I can hardly meet him. If you leave your contact information, I will pass it on for you." He once again uttered a suspicion. "How can you trust a death row inmate?" Giselle clenched her fist. She smiled forcedly. "Can you just call me an escaped prisoner? Death row inmate sounds a bit too much. I have no intention of dying." From behind, Ten suddenly opened the door and rushed in. "Giselle, what is wrong? I heard the noise, so I came back to check." At the same time, the teenager brazenly passed by Ten. He did not forget to threaten, "I am leaving, but you just wait and see." On this side, she could not help but feel a little bewildered. Really, what is going on? In a flash, it was dusk. Giselle silently sat in a corner watching the streets. She raised her head, her eyes widened, thinking. Anyway, because there is an illusion charm in the alley, it should be okay to just stand here and look at the scenery. Giselle secretly looked around and sighed in her heart. My wanted poster is plastered all over the street, so I can't wander around freely, but it is too stuffy inside the shop. When she thought of the prospect of only being a normal employee, she tilted her head, her face showing a hint of sadness. I wonder if it is okay to continue working as an employee in this shop. If I think about it, Giselle has already been removed from the plot of the novel. If I just stay in the convenience store, I think I will never be able to contact the important characters directly. Renil said that he has no intention of introducing me to Wayne, so there is a possibility that I will not be involved with the villain side anymore. Will I still be safe if I stay in the shop? Like that previous customer, I will ask Renil to find me a doll. Like Isabel, I will let it sit at the checkout, to be safe, right? Then suddenly, butterfly sprites appeared right in front of Giselle. She looked up at them blankly. What is wrong? Do you have something to say? Without waiting for them to respond, Giselle happily speculated, could it be that you are mating? The butterfly sprites did not answer, however, there was a cold air emanating from them. Giselle jumped. No way! Why are you doing this? You want me to go into the alley? She asked curiously. Since there is an illusion charm here, no one will be able to see us from outside the alley, so why? On the opposite side, the group of cavalry gathered into a circle. At that moment, Dylan raised his head, his body facing Giselle. In that instant, he appeared with a cold face. His gaze slowly moved into an alley. Afterwards, Dylan continued to discuss with the cavalry. On this side, Giselle could not help but exclaim, he is really tall. Is that the leader of the soldiers? Just by looking at his physique through the armor, with his golden hair and clear blue eyes, it looks so unreal. Like a knight coming out of a novel. Butterfly sprites quickly interjected. Like the male lead in Poison Apple, Dylan Starcy. A big question mark appeared in her heart. Wait a moment. As soon as she woke up, Giselle almost screamed, Oh my god, that is Dylan Starcy, why is Dylan here? Back to Dylan, he stopped, his face changed. Meanwhile, her inner self began to panic. Oh my god, I made eye contact. Without thinking much, Giselle turned around and ran away. She ran and thought. The illusion spell does not work on him, that is because Dylan is a prophet, illusions created by magic will not work. In a flash, Giselle quickly opened the shop. Immediately afterwards, she carefully locked the door with a chain. From the outside, the entire stall seemed to be in a state of stillness. Inside, Giselle curled up in a corner of the room. She covered her mouth tightly. Her inner self was extremely confused. Why is Dylan in this village, in the original? After Giselle was executed, did not he return to his estate with the female lead? Could it be that the execution of Giselle Roysevin did not happen, so the plot deviated from its original trajectory? If I meet Dylan now, he will probably hand me over to the guards immediately, right? Then I will be executed immediately. Thinking of this, Giselle urgently whispered, Hey, call your master, this is an emergency. Suddenly, a loud noise was emitted. She jumped in fear. Not daring to imagine, Giselle turned pale, only to see the door being slammed violently by someone and showing no signs of stopping. Realizing the dangerous situation, Giselle tried to cover her mouth tightly, preventing a scream from coming out. After a while, the sound stopped completely. Seeing that, Giselle dared to relax. She sighed in relief. He is gone. Giselle's heart was still not at ease. She worried. But if I do not die and Dylan does not go back, are they going to keep searching until they catch me? As soon as the thought flashed by, Giselle rejected it. She reassured herself. Come on. I am worrying too much. I am just a passing villain. Is it really necessary to keep tracking and trying to kill me like this? In the original, Giselle had directly threatened the female lead's life. She was momentarily flustered. Yes, there is. Giselle slowly stood up, her hand propping on the table because she could not hold herself. Suddenly, she felt a little worried. Was that person just now really Dylan? What if it was just a customer? Giselle began to blame herself. Did I just panic and rush in here for no reason? Outside, the sun was still shining brightly. At the same time, Giselle cautiously opened the door. Her eyes flashed with an unusual look of unease. The teenager suddenly came forward to question, "Why is the door locked? And the windows are closed too?" Giselle explained awkwardly. Well, something happened. The memory she did not dare think about suddenly flashed in her head. He is the strange customer from last time. Giselle did not give in and asked directly, "What is going on?" I already said last time. I have been hired to work at the shop, and I have also signed a labor contract. So you can't fire me. Contrary to expectations, he said softly. Okay, I understand. Today I have something to deliver to Mr. Zhao. Renil, but where is he? Giselle could not help but feel a little suspicious. Really? Why are you suddenly so obedient? She said softly. I am not sure either. I want to see the boss too. I have not had a chance to meet him recently. After speaking, Giselle glanced behind her where the cakes were placed. Seeing that he still often sends things to the shop, it seems like he has not forgotten me. Where is he and what is he doing? Unexpectedly, the teenager did not cause trouble. He continued in a begging tone. Then can you help me deliver some things? They are in the carriage, but it is too big to go into this alley. Giselle looked at the teenager with wide eyes. Is that thing very heavy? She asked again to confirm. The carriage is on the main road, right? The teenager affirmed firmly. Yes, because I have blocked the entrance to the alley with the carriage, so we just need to quickly move the things in. Giselle's face drooped. I really do not want to go near the main road right now, she asked softly again. Can't you do it alone? He replied quickly, looking anxious. I do not have time. I still have to deliver goods to other places. If you continue like this, should I tell Mr. Renil that you are not cooperating? Giselle wrung her hands. She persuaded herself, I have no choice. Evaluating employees during the trial period is also important. Immediately afterwards, Giselle walked behind the teenager. She secretly made up her mind. Let us quickly move the things and return to the shop. Giselle's eyes stopped at the destination. The carriage had completely blocked the alley, so almost everything inside the alley would not be seen. She glanced around, including the soldiers. It seems like there is no one. At this time, the teenager turned to instruct. Okay, then I will be down here to receive the things, and you go on the carriage and move the goods down to me. Giselle questioned dissatisfiedly. Why am I the one going on the carriage? The delivery person has to make an effort. He angrily argued. Can you handle them from below? If you drop them and break them, what will you do? Hearing that, she could only put on a hood. I really do not want to go up there. Then Giselle slowly put one foot on the carriage. She looked confused inside. There are too many boxes. Which one is it? Outside, the teenager crossed his arms with a calm look. He kept muttering. The box at the end of the carriage. No, not that one. It is the one next to it. Giselle leaned closer. She sighed helplessly. At least you should put a name label in the box. Is it this one? Saying that, Giselle carefully reached out to touch the box. Suddenly, a dazzling sword light shot straight into her eyes. A cold voice echoed. Don't move. Behind her was Dylan. He held the sword close to Giselle's neck with a serious face. Seeing that, she slowly turned her body around. As soon as she saw him, Giselle screamed in her head. It is Dylan. At this time, the teenager approached. He grinned. You have to pay me the reward. As promised, do not forget that you agreed to erase my crime. Dylan replied sternly. Because you cooperated in the arrest of a serious criminal, I will consider it. In a moment, Giselle realized the problem. That bastard dared to betray me. At the same time, Dylan did not bother to reason. He shouted loudly, Go fast! The horse-drawn carriage immediately moved. Giselle's body suddenly fell backwards. She struggled to sit up, uttering a sigh. It hurts. Seeing the tip of the sword in front of her, Giselle could not help but panic. She stammered. Wait, please, it seems like there is some kind of misunderstanding. First, can you please put the sword away? Feeling the coldness from the metal, she became even more frightened. Her voice trembled. No, do not point the sword any closer. Is it okay to threaten an innocent person like this? In contrast to Giselle, Dylan grinned. What did you say? He opened his eyes wide. His voice was cold. Giselle Roysevin, do you assert that you are innocent? She quickly defended. I often hear that I look like someone named Giselle Roysevin. There must be some kind of misunderstanding. She secretly said to herself, pretend not to know anything first. Dylan changed a little. He frowned tightly. Seeing that, Giselle was a little confused. It is not working, she asked cautiously. Where are we going? Suddenly, Dylan spoke, his tone carrying a tease. Your acting skills have improved. Speaking up to this point, he pointed the sword straight at Giselle. I know you have accepted an evil entity. Giselle was so angry that she cursed in her heart. Evil? What the heck, this bastard? They said he has eyes that can see through nature. Is it all a lie? She shouted in dissatisfaction. I am not a bad person. I clearly have a good soul, right? At the last minute, Giselle emphasized each word. You have arrested the wrong person. Dylan seemed to not take it to heart. He continued to question. Is this a side effect of forbidden magic, or have you been completely swallowed by demons? His hand moved the sword gently. Whatever it is, it does not matter anymore, because you will have to die. Giselle was extremely annoyed after hearing that. This bastard turned out to be a multiple personality. He was very sweet and kind to the female lead. She looked at Dylan in dissatisfaction, and this is not a madman who refuses to listen to reason. After a moment of silence, Giselle cautiously asked a question. So, am I being taken to the gallows now? He replied quickly. First, we need to destroy the demon you summoned. Before the shocking information, she asked back in confusion, what the heck are you talking about? Suddenly, Giselle jumped, as if she had remembered something. Thinking about it, there was a similar story in Poison Apple. It told of punishing a witch who had signed a contract with a demon. They burned the witch with white magic, which is the opposite of dark magic. Without thinking, Giselle pointed directly at Dylan. What demon? You are the demon. Hearing this, he frowned slightly. What? She said with a trembling but firm voice. Just ask a passerby. An innocent person who just wants to help carry heavy things but is threatened looks more like a demon. Or a person who points a sword at humans, who want to live in peace and burns them to death. Across from her, Dylan angrily gritted his teeth. Nonsense. Then she leaned forward, roaring in her throat. What do you mean? Look at my nature. Giselle continued with a clear tone. Those eyes can't even distinguish good people. Immediately, Dylan grabbed Giselle's throat with his bare hand. She coughed slightly. What are you planning to do? Only to see Giselle's body trembling, he gritted his teeth. You! Dylan's voice became sharp like a knife. How do you know about my abilities? He tightened his grip more and more. Answer quickly. Who provided that information to you? Giselle trembled slightly in panic. How can I answer when you are strangling my neck like this? You blockhead? Giselle struggled weakly. Her eyelashes trembled. Am I going to be strangled to death? If I die like this, I will become a ghost and come back to haunt you, this evil male lead. Just at this moment, a beam of light flew out from Giselle's hand. Dylan paused slightly. His eyes darkened. He looked up to observe the butterfly sprites flying around. Dylan immediately covered his nose. This kind of powder. At the same time, he jumped back. Giselle also escaped death by a hair's breadth. Dylan looked straight at the butterfly sprite. He clicked his tongue softly. At this moment, Dylan waved the sword in his hand erratically, so cunning. Immediately afterwards, he decisively chopped the butterfly sprite into two, with one stroke. Not stopping there, Dylan coldly divided its body into many pieces. After finishing, he approached Giselle step by step. Let us end this. Dylan looked at her with cold eyes. Giselle Roysevin. Seeing the matrix underneath, Dylan retreated in panic. What other tricks are you playing? From the center of the matrix, a black gas emanated. It suddenly rushed towards him before Giselle's eyes. Seeing that, Dylan tried to use the sword in his hand to resist, only to see the black gas began to curl. Then they separated, and rushed quickly to Dylan. He murmured, "This is..." Dylan's body was pressed against the door behind him. From what time a seal appeared right under his feet. The black gas immediately rose, higher than Dylan. Immediately, it rushed in and wrapped tightly around his body. Dylan was lifted up into the air. He cursed, "Damn it!" In a flash, Dylan's body was thrown back hard, only to see his whole body hit the ground hard. On this side, Giselle was both worried and confused. At this moment, a familiar figure slowly walked to her side. He whispered, if you were standing close, you would have been dragged down like that too." Giselle immediately reacted. She quickly stepped back. Suddenly, Giselle bumped into a large body. Feeling the familiar scent, she slowly turned around. As soon as she saw Reneal, Giselle called in confusion, "Boss?" He did not reply, but only looked down at her. Afraid that Reneal would misunderstand, Giselle quickly explained, "I did not try to run away." He nodded coldly. His voice was soft. "I know." She continued to explain, "I am also not the one who killed the butterflies." Reneal slowly said, "I know that too." As soon as the words were finished, he once again looked at her seriously. Reneal unexpectedly approached Giselle. She looked up blankly. "What?" He tilted his head slightly. His voice said deeply, "Also, did not you have something to say to me?" Giselle paused. Her big round eyes looked at him. "Something to say?" After a moment of thinking, she hesitated to open her mouth. "I am sorry for leaving the shop." Suddenly remembering that, Giselle quickly replied, "Thank you for saving me." Hearing this, Reneal laughed with a helpless expression. Then she looked up. Her lips trembled slightly. "But the butterflies saved me from the brink of death before you arrived. I think I should thank them first." He raised his eyebrows. His voice calm. "The butterflies are my attendants." Giselle asked curiously, "Did you ask them to protect me?" Reneal quickly responded, "No, I did not." She pursed her lips. Her eyes flashed with blame. "After all, the butterflies sacrificed themselves to save me. Why do you take away the gratitude that they deserve to receive? You are a jerk." Reneal suddenly glanced over. "I know what you are thinking. Do you know how difficult it is to use magic to move objects? Giselle replied in dissatisfaction, just like a machine answering. Yes, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for this valuable help, a Korean textbook excerpt. With a faint hope, she tried to confirm. But, because the butterflies are your subordinates, the sword could not kill them, right? Renil snorted coldly. What do you think? I gave them to you just 1 hour ago and you let them get killed. Giselle blurted out. Her voice was hurried. Dylan killed them. Not me, no. Surely the butterflies are okay, right? Giselle looked at him, her eyes trembling. Looking at you like this, they must be okay, because you appeared right after the butterflies were chopped. Did he receive any signal when they died? She paused, her eyes blinked, thinking. Now that I think about it, Dylan, boss, is that man dead? After speaking, Giselle narrowed her eyes. Her expression was somewhat worried. I am pretty sure he fell off the moving carriage. What will happen to the story when the main character dies? At that moment, Renil took another step. What is wrong? Are you going to kill him? She quickly shook her head. No way! Someone else will kill him. Giselle thought to herself, the big boss will be the one to kill him, not me. Suddenly, he chuckled. Really? You said that as if he was a stranger, Giselle. Speaking up to this point, Renil teased, I heard you made a fuss when you heard that Dylan was injured. I learned that you really love him. Giselle's heart was like a storm. She could not help but get annoyed. Look at that expression. He is planning to tease me again. In his heart, he must think that I am not Giselle Roysevin. He keeps talking about old things. Is he doing it on purpose? What did Giselle Roysevin do to Dylan? In the story, she was blindly infatuated. Calling him my love or the love of my life, why are they all like this? After a while, Giselle put on an innocent face. She said with a weak voice, now, what does it mean for me to leave him behind? I still can't accept even a scratch on his body. Even now, just thinking about him being hurt breaks my heart. Seeing Giselle shamelessly acting, Renil frowned. At this moment, he turned coldly. Let us go back. Before Renil's unusual appearance, she wondered, what is suddenly wrong with him? Just at this moment, Renil unexpectedly snapped his fingers. Giselle blankly looked down. It is that kind of magic again. In a small corner, an energy was constantly overflowing. Suddenly, a seal appeared under Giselle's feet. She jumped. Oh God. Giselle could not help but exclaim. It is so cool. We are teleporting in an instant. Renil's magic is so amazing every time I see it. Again. If Renil is this strong, then his leader, Wayne Aolray, how strong is he? But to die from poison when he is this strong, is there a possibility? No, I thought I would never meet you again. My little beautiful bottles of poison. From what time Renil had stood right next to her, he sternly reminded, instead of just sitting and playing with the bottles of poison, you should quickly pack up. I am moving the shop to another place. Giselle pouted. I know. Are we really moving the shop? He replied succinctly without thinking. Yes. She could not help but feel a little confused. It is strange. His mood does not seem to be good since a while ago. Giselle concentrated on thinking. That guy discovered the location of the shop. Renil seemed confident that Dylan was still alive. Ah, well, because he is the main character, so he won't die in vain like this. Somehow he will recover and chase me again. He must have been seriously injured from falling off the moving carriage. That is not what I need to care about. I do not want to touch these cursed items, so... Surely, the female lead will heal him herself, because she won't be able to live if he dies, right? Later, Giselle carefully asked, I am packing them, but when are we planning to move everything? You told me not to sit idle, but are not you doing the same? Renil said coldly, I plan to move everything to the new shop at the same time. Her eyes widened as if she dared not believe. What? Is that possible? Giselle asked again worriedly. The bottles of medicine won't break if you move them, right? Should I add more padding to the box? I do not want the precious bottles of medicine. My work to be broken without changing his mind, Renil instructed. Add them to the boxes with fragile items. Suddenly remembering, she quickly explained. Looking at the boxes, I remembered again. When that happened, I did not blindly follow Dylan. I was tricked. Someone betrayed me. Renil was silent for a moment. He slowly opened his mouth. I know him. She looked up, her eyes widened. You know? How do you know? Renil looked helpless. Do you think that my attendants are just standing around with you? I received the news as soon as you were arrested. Hearing that, Giselle clenched her palm. She shouted in her heart, wait, even though you knew, you just stood by and watched until I was strangled. In that moment, Renil smirked. So are not you curious what happened to him? As soon as she saw his expression, Giselle trembled. She shook her head. Then suddenly he beckoned. Come here. Giselle immediately refused. No, I do not want to. I do not want to watch. My stomach is weak. I can't watch scary things. Renil sighed softly. I am not showing you that thing, so come here. Hearing that, Giselle slowly moved her steps. Yes. Without saying anything, he raised his hand and gently touched her neck. Renil looked down worriedly. His voice was somewhat softened. It left a bruise. In that moment, Giselle unconsciously saw his sad eyes. She inadvertently looked up at Renil. Her heart kept beating fast. After a long while, Giselle laughed awkwardly. Well, I was not burned alive, so it is okay. A few bruises do not matter. Renil tilted his head and asked, he said he wanted to burn you alive. She quickly replied, no, he said something about exorcising the demon. How can he call an ordinary person a demon? He is the demon. Seeing that, he nodded. That is right. That bastard looks like a demon, right? Giselle was still not over the anger. She gritted her teeth and shouted, that is right. He strangled me so I could not talk, but asked me to answer. Did he think he was crazy? Suddenly, Renil laughed, and Giselle just came back to her senses. Her face darkened following the chaotic thoughts. Giselle said she loved Dylan so much that she could not bear to see him injured, even a little. At the same time, Renil touched Giselle's shoulder lightly. Won't your heart break if Dylan is injured? She stammered and turned away, avoiding his eyes. I guess so. On the outside, Renil smiled sweetly, but his voice was contradictory. Okay, from now on, do not call him those ridiculous nicknames like my love anymore. Giselle trembled and replied, okay. She inadvertently thought, so this is what is bothering him. That is right. In Poison Apple, Wayne Ellery is the villain and a deputy leader. From the perspective of a dark mage, it must be very uncomfortable to see his subordinates fall in love with the leader's enemy like that. Receiving the answer, he smiled with satisfaction. Good. Afterwards, Renil shrugged slightly. He calmly assessed. He is the type of person who will bring his soldiers tomorrow even if his leg is broken, so we have to move immediately. Wait for me a bit. You can rest after I am done. Giselle widened her eyes beside him. Is he worried about me? Renil leaned down. He did not forget to remind. Pack your things. I will check the magic circle. She was even more confused. You are worried, right? Only to see Renil leaned over. His hand propped his chin, thinking. On this side, Giselle inadvertently touched her neck lightly, where the warmth from his touch still lingered. Suddenly, Renil turned to look at her. It has been drawn very carefully. If there is nothing to prepare, then come here. Giselle ran over quickly. Oh, yes. Suddenly, he pulled Giselle's hand hard. Renil smiled with satisfaction. His hand stroked her shoulder. Meanwhile, Giselle's heart could not help but ripple. He grinned. Let us go. In the blink of an eye, the two of them disappeared following the black gas. Switching the scene to the stall, the lights inside suddenly turned on. Giselle glanced around. She could not help but exclaim, this is the new shop. It is really big. At the same time, Renil's face was covered in cold sweat. He breathed out with difficulty. Noticing the abnormality, she immediately turned around. Boss? Seeing Renil staggering, Giselle ran over worriedly. Are you okay? He turned around. His voice was weak. From now on, this is your room. After speaking, Renil lightly touched Giselle's hand. Now, rest a bit. She seemed hesitant. No, I do not think I am the one who needs to rest. He ignored her and continued to add. The shop will be closed until I finish arranging the furniture. Go inside and rest. Saying that, Renil slowly closed the door of the room. Giselle shouted worriedly, Boss, wait. Afterwards, her heart was still uneasy. The magic to move the whole shop must be a burden for Renil. He looks very tired. Will he be okay? Giselle stepped closer to the bed. She looked back again. Renil must have gone to rest, right? As soon as her bat touched down, Giselle sighed in relief. It feels like being alive again. Remembering Dylan's appearance, she shuddered slightly. A big thing almost happened just now. Giselle could not help but feel a chill. I thought I was dead. She turned over, thinking, this is the first time I have really felt so scared. Thinking of this, Giselle secretly said to herself, from now on, I should not be so careless like an idiot again. She reassured herself, it will be okay. I will survive this reality. I should not leave Renil anymore. In another development, Wayne's group kept discussing. One of them approached Mr. Wayne, you have arrived. He looked seriously down at the piece of paper. All the preparations are going according to plan, right? He quickly replied, yes. If we continue like this, the knights won't recognize it. Wayne nodded in satisfaction. That is good. Pedro suddenly appeared. He politely bowed his head. Mr. Wayne looked up blankly. Pedro, what is wrong? He approached while whispering closely. After a while, Wayne ordered, then, handle everything well. Pedro declared loudly, we are ready. As soon as the words were finished, he and Wayne walked along the hallway. The two of them were momentarily in front of a mansion, only to see Pedro carefully approach the main door. He carefully opened the door. The sound creaked. Renil stepped out from inside. He asked urgently, did you investigate? Wayne bowed respectfully. Yes, he is not dead. Hearing this, Renil breathed out. He is very tenacious, so he can't die. Just at this moment, Pedro unconsciously glanced around. He could not help but feel a little worried. His face does not look good. Usually, he would use magic assistance tools for a large-scale transfer or call more mages. Thinking of this, Pedro pursed his lips. But Dylan suddenly appeared at the shop. After a long while, he asked doubtfully, he should have returned to his estate. Why is he still here? Moreover, they even found the location of the shop. Wayne made a cautious judgment. No matter what, we must have an inside person. Hearing that, Renil sternly ordered, "Take everyone out of the city today. Tell them if anyone gets caught, I will kill them immediately." He glanced over to him while instructing, "As for Wayne, you go to the castle. I will organize some demonstrations to divert that guy's attention." He immediately bowed to receive the order. Yes. At the same time, Bedro hesitated. He opened his mouth. Mr. Renil? Bedro asked quickly. His eyes clearly showed suspicion. "Isn't the woman you brought with you Giselle Roysevin? Why did you bring her along?" Renil replied concisely without hesitation. "She is my employee now," he said in confusion. "What?" He continued with a low voice. "I hired her." Bedro asked in surprise. "Hired, huh?" He expressed concern. "But Giselle Roysevin is wanted all over the country. It will be very troublesome to keep her." In that moment, Renil's face looked a bit sad. Seeing that, Bedro softly called, "Mr. Renil," he unexpectedly interjected. "The trial period for employees is 1 month. Her nickname is Crazy Giselle, so just call her that. She will like it." After a long while, the sunset gradually shone on the mansion. At the same time, Renil sat silently on the chair, only to see him half close his eyes as if he was meditating. Later, Renil spoke slowly. "Is she sleeping?" The butterfly sprites quickly replied, "Yes, she is asleep." Seeing that, he sighed helplessly. "There is no vigilance at all." Immediately afterwards, Renil walked quickly down to a basement. He moved to a wooden door. Immediately afterwards, Renil waved his hand and energy flew out. A seal immediately appeared on the door. After finishing, Renil sighed. He thought, "How troublesome, but now I have to adjust my magic. There is no choice but to use the transfer portal." As soon as the thought was finished, Renil stepped closer to the matrix. He glanced around the room. "I have to ask someone to help arrange the furniture at the shop." A moment later, Renil cautiously opened the door to the room. He sat by Giselle's bed, whispering, "Giselle." At the same time, she was still asleep. Now, the butterfly sprites spoke. "Master, should we stay and continue to protect her?" Renil nodded. "Until she wakes up." They could not help but wonder. "We won't let her die according to the previous order, right?" Renil did not answer. He just nodded as an answer. He unconsciously remembered Bedro's warning. But Giselle Roysevin is wanted everywhere. It will be very troublesome to keep her. Thinking of this, Renil questioned himself. Until now, I usually avoid direct conflict with Dylan, but everything was different when Giselle was captured by him. Is Giselle's life worth these troubles? He gently stroked Giselle's hair, thinking, "We have to wait and see. I do not even know, so there is nothing left but to keep an eye on her." A moment later, the scene switched to a magnificent castle. In the room, Dylan Starcy painfully gritted his teeth. His sweat poured out like a stream. Viviana Charlotte carefully used magic to heal all the bleeding wounds of Dylan Starcy. After a struggle, she said softly, exhausted, "Dylan, I have finished healing." Hearing this, he replied sincerely, "Thank you, Viviana." Viviana Charlotte, the female lead in Poison Apple, as if she had struck gold, she smiled and affirmed, "This is nothing." Suddenly, Dylan Starcy gritted his teeth and scolded, "Viviana, that witch has joined forces with the dark mage again." Viviana Charlotte next to him immediately came closer to comfort. "Dylan," he sternly suggested, "you should return to the estate." But she resolutely refused. "No, I want to act with you." Dylan Starcy was furious and questioned loudly, "No way. Have you forgotten how many times that woman has tried to kill you?" Viviana Charlotte gently wrung a handkerchief, thinking, "It is rumored that Giselle Roysevin has changed." He angrily interrupted her. "Not changed, but gone crazy. The situation is even worse," causing Viviana Charlotte to be momentarily startled. "Dylan," she earnestly begged, "we need to give her a chance to be forgiven by God." Viviana Charlotte affirmed with hope, "If it is now, I can still purify her." Before these words, Dylan Starcy still resolutely objected. "Viviana, there is only one way to purify a soul possessed by evil magic. There is no other way but to completely burn it with purifying fire. Above all, what if you are in danger again?" He worriedly gripped her hand tightly, emphasizing, "You know how evil that woman is. Even if she does not do anything temporarily now, she will soon do even more terrible things." Dylan Starcy lowered his voice helplessly. "Giselle Roysevin has lost the qualification to come to God. Do not use your power for someone like her," causing Viviana Charlotte to be confused and hesitant. "Dylan, but..." She still expressed pity. "I feel sorry for her." Hearing that, Dylan Starcy immediately stood up and announced, "That woman is not worthy of pity. I will take care of her myself." Seeing that, Viviana Charlotte came closer to remind, "I understand, but please be careful. I hate to see you injured." He looked at her with a loving smile. "I understand." Suddenly, she fell into contemplation and called softly, "But Dylan, ah." Viviana Charlotte asked with a confused face, "Have you heard any news about Renil?" causing Dylan Starcy to freeze. But he quickly controlled his emotions and said coldly, "No, I have not yet." This made Viviana Charlotte even more anxious. She wondered in confusion, where is Renil and what is he doing? At this moment, Dylan's Darcy turned and left. He did not forget to say, I do not know, Viviana. I think you should go back immediately tomorrow. That night, at a luxurious mansion, Giselle Roysevin showed wide eyes when she looked at the scene before her. She unconsciously exclaimed when she met the familiar figures. The villains that she had only seen in the story were now standing right in front of her. Sulian could not help but be excited, approaching her curiously. So that is true. He took the initiative to openly strike up a conversation. Hello, Giselle Roysevin. My name is Sulian. I am a doctor, and I also research medicine. Hearing this, Sulian was excited, thinking to himself, I know. You are the mad scientist who uses humans to experiment with drugs. Moreover, you are also addicted to drugs. She recalled nostalgically. When he was young, he accidentally drank the wrong medicine, so his body stopped growing. He looks very young, but I know he is actually quite old. In the story, he experimented on Viviana's living body, then was caught and beheaded by Dylan. Giselle Roysevin secretly guessed. The man after him must be Gilberton. Although his skills in using evil magic are at an average level, he is famous for working hard to make up for his shortcomings. To become an outstanding magic knight. I thought he was Wayne's personal guard. Why is he here? Then she realized in surprise. And, is not that the middle-aged woman Windria? Her skills are on par with the butler Pedro, which makes her Wayne's powerful right hand. In the original, she is not only a top-notch necromancer, but also a curse mage. It really feels like stepping out of a novel. Before this situation, Giselle Roysevin was obviously happy, praising in her heart excitedly. It is so cool, this is really the world inside Poison Apple. And maybe because they are supporting villains, so I do not feel heavy. Actually, it feels like I am in a fan meeting. Suddenly, Sulian unexpectedly spoke, causing her whole body to jump. It is rumored that you are very crazy. It must be true, right? Giselle Roysevin hesitated for a moment, not knowing what to say. Sorry, but I have not even opened the door yet. How did everyone get into the shop, and it is not opening time yet? Suddenly from afar, a voice unexpectedly rang out, directly tearing apart the story. So, you have really been hired to work here. The man politely bowed to introduce himself. It is a pleasure to meet you. I am the owner of this building, Pedro. Through just a few short sentences, she remembered most of the key information about him. He is Wayne's assistant, Pedro. Moreover, he is also the owner of this building. Pedro quickly got straight to the point. I heard you became a trainee at the shop, and the trial period is 1 month. Giselle Roysevin admitted without hesitation. Yes, at the same time wondering in her heart, how did the owner of the building know my trial period? He bluntly questioned her. I also heard that your real name is Crazy Giselle, right? Giselle Roysevin grimaced upon hearing that and forced a smile. She shouted in flames in her heart, Renil. Then unconsciously remembered his detestable face and teasing words. You are so interesting to observe. Giselle Roysevin was furious, thinking, I want to retract all the thanks for saving me. Very quickly afterwards, she gritted her teeth and continued, just Giselle is fine. Pedro did not spare her and reminded again, but he insists that you are crazy, Giselle. Once again, Giselle Roysevin firmly asserted, I am not crazy. Standing on one side, Windria cautiously clicked her tongue. When I heard the rumors, I thought she was just acting, but it seems like she is really crazy. Gilberton also nodded in agreement, whispering, they said that she drank the wrong medicine. In contrast to them, Sulian was excited to an unusual extent. He repeatedly clapped his thighs. She will go crazy if she drinks the wrong medicine, causing Giselle Roysevin to clench her fists in anger. I said I am not, you old man. Out of options, she had to sigh helplessly. Okay, you can call me whatever you want. Getting the upper hand, the group did not hesitate to tease. Yes, Crazy Giselle, hello, Crazy Giselle. Once again, Giselle Roysevin fell into a dire situation. Not knowing what to do, I have to endure. Fortunately, Windria knew what to do and thought, it is too long, I will just call you Giselle. Giselle, my name is Windria Gilberton. Then, also introduced, I am Gilberton. Giselle Roysevin was startled and replied in confusion, oh yes, hello everyone, ah. As her words finished, Pedro spoke, interrupting, by the way, I am the one who called them here. He seriously recounted, I heard that you need to rearrange the furniture. Immediately, Giselle Roysevin said politely, yes, thank you for everyone's help. Unable to hide the surprise in her heart. Does the homeowner in this world also help the tenant to arrange the furniture? Then, first, just do as the homeowner tells me. After a while, everyone and Giselle Roysevin worked together to clean the house. She suddenly turned to strike up a conversation. Excuse me, Mr. Homeowner. Pedro cut her off directly after hearing that. Just call me Pedro is fine. Giselle Roysevin widened her eyes in confusion. Okay, Mr. Pedro, do you keep in touch with my boss? He continued a bit confused. Who is your boss? She replied briefly. It is Renil. Ah, no, it is Mr. Renil. Pedro became serious here. No, I heard that he won't be able to go out for a while because of urgent business. During that time, I was asked to take care of the shop in his place. He recalled nostalgically. He said that you have a lot of fears and are quite timid, so you can't even touch the cursed items. That is why he needs my help. Before these words, Giselle Roycevan was somewhat relieved. I understand. She secretly speculated. Reniel must have left after explaining the situation to Pedro. Giselle Roycevan recalled in confusion, thinking about it. Do all the characters in the story have personality disorders, whether it is Dylan or the villains? Their personalities are somehow very different from what I imagined. Before long, the room was cleaned up neatly. Sitting at the dining table, Giselle Roycevan continued to ask her questions, so everyone also moved into this building like me. Ah, Solian quickly admitted. That is right, he said excitedly. The only clinic for the dark forces that I manage is right next to this convenience store, of course, without a license. Solian kept talking, and Windria's lab is on the top floor. The room next to it is Gilberton's barracks. The more she listened, the more Giselle Roycevan could not hide the interest. Her eyes lit up. This is really... She unconsciously laughed out loud and praised. It is like a villain's base. Solian also laughed along as if he had a good harvest, right, huh? Suddenly he stopped, his face full of worry. But what should we do with that bruise? I do not have anything to heal that bruise. Windria, hearing this, also gave up and shook her head. I do not think curse magic will work, and I can't do healing spells, so I do not know how to heal it either. Viviana Charlotte knew what to do and quickly reassured, I know that dark mages can't use healing magic, so it is okay. She thought similarly, the only thing that can't be done with white magic is using curses. Then she forced a smile and shrugged. Well then, I am sure the bruise will disappear soon on its own. But Gilberton, sitting next to her, flatly denied. No, because that bastard's magic is like dirty white magic. These words made her confused and frowned. Dirty white magic. Clenching the glass in his hand, he asserted with fierce killing intent, it is poison to people like us. Before these words, Viviana Charlotte was momentarily bewildered. White magic? She asked blankly, is it poison to us? Windria explained grimly, that is roughly it, because white magic and black magic are mortal enemies. Viviana Charlotte's face immediately turned pale. She anxiously hugged her neck. Poison, then. Is it possible that white magic won't work on me? It can't be that. Because poison and energy are completely different. They can't even be compared. Solian added with an intellectual air, energy is a type of power that can be used by knights like Dylan. It has no shape and is similar to magic. More specifically, talking about the biggest difference, magic is an innate ability, while energy is a skill that can be achieved through diligent training. Viviana Charlotte recalled in confusion. Thinking about it, in the story, was not Viviana's role to support Dylan in training. It is possible that white magic and energy have some similarities. However, even if Dylan's energy has the same characteristics as white magic, it still can't be determined whether it will leave a serious impact on me. Thinking of this, she frowned worriedly. But I am not a dark witch, so maybe the energy won't affect me. Not letting her calm down, Windria bluntly cut in. Didn't you join forces with the dark witch and perform forbidden magic? So, somehow, your body has been infected with dark magic. Causing Viviana Charlotte to shout in shock. Really? Oh my god! She thought confusedly, I need to sort out my thoughts first. Then she actively stood up and suggested, okay, I will get some more food. Solian also agreed, okay. On the way out, she was attracted by a small mirror. Looking at her image in it, Viviana Charlotte wondered. So did he use energy when he strangled me? No wonder it does not look like a normal bruise. From afar, Solian unexpectedly came to scold. Anyway, that guy is really rude. How can he strangle other people like that? Just as I thought, there is nothing good about people close to those white mages. He sighed in frustration, especially with a crazy person. Was not he a bit too much? Before these words, Viviana Charlotte could only smile. I am glad you are on my side. But please do not treat me like a crazy person anymore. Windria considerately came forward from afar, taking the tray of cakes for her. Even so, no dark mage has survived. When encountering Dylan, you must be very lucky. Solian put on a scary face, intending to scare Viviana Charlotte. That is right, he is a terrifying fear to many dark mages. I bet that bastard's blood is blue. I must draw his blood out to see later, Windria helplessly reminded. You will die if you keep doing that. But Solian still insisted. Windria, admit it. You also want to experiment on him. That is right, Windria did not deny and explained. Because it is very difficult to find a corpse as good as that. However, I won't sacrifice myself just for that corpse. Standing on one side, Viviana Charlotte was speechless, shouting in her heart, everyone, the topic of this conversation is really not normal. At all. Suddenly, Solian rushed over and gave her a mysterious object. Giselle, take this. She was startled and quickly replied, yes, you scared me. He carefully instructed, carry it with you and throw it when you meet Dylan. A small amount of information about the item gradually appeared. A strange stone, an item from the shop. Viviana Charlotte frowned suspiciously. Mr. Gilberton. Ah, I do not think you know this, but this is a product of the shop, and it looks quite expensive. This surprised Gilberton. So what? She was speechless, crying in her heart. I do not know what to say. At this moment, Sullivan sternly reminded again. As Gilberton said, you should carry some items for self-defense, because Dylan is as brutal as his appearance. He is famous for going all the way, once he makes a move. Hearing this, Viviana Charlotte unconsciously fell into contemplation. In the story, Dylan is an extremely upright person, so he will definitely pursue me to the end. He had questioned, how do you know about my abilities? Causing her to feel regret. I made a mistake that time. Viviana Charlotte anxiously clenched her palm. The ability to see through the nature of Dylan is the ultimate secret only revealed in the later parts of the story. Why did I reveal that I know about his ability so blatantly? She was momentarily tense and hugged her head. Now Dylan will even rush to find and kill me because of that, right? Noticing that her emotions were not good, Windria gently reassured. Don't worry too much. Even if Dylan appears, we won't let him go. Sullivan, standing next to her, affirmed with a smile. That is right. We will open our eyes wide and watch over you, because you are the only employee of that shop. Windria seriously added, even if you get hurt a little, I guarantee to protect you and not let you die. We look like this, but all three of us are quite strong. Coming to this, Viviana Charlotte had somewhat calmed down and smiled. It is okay. I will take care of myself and protect myself. But not letting her finish speaking, Windria considerately interrupted. If the adults say they will protect you, then you just need to thank them and take it. She did not forget to tease. Of course, Sullivan, even though he is old, he is still lacking a lot to be called an adult, causing him to shout bitterly, Windria. Viviana Charlotte unconsciously burst into tears. Tears of emotion rolled down her cheeks. When she realized it, Windria asked in a panic, what is wrong? Why are you crying? Sullivan also could not help but ask in surprise, does your neck hurt? Viviana Charlotte wiped her tears and hesitated. No, it is just, honestly, no one has ever said that they will protect me. She remembered with a heartache. Before coming to this world, I had to manage everything myself. Sullivan was terrified. His face clearly showed the words, worry. What did that bastard Dylan do to scare Giselle like this? Why is the brutal Giselle Royston so soft? Gilberton reassured softly. Don't worry, it is very safe here. Sullivan smiled and nudged. That is right, especially Gilberton here. Will protect you, right? Gilberton received the signal immediately and said firmly, yes. He added confidently, and you will have the special privilege of hiding in the back room of Mr. Sullivan's clinic. Holding the strange sphere in her hand, she suddenly felt a little flutter. Somehow. I no longer feel afraid to touch the cursed items here. She scratched her head and smiled happily while thinking. Outside, warm rays of sunlight had gradually shone down on the house. Viviana Charlotte determined to herself, both the story with Dylan and me falling into this world. I know it is very complicated, but I can't keep being depressed. She quickly regained her spirit and said loudly, that is right, I am the only employee of the shop. Let us open the door now. Viviana Charlotte enthusiastically raised her hand, affirming, to earn money, I have to act now. At this moment, Renille suddenly appeared behind her and questioned, you have to earn money to get paid, right? She was scared. Her whole body jumped and stepped back. Viviana Charlotte, burning with anger, scolded, Boss, you really are. I understand you want to enter the shop by transferring instead of going through the door, but please make some noise. Renille, hearing this, sighed calmly. Everyone else here noticed my presence. It is just that you did not pay attention, causing her to say loudly, even more resentfully. What do you mean, who is everyone else? He listed shamelessly, Pedro, Sullivan, Windria, Gilberton. Before these words, she shouted in confusion again. They are different from a normal person like me. Renille could not help but laugh. Seeing you so noisy, it seems like it has gotten better. Looking at the decorated scenery around, she confidently admitted, yes, well, I have finished arranging the furniture, and also rested. Viviana Charlotte was momentarily at a loss for words, but she worriedly asked, do you feel okay, boss? Causing Renille to freeze. Seeing that, he immediately changed the subject. We can talk about me later. Anyway, I heard you cried. Right, Viviana. Charlotte answered honestly, yes. Ah. Renille brazenly teased. They told me already, you cried a lot because you were touched when they said they would protect you. Viviana Charlotte blushed and quickly cut in loudly. No, that? He asked a little disappointed. When I saved you, you had to reluctantly say thank you, yet when they said they would protect you, you cried. These words caused Viviana Charlotte to be stunned and stop. She recalled the memories with him and asked, what do you mean when you say I was reluctant to? Viviana Charlotte immediately clenched her hand, affirming, you are the person I am most grateful to, boss. Ah. As her words finished, Renille did not say a word and thoughtfully put a scarf on her. This caused her to blush awkwardly. After a while, Viviana Charlotte asked blankly, what is this? He said softly, it is a temporary solution for your neck. Next time, I will find something better. She heard this and was even more impressed. Something better, huh? As she finished speaking, Renille quickly turned and left. Now then, prepare to go out. Viviana Charlotte asked loudly in confusion, go out where? What about the shop? He replied calmly. Closing for a day is okay. Just like that, Ranil said triumphantly, emphasizing. Today, I will take you to visit this city. The street of the villains, the scene quickly switched outside. Witnessing the scene before her, Viviana Charlotte could not help but exclaim, "Oh my God." She realized in surprise. The main road is right in front of the shop. Does not that mean the location of the shop is very prime? Ranil smiled brightly to introduce. This is the most prosperous place in this city. That food shop is famous for its fresh and delicious fruits, he said confidently. And next to it is the biggest snack shop in Van Hel, causing her to widen her eyes excitedly. Ranil said smugly. Occasionally, there will be sausage carts coming in front of the shop, because whoever comes first gets it first, so if you want to eat, run out immediately. The more she heard, the more Viviana Charlotte's eyes revealed excitement. This is the best. She happily hugged her face, thinking to herself, I am so excited. There are delicious restaurants all around. I guess working here is not that bad. But in the next second she stopped. Or is it not? She flustered and grabbed Ranil's coat, stopping him. Wait. It is good that there are many things to eat around the shop, but not this, right? Viviana Charlotte asked softly. We are villains. Will it be okay if the shop is on the main road like this? Ranil could not control his smile. He gently reassured. It is okay, this is Van Hel. This place is quite far from the city we were in last time. Viviana Charlotte asked again with wide eyes, Van Hel. She asked in terror. Van Hel mentioned in the original is a city that only criminals can enter, right? Viviana Charlotte recalled in horror. To live in Van Hel, there is only one rule that criminals have to follow is, anyone who causes a commotion blatantly will be exiled immediately. That is why the people in this city do not seem to care much about other people's business. Back to reality, Ranil asked loudly, brazenly. Do you understand? Viviana Charlotte sighed in relief. Yes, it is also worth it for our shop to be right on the main road, she confidently affirmed, because Van Hel is also the main base of the leader, Wayne Alrea. Ranil lowered his head grimly. As expected, she knew. He seriously questioned. Tell me the truth. How well do you understand Wayne Aori? Viviana Charlotte put on a flustered face and replied. Well, I only know what the other members of the Black Cloud also know, right? Just a little bit, although I know a little about the future. But I do not know the details about his identity. At the same time, thinking in her heart, in the novel, he is a very handsome person with silver hair. Ranil was momentarily silent and pondered. Are you sure, Viviana? Charlotte replied with wide eyes. Yes. Suddenly her stomach rumbled. Ranil laughed helplessly and lowered his voice. Should we go eat lunch? A while later, Viviana Charlotte was devouring a table full of delicious food. Ranil still kept a calm attitude and looked at her with infatuation. After eating her fill, she praised excitedly. The food at that shop was really delicious, you know. Seeing that, he could not help but think. The food costs will be very high. Just like that, Viviana Charlotte skipped happily on the road. I am free to walk around without having to hide anymore. She happily affirmed, from now on, Van Hel will be my second hometown. This scene unintentionally made Ranil's cold heart beat faster. He asked curiously, So, where is your first hometown? She turned around and replied, There is such a place. Thinking in her heart, even if I say it, you would not know. A blurry dark shadow suddenly flashed by. Ranil pulled her back in time. Hey, be careful. Standing in his arms, she was a little confused. Thank you. Then she quickly was at a loss for words, saying to herself, I almost got run over. Ranil sighed in frustration. If you get into an accident here, the fault will be on the injured person. This caused Viviana Charlotte to jump. Where is there such a thing? He replied briefly. Here. Ranil smiled and emphasized. That exists in Van Hel. She was scared and stammered. But did not you say that people will be exiled if they cause trouble? He calmly continued. That is, if commotions happen. Then, unconsciously, Ranil put on a scary face and said in a low voice, That means, if you keep silent, no one will make a fuss about it. Viviana Charlotte cried in her heart after hearing that. I will retract my words about this city becoming my second hometown. She trembled and leaned close to Ranil, just as I thought the shop is the safest place. Taking the opportunity, Ranil suggested with a smile. That is why, if you intend to go out, bring Gilberton along. Hearing this, Viviana Charlotte immediately came to her senses. Mr. Gilberton, is not he the leader's guard? Ranil asked back. Him. Did he say he is Wayne's guard? She honestly replied, he did not say it, but somehow I just felt that way. Causing him to suspect, is this one of the information that you know? Viviana Charlotte was once again speechless, turning away before Ranil's teasing. He chuckled and explained, Gilberton is a subordinate, who is very obedient to the leader, so if the leader requests assistance, he will listen. Seeing that, Viviana Charlotte was surprised and widened her eyes, so then that means the leader ordered Mr. Gilberton to protect me. She could not hide the excitement in her eyes and wondered, Does the leader know me, boss? Will you introduce me to him? Will he come to the shop? Can I meet him? The many questions coming in droves made Renil uncomfortable. Do you want to meet him that much? Viviana Charlotte realized that and felt confused. What is wrong? Why is he so cold? Does he feel reluctant to introduce me to his superior like that? Immediately, she blurted out a sentence that caused Renil to stiffen. Of course, I heard that he is very handsome. He was momentarily speechless and did not know what to say. Renil awkwardly covered his face and turned away. Well then, that is not wrong. Contrary to him, Viviana Charlotte kept calculating in her heart, if I get to work for Wayne, could it be that he hates it because his workload will increase? She asked. I heard that his silver hair is very beautiful. Is that true? Renil was still embarrassed and replied perfunctorily. Maybe, yeah. Viviana Charlotte did not realize the situation and kept praising. They said that it is a beauty that you will never forget once you have seen it. She actively suggested, the leader already knows me, so please let me meet him once. I have not seen anyone with silver hair before. Renil, hearing that, scratched his head in confusion. Do you like silver hair that much? Viviana Charlotte blushed and said awkwardly, well, instead of liking it, I find it more interesting. He glanced far away and asked, so, what about black hair? She immediately paused and questioned, you do not tell me you are jealous of the leader's beauty, do you? Renil was speechless and shouted loudly, why do you praise someone you have never met so much? Why are you so superficial, huh? Viviana Charlotte quickly asked back, so are you saying that the leader is not handsome? Renil froze and clicked his tongue. Well, he is really very handsome. She felt a little annoyed and took long strides, leaving Renil behind. He unconsciously fell into contemplation, revealing a cold gaze. Renil recalled the words Viviana Charlotte had said. You said you are part of the Black Cloud. I know the future of some important people there. These words caused him to question a few important people. Renil said seriously, I have something to ask you. According to the future of the important people you said. Viviana Charlotte replied, yes. Renil stared and questioned. Those very important people, does it include Dylan Starcy? Viviana Charlotte bluntly admitted, yes. He asked curiously, really, so what is his end? Is he also poisoned? She immediately affirmed, he will be killed, causing Renil to be even more tense. By whom? Viviana Charlotte decisively continued, Wayne Aylry. Renil, hearing that, laughed. Is that so? He asked back with a sinister smile. So that is his future, huh? This caused Viviana Charlotte to be confused. Why is he so happy to hear that Dylan will be murdered? She bit her lip in confusion. Does he hate Dylan that much? Because he has been an enemy of the Black Mages for a long time. At this moment, Renil unexpectedly interrupted her train of thought. Let us go. Looking at that cold back, she wondered, or is there something else? Very quickly they arrived in front of the house. Renil took the initiative to say goodbye. I have something to do. I will go first. She heard that and asked, you are busy again. He admitted, yeah, you go in and rest. Furthermore, he did not forget to summon a brilliant force in front of her. Viviana Charlotte exclaimed in surprise. The butterflies, it seems like they are still safe. Renil softly introduced, that one is named Ren, and the blue one is named Ban. Viviana Charlotte could not hide the joy and brightened her eyes. So their names are Ren and Ban. He smiled and continued. You can't communicate with summoned beasts if you do not know their names. I heard that you treated them badly because they did not understand what you were saying. Right. So that is why I am telling you their names now. Viviana Charlotte, being hit right in the bullseye, bristled like a hedgehog. What? I did not. She quickly explained, I did not treat them badly, right you two, say something too, Ren, Ban. Ren and Ban scolded at the same time. We were trying to warn her, but she said we were mating, idiot. She can't understand our language, idiot. But Viviana Charlotte was pale at this moment, understanding everything. Hey. Renil did not hesitate to tease. Now you understand each other. You can say the thank you that you have not said before. Did not you say that you should thank the butterflies before me? Ah! She was teased to helplessness and shouted, Mr. Boss, really? I can't believe you are still resenting it. Sitting in the office, Viviana Charlotte hugged her face and regretted while eating, because Wayne sent Mr. Gilberton to be my bodyguard. I thought Wayne would also drop by the convenience store soon. She frowned and sighed. The hope of being satisfied with handsome guys is gone. As expected, meeting Wayne in real life is not easy. As soon as she finished speaking, Ren and Ban spoke in unison. I wish my mating partner was both strong and beautiful. If you want to meet a good partner, you have to be strong and beautiful first. Viviana Charlotte, hearing this, pouted and stopped. Hey, I know I was wrong for misunderstanding you two, but please do not keep babbling about mating, okay? They continued. You are too lazy. Why do you always snack every day and not exercise? She still insisted. For employees like me, taking in sugar is a matter of survival. What do you butterflies know? Ren and Ban teased again. I give up. Like this you will definitely not meet an excellent dating partner, causing Viviana Charlotte to hug her face in anger. Come on. What do I have to do to make them stop? I do not know. She suddenly woke up and asked them, by the way, how do you usually talk to the shop owner? Use something like telepathy. Ah. But one of them rejected it, showing disgust. We can only answer when the master allows it. Viviana Charlotte was stunned, thinking, that means they only talk when Renil wants to. I thought if I could talk to the butterflies, I would be able to contact Renil quickly in case of emergency. Suddenly one of them spoke. But if we are attacked, the master will know immediately, causing her to laugh in frustration. But it would be better if you do not get attacked. Taking a book, Viviana Charlotte thought in her heart. The matter of contacting Renil early is now gone. Should I sort out the contents that will happen in the novel? Because I have been targeted by Dylan, I should at least prepare something. Then she ordered loudly to Ren and Bon, I will be working, so do not talk to me. She quickly tallied each main event in the plot. At the end of part 1, the female villain Giselle dies, and when the real villain, Wayne Aylry, starts to appear, is when part 2 begins. Giselle Roysevin emphasized tensely, Viviana, Dylan, and Wayne, the event that leads the three of them to meet again is the assembly of the Black Mages. Especially, Wayne has gathered the Black Mages scattered everywhere to bring all the countries an influence of dark magic. In the process, the event is organized to show off the power of the Black Mages. It is the assembly. In the original, she bit her pen and pondered. I remember that the Black Mages plan to use a whole city as a sacrifice. Poison Apple is a novel focused on the emotions of the characters. So I do not know specifically what the Black Mages did. Giselle Roysevin questioned herself. And at that time, Viviana was cursed and gradually dying, right? That was a powerful curse that Giselle used her life to create before dying. Thinking of this, her face suddenly turned pale. Huh. But right now, Giselle has used her life to summon me instead of cursing Viviana. Ah. Giselle Roysevin immediately slammed the table in shock. She realized in horror. Did everything start to change from here? Without hesitation, Giselle Roysevin directly listed a series of bad cases. So now Viviana is no longer cursed anymore. Ah, then what will happen? A healthy Viviana will be even stronger than in the original. She unconsciously jumped and quickly closed the book. Who knows if the Black Mages will be defeated, then would not I be finished too? Giselle Roysevin's mind was spinning around, thinking, the only place I can rely on is this place. Then should not I fight with all my might for the mage side? She turned pale and asked herself, if the curse is completed, will everything go back to the way it was? At the same time, Windria unexpectedly appeared from afar. What is wrong? Do you need a curse? This caused Giselle Roysevin to shout in panic. Windria, since when have you been here? She calmly waved her hand. I just arrived. If you need a curse, just say it. I will give you a special discount. Giselle Roysevin was a little confused after hearing that. No, I mean... She stammered, asking, is the curse very complicated? Windria scratched her head embarrassedly. Want to learn? I can curse for you, but I do not accept disciples. From afar, Ten suddenly opened the door and called loudly, Mez. Windria, causing her to be annoyed. Oh God. Giselle Roysevin realized in surprise. It is Ten. She thought confusedly, for some reason meeting Mr. Ten at this new shop feels strange, then remembered nostalgically when Ten was still working at the old shop. Ten at this time sobbed and clasped his hands. Ms. Windria, I can't believe you came in person when I am still here. Ah, Giselle Roysevin said helplessly. Now does not seem like the right situation to strike up a conversation. Windria frowned and questioned. My lab is right above this shop, so there is no need to call a delivery person anymore, right? Causing Ten's heart to ache and cry. What do you mean delivery person? Was not I Windria's only disciple? She then shouted loudly. I have said that I do not accept disciples anymore. What is wrong with you? Ten still insisted. What about our beautiful memories? Causing Giselle Roysevin to freeze. I know he is a black magic apprentice, but I did not think his teacher was Ms. Windria. Furthermore, Ms. Bees. Windria does not even recognize him. That means he is just a self-proclaimed disciple. He pleaded earnestly, Ms. Windria, please do not abandon me. Noticing the bad situation, Giselle Roysevin took the initiative to quell the two people. Sir, you can't do that in this place. Please come back after you are done arguing outside. Well then, Mr. Ten was just like an immature child in front of Ms. Windria. After chasing the two people away, she sighed tiredly. Oh God. Giselle Roysevin had not been sitting at the table for long, and the sound of knocking on the door unexpectedly rang out. Are you done arguing? The group entered jubilantly, causing her to welcome them happily. Welcome. Giselle Roysevin forced a smile helplessly. I must take the opportunity to rearrange the plot before sleeping, or when I am free. I am too busy, oh God. From afar, a butterfly suddenly flew close to her. The scene switched to a dark place. Renil at this time was standing pensively. He unconsciously laughed and praised. I thought she would leave the shop to go out and play. Who knew she is quite diligent. Renil recalled nostalgically. When I was working at the old shop, I would always wander around in the alley when I was free, but now she is quite diligent. He was satisfied, thinking, originally it is a shop where there are more days off than work days, so even if she leaves the shop for a while, surely no one would say anything. But in the next second, a shout suddenly rang out, interrupting Renil's train of thought. You dirty black mages! The old prisoner provoked loudly. How long do you think you can still be arrogant like this? A soldier could not help but kick him. Shut up, you dirty traitor. He and his comrades turned angrily and requested, Mr. Wayne, I guarantee I will make him talk. If you give him to me, I will get everything out of his head. Wayne Aylray, hearing this, agreed. From afar, a person unexpectedly came forward and called loudly, Mr. Wayne. He immediately turned around in horror. Renil appeared with a fierce killing intent, suggesting, Can you give that person to me? Wayne Aylray did not hesitate to reply, Okay, I will give him to you. He could not help but laugh in satisfaction after hearing that, Thank you for this valuable opportunity. But not letting him finish speaking, an angry voice unexpectedly roared. Appearing out of nowhere, Wayne Aylray sternly ordered, The rest of you, get out. The soldiers obediently followed. Yes, yes. The door was slowly closed by him very carefully. Just like that, each iron chain was neatly tied up. The prisoner shouted bitterly, You won't hear anything from my mouth. Do you understand? Renil immediately used a rag to gag his mouth. He threatened coldly, You do not need to talk, just do not die. Wayne Aylray, knowing what to do, took the initiative to speak. I will rebuild the protection barrier one more time, causing Renil to be satisfied and applaud. Good. With just a snap of his fingers, he easily summoned a chair. Renil sat down solemnly like a leader. He stroked his chin and wondered, To have perfect silver hair, I have to use how much magic power? Wayne Aylray asked confusedly, Are you asking me, causing Renil to be a little annoyed, or would I ask that gagged person? He coughed and replied embarrassedly, It is just that I rarely see you come in person. Are you planning to change your hair color? Wayne Aylray continued, Just one person is not enough. Renil asked back, Even if I try my best. He honestly admitted, Yes, it is impossible. Very quickly he fell into contemplation and thought. Wayne Aylray, standing next to him, was worried in his heart seeing that. What is wrong? Usually you can't even stand one strand of hair turning silver. Could it be that this time it is a serious matter? Renil unexpectedly spoke. Do you think? He blushed and asked softly, Is my silver hair beautiful and sparkling? These words caused Wayne Aylray to freeze for 5 seconds, He asked in confusion. Could it be that the new employee's dementia is a type of contagious disease? Renil understood quickly and scoffed angrily, knowing to say fancy words even when asking if I am. Crazy, huh? Suddenly Wayne Aylray leaned over, causing Renil to be confused. What is it? He turned to ask, Do you think my hair is beautiful and sparkling? He was scared and waved his hand away. Are you crazy? Wayne Aylray solemnly emphasized, That is the answer I wanted to send to you. Renil sighed in frustration after hearing that, You are too boring. He gritted his teeth and added, If you want to use a lot of magic power, then you should move around for a few days. Using magic power foolishly like this time will be depleted right away. Renil frowned and affirmed, foolishly. It is because I have the ability that I can do this. Wayne Aylray still insisted. It is an unnecessary waste of magic power. He said grimly. Anyway, I was surprised to learn that you moved the convenience store to Van Hel. You always chose to open the shop right in front of the knights because you said Van Hel was too safe. So it was not fun at all. Hearing this, Renil unconsciously chuckled and said softly, The employee at the convenience store is a bit foolish. Then he suddenly stopped smiling and paused. In addition, Renil remembered nostalgically the events that had passed. Dylan had marked Giselle's neck with his own magic power. If you want to avoid the owner of the magic power, following the mark. Hiding in Van Hel, where the magic power is chaotic, is the best choice. He suddenly felt dizzy and thought, Although the mark does not exist forever, it can't be forcibly erased either. I have to wait and hope that it disappears as soon as possible. Renil unconsciously clicked his tongue in frustration. Damn it, what a bastard that makes people annoyed. He helplessly lowered his head. Anyway, when you are done, drop by the convenience store right away. There is a fervent admirer waiting for you. Wayne Aylray quickly recognized it and asked, Are you talking about that trainee employee? Renil proudly corrected, No longer a trainee employee. He smiled and praised, I plan to promote her to a full-time employee right away. She works very diligently. Wayne Aylray, seeing that, also interjected, thinking about it. Vara told me that thanks to that employee, the business is progressing smoothly. And he is very happy. He suddenly hesitated a little. Is it really that Giselle? Wayne Aylray hastily admitted. It seems like the rumors that she is crazy are true. In contrast to him, in Renil's eyes, she shone strangely. Crazy. No matter which angle you look at it from, she is too different from the real Giselle, so it is natural for others to feel that way. He sighed triumphantly. That is right. No one can guess who this Giselle is. Wayne Aolre thought with affection. In this world, the only person who can fully recognize you inside Giselle Roysevin is just me. He suddenly glared, but... Renil suddenly stood up and spoke. Are we just gonna let him wait like this forever? Of course not. We are both busy. Ah. He questioned the traitor with fierce killing intent. Isn't that right? The guy was immediately scared and trembled like a leaf. Renil continued to threaten. I will check inside his head first. This caused Wayne Aolre to be confused. Release him. He continued to consider. The bait must be attractive enough so that Dylan will divert his attention from my employee. Instead, he will chase after me. Renil unconsciously smirked. Even if you eventually let go. Thinking, he coldly waved his hand. Now that I think about it, if I mess up this guy's mind and then release him, that great white mage may realize what I am doing. The prisoner turned even paler after hearing that. Renil frowned and wondered. I wonder if the noble lady Viviana still remembers me. That night, at the familiar large house, Giselle Roysevin rested her chin on her hand, in frustration, lamenting, I just want to work peacefully. Before her, Tan was sobbing, Windria, when are you coming? Causing Giselle Roysevin to think wearily. Why did it turn out like this? I told you not to fall asleep here, mister. 10. Suddenly, a magical force floating in the air attracted Giselle Roysevin's attention. Huh, where did these black dust particles come from? She realized in surprise, poison powder. Without hesitation, Giselle Roysevin shouted in horror, Ren, do not kill him, he is a guest. Ren cursed in disgust. But he is too noisy, I can't sleep. Giselle Roysevin's face turned pale after hearing that. I agree, but you can't kill him anyway. She bristled like a hedgehog and shouted, Ban, you too, retract the anesthetic needle. On this side, Ten was still crying. There is no way, miss. Windria would abandon me like this. Witnessing that scene, Giselle Roysevin said helplessly, Now is not the time to cry. Mr. 10, you almost died just now. More importantly, she worriedly suggested, Please stop your summoned beasts. Suddenly, Renil unexpectedly appeared behind her, causing Giselle Roysevin to jump. Boss, He sternly questioned with killing intent, Why should I do that? Causing Giselle Roysevin to be confused. What is with the sudden scary atmosphere around this boss? Renil smiled sarcastically and solemnly told Giselle Roysevin, I left the convenience store for a bigger place, not for this purpose. She was still confused, not understanding clearly. What do you mean? His next words made Giselle extremely confused. That means it is not so that you can bring your lover back to the shop. What, lover, She seemed to have realized something and pointed forward with a dark face. Don't tell me you are talking about Mr. 10, right? Suddenly, Renil's expression and voice became very unpleasant. Why say his name to me when that name does not need to be remembered? Giselle explained, flusteredly. That is bad. Wait, do not... You know who Mr. 10 is? He is Ms. Windria's disciple, Her childish voice seemed to beg him. Also, do you think I have the mind to fall in love? I have enough things to worry about. Seeing Giselle like this, Renil had to stop for a few seconds. He immediately became happy and stroked her head gently, dotingly. Okay, I misspoke, do not touch the bangs. 10 had to swallow all this dog food and cried silently. But, why is he here? Giselle shyly did not dare to look directly. Well, at first it was really just a customer. But... Not letting her finish speaking, Renil interrupted. What kind of customers appear at this late hour? Just as I thought. Boss is different. Giselle, so mind and spirit with him for that one sentence. Then continued to explain. As an employee, I want to present this. After working for a period of time, I discovered some serious weaknesses. The customers here do not care about the shop's opening hours at all. She sighed with a tired expression. For example, the case of Mr. 10 and Ms. Windria. Mr. 10 just sits in the shop all day waiting, and Ms. Windria starts visiting the shop from early dawn to avoid him. Even when I am still sleeping, Ms. Windria will automatically open the door to put money on the counter and take the things too. Giselle looked at Renil with glittering eyes, hoping he would understand her meaning. If so, then what is the point of having shop opening hours? He wondered greatly. Windria can eliminate him by herself, why avoid him? At this time, she had fallen into a passive state, unable to speak. That then, it is related to the customer's personal matters a little, Giselle thought. Mr. 10 just keeps clinging to Ms. Windria asking her not to abandon him. Ms. Windria does not want to accept a disciple, so she avoids Mr. 10. But, can I say these things? Suddenly, Windria pushed the door open and entered. She smiled happily. Is the shop open today? Renil said in a voice that made Windria shudder. You can ask me directly. She tried hard not to show her discomfort. The shop is closed, so... His words seemed to remind her. When the shop has closed, please come back during opening hours. Yes. Renil gave an unfriendly smile. Furthermore, you are bringing private matters to this place. My employee just said that she feels threatened by that big guy. Can I handle this for you? Windria pulled Ten into her arms, using him as a shield. No need to bother you. Just leave it to me, I can handle it. Ten wanted to say something, but was stopped by her. Mice. Windria, you idiot. Sober up and come out here with me quickly. Windria slammed the door and left Ms. Windria, what is wrong? Even Giselle had to be helpless before this scene. I did not expect Ms. Windria to be so afraid of the boss. But it is clear that it is thanks to her that Mr. Ten kept his life. Renil's tone was full of challenge. What? Do you feel disappointed that he was chased away? No, not at all. He came closer to her and asked a question. Then why are you looking at me so eagerly? Giselle sighed before this illusion. What eagerness? I am just worried with pure humanitarian love. She came forward to ask about the main topic. What is the matter with you coming at this hour? Renil scratched his head, embarrassed and not daring to look directly. Actually, I did not plan to drop by, but I saw a strange man in the shop and you looked tired. So I came to check if you were tricked again and wanted to chase after him. Giselle puffed her cheeks, showing suspicion. I am not that stupid. No one would go out and follow a stranger when it is dark. He nodded lazily, responding perfunctorily. Right, huh? She could not hold it in anymore and burst out. No, at that time, it was because that person took advantage of my kindness to help him move things. In the next second, Giselle yawned a long sigh. She was probably sleepy to the point. Anyway, now that you see there is nothing dangerous, go back to rest. I am going to rest too. Renil's voice was extremely calm. This is my shop. Where can I go back to? You should go home. Seriously, kicking people out at this hour, I can't condone this behavior. You were just getting rid of that annoying customer yourself. Talk about a troublesome boss. You need reminding, boss. I am alive and employee, remember. Giselle held up a finger, as if signaling, the only room in the shop is the one I am using, you know. Yeah, I know. Renil did not react for a long time, and she got a little worried. So where are you planning to sleep? In the room? You mean I have to sleep on the shop floor? His question put Giselle in a difficult spot, unsure how to answer. Why would you sleep on the floor when you have a room? What I mean is, she said boldly, no longer hesitant. There is only one room. Renil's handsome face flashed in Giselle's mind. Come to think of it, he suddenly mentioned the annoying guy Aiton, which is my boyfriend, right? And then he kicked him out. Her face flushed as she overthought things. And now he wants to sleep in the same room. Giselle covered herself with her hands and shouted, I do not do workplace romance, okay? He remained silent. Renil looked up and said something incredibly blunt. Are you actually crazy? She was so embarrassed, she did not know where to hide her face. That is not it. This is so awkward. It is you, boss, who said all those misleading things first. He turned to leave, but did not forget to say, I am tired. Close up the shop. Wait a minute, why are you heading towards my room? Are you sure you want to stay there? Renil did not answer, ignoring Giselle's scolding from behind. What a terrible boss. He suddenly turned his head, looking like he was trying to seduce someone. I was thinking of giving you a vacation starting tomorrow, since I can see you have been working hard. He thought that just a few days off could... Seeing the increasing benefits, Giselle immediately did a 180-degree turn. Plus vacation pay, boss, feel free to sleep in the bed, I can sleep on the floor. Renil said nothing more, just snapped his fingers once. In the very next second, a bed with complete bedding appeared before her. Not wanting to argue, he sat down on the bed and brushed it off. You are so noisy. Hurry up and go into the room. I will sleep here. Renil still was not done teasing her. And I do not like workplace romance either, got it? That made her tremble with embarrassment. Seriously, he is teasing me again. Time passed, and dawn slowly broke through the glass windows. Giselle woke up full of energy. Great, vacation, vacation, freedom for office workers. She happily ran outside. I am going to that bakery Celine recommended, and buying one of everything new. As excited as Giselle was, Renil was just as gloomy. Today will be a relaxing day. Only then did she notice him sitting and reading a book at the counter. What is going on? Didn't you leave, boss? He is still at the shop. Giselle said this, hoping Renil would understand. You can just leave the vacation money on the counter and go take care of your business. But he interpreted it crudely. So just leave the money and get lost, huh? What she meant and what she said were miles apart. Oh my gosh, that is not what I meant, but that is what it sounded like. He stood up to leave, but did not forget to tell Giselle, get ready to go out. We are going to get breakfast. She doubted his invitation. Go get breakfast. You said I was getting a vacation starting today. Ranil looked straight at her without looking away, then it is game on. Giselle hesitated, unsure what to say. I was planning to stay in my room. Hey, do you even know what a vacation means? Their concepts were completely different. It is playing, right? It is relaxing. He remained firm in his stance. It is the same thing. She immediately retorted, it is not the same, and even if it is playing, why would I play with you? Then what kind of vacation is that? It is just extra work. Ranil shook his head, exasperated. Looks like you have forgotten. He reminded her. The moment you step outside, you are a wanted criminal. This is Van Hell. We do not need to worry about the guards, right? It is full of criminals everywhere. Ranil's eyes and voice dropped a tone. Do you think, Giselle, that you are only hated by ordinary people? Giselle stared at him blankly. He moved closer to her. Normally, since you stay cooped up in the general store, no one dares to touch you. But do not go out alone. Giselle tried to justify, Gilberton is with me. Ranil directly exposed her. He is busy doing other things. I thought he told you. She shuddered, thinking, he did say. So I was only planning to stop by the bakery nearby, and go back to rest. Suddenly he mentioned Giselle again, and you too. Ranil reached out and slightly lifted her face. The bruise on your neck has not gone away yet, has it? His voice was incredibly gentle. Let us take care of it, okay? Giselle was still dazed. We're going to heal this bruise, where there is a place for that. She gently touched her neck, her eyes a little sad. Now that I think about it, the bruise is still as clear as when it first appeared. It is a little painful because it was caused by Dylan using all his mana. A memory surfaced, like Gilberton's advice, brings something for self-defense. Dylan is not a simple person. Giselle sighed helplessly. I can't take this anymore. What kind of vacation is this? Going with my boss. Fine, I am ready. Let us just go. Ranil looked her over and asked, Isn't that your work uniform? You are on vacation? Are you planning to wear that? She awkwardly replied, I do not have many clothes. He was somewhat suspicious of her answer. Then where did all the money I gave you go? She honestly said without hiding anything. People can't just live on rice. You know, I bought some snacks while I was in the store. Hearing those words, Ranil seemed a little taken aback. All that money. Living expenses in Van Hell are higher than I thought. Is it because it is in a bustling area? Just glancing down at the corner of the counter, he saw the snack box. Giselle quickly diverted the topic. Do you want to have breakfast together, boss? Ranil shook his head briefly. After eating, let us go buy some clothes. The two of them went outside, looking like a father taking his daughter shopping. That is great. Giselle happily expressed her feelings. You are really a good boss. I am willing to be loyal to you. He asked back with concern. Are you feeling any discomfort in your stomach? For some reason you can eat so much. She pouted as if she were sulking. I have not been able to eat as much as I want. You know, I welcomed you with all my heart, and yet you are suspecting me. Their conversation was going smoothly. I only left for a moment, and I saw you ordered a mountain of food. Do you know how many plates were piled up beside you? I had to eat to satisfy my cravings. Since the boss said he would pay, I had to eat something really fancy. At this moment, Ranil brought up the main thing they needed to do. All right, never mind. As long as you enjoy it, now let us go buy some clothes. Giselle remembered and immediately clutched her stomach in shock. Oh, that is right, I still have to buy clothes. She looked very pitiful. Why did not you stop me from eating earlier? Why, I did not think there would be a problem with buying clothes in my current size. Giselle cried silently. Boss, you are so clueless. There are a ton of problems. Upon entering the store, a server was already waiting for them. It is a pleasure to welcome you to our fashion boutique. She and Ranil stepped inside, and the female server immediately recognized her. Oh my gosh! She happily greeted Giselle like a close sister. Giselle Royspin, it is a pleasure to meet you. I really did not expect you to visit our store. I have always wanted to meet you. Giselle was confused, unsure what was happening. Me? The female server recounted. You are the first criminal to enter Solcha Tower and survive, Giselle angrily thought to herself. No, I am not a criminal. She leaned in as if wanting to hear more details. The prisoners in that tower are notorious for being assassinated before they can be executed. How many assassins did you take care of? Giselle looked away, not wanting to say anything. Take care of? They just drank poison and died. Before the female server could finish speaking, Ranil flung her hand away. There are also rumors that she survived an encounter with Dylan. He reminded her, we are busy, so stop the chit-chat and show me the clothes. The female server immediately turned irritable towards Ranil. Oh my gosh, this is a women's clothing store. What are you doing here? Giselle looked at the two of them uneasily. Hey, is the boss arguing with the shop owner over there? Why is the atmosphere so tense? She leaned in, wanting to hear what was going on from that side. She does not want to get involved because the master is too powerful. Wouldn't it be better to befriend someone like that? That is right, because the master is too powerful. Renil's next words made Giselle freeze in fear. If he does not like someone, he will bury them alive. She grabbed onto his sleeve and said, "Let us pretend I never heard anything, boss. I am willing to be loyal to you. You do not look too well. I will have Cillian examine you later." The female server pushed out the clothes rack and enthusiastically introduced, "Thank you for waiting. I have brought all sorts of samples, and I think they will suit you very well, Giselle." Windria took out an outfit and excitedly said, "Now, try on this outfit. The fabric is so dark that you can barely see it at night." Renil's eyes lit up as soon as he saw the outfit, looking pleased. "That is good." In contrast to their excitement, Giselle Royspin was a little dissatisfied, thinking, "Why is it important that I am not noticeable at night?" She continued to introduce, "It is very stretchy and durable, so if you get caught on something while escaping, it won't tear." He thought for a moment and seriously asked, "I have never seen this kind of fabric before. Is there a type for men?" She immediately changed her attitude. "This is a women's clothing store, sir." She was so proud of the outfit that she asserted, "Now, this is the best outfit. Even if blood splatters on it, it can be easily washed off with water." She said nothing, only thinking, haha, hopefully no blood will splatter. After leaving the store, she was carrying large bags. Comfortable clothes for escaping. Her hair was disheveled, her steps were unsteady, and she looked tired as she said, "I was only planning to stay in the store. Why do I need these?" He looked uncomfortable, and coldly replied, "I am glad if you do not need them." Hearing that, she was stunned, and looked at him blankly. She touched her neck worriedly, thinking, if Renil says that, Dylan must be very persistent. While she was lost in thought, he used magic to make the bag she was carrying disappear and said, "By the way, why bother carrying them? Let us send them back first." His action surprised her, and she exclaimed, "Oh!" Not carrying those bags, she felt lighter and cheerfully said, "Magic is really convenient. Thank you." Suddenly she paused and cautiously said, "Oh, and hey, boss, should I learn some self-defense magic?" He glanced at her without changing his expression and replied, "Magic can't be used for self-defense. Besides, do you think everyone possesses magical power?" Even so, she tried to convince him, "I know that a person must be born with magical power, but maybe there is another way, right? A drug that can easily and quickly help people without magic possess that power." Her words stunned him. After a few seconds, he opened his mouth and said, "Trying to artificially increase non-existent magical power is very dangerous." Suddenly, his expression became pensive. Seeing him like that, she was a little worried and blanked out. Later, she realized and asked, "So how do mages get their power?" He explained, "Magic has something called attribute, and it is determined at birth. The size of the magic container is the same. It has been predetermined from the start. An innately powerful mage is already strong. It is just that the timing of awakening their power is different." Hearing that, tears welled up in her eyes as she admired. "I can't believe it. The magical world is a world of natural talent." Suddenly, she remembered something, thinking, "Then, what about divine power?" Just thinking about it, she immediately asked him, "Is it the same with white magic mages? White magic is based on divine power. Witches using magic is one thing, but with white magic, is there something a little different?" Suddenly, his expression darkened, and he said, "Do you know the difference between divine power and magic?" Hearing that, she cautiously replied, "I do not know." His voice deepened and became heavier. "There is no difference." At his answer, her expression became so shocked that she had to ask again, "What, no difference?" He looked down with the same cold expression. "Basically, there is no difference between divine power and magic." To dispel the awkward atmosphere, he smiled and said, "Well, this seems boring for you, so let us stop here." He just pretended he had not said anything, leaving her with a blank expression as she watched him. He just walked away and said, "Let us go." Although she did not ask any further questions, she still had questions about this and could not help but think, what does he mean by no difference? Isn't divine power also a form of holy power? Like a blessing from God, if magic and divine power are basically the same. Then what is the difference between witches and white magic mages? Why do the two main characters in the Poison Apple story punish witches? Seeing her still standing there blankly, he called her, "What are you doing? Come here quickly." At this moment, she woke up from her thoughts. Then she looked up at him and thought, "Is that where Renil said he could heal my bruise?" At this moment, she hurriedly started running after him. Standing in front of a door with a loud noise, she wondered, "What is that sound?" The door slowly opened. Suddenly, he flinched. He turned around, causing her to wonder and ask, "Why are not you going in?" Suddenly, he hugged her tightly, causing her to be confused, and cautiously said, "What is wrong? What are you doing?" There was a loud explosion from the building. Fortunately, he had used magic in time to create a shield to protect her safely. Now he released her and hurriedly asked, "Are you all right?" Her face was already red with embarrassment. "Yes, I am fine, but, boss, are you okay?" He turned around and replied, "Yes, however." Looking at the rubble, he wondered, what is going on here? Suddenly, a person walked out of the collapsed door, rubbing his head and saying, "Oh no." It turned out to be Mitchell. He adjusted his glasses and worriedly asked, "Is everyone all right?" The bomb I was making suddenly exploded. Looking closely, he recognized him and said, "Ah, it is Mr. Lineal. How is Mr. Wayne doing these days? Why are you?" Looking behind him, he saw her and opened his mouth. "Wait, is not that the rumored Ms. Giselle Roysevin? It is an honor to meet you. My name is Mitchell. I am the one who bombed the royal palace 10 years ago." Hearing his introduction, she thought she had misheard and wondered, "He bombed? Where?" He nonchalantly continued, "I see your wanted poster and it is pretty big. You must be very evil. But anyway, it is not as big as mine though." Hearing that, her face went blank as she thought, "Do criminals take that as a compliment?" He reached out and said, "It is a great honor to meet you. I would really like to have the opportunity to shake your hand." Suddenly, he reached out and grabbed his hand. He actually squeezed his hand tightly, causing him to tremble with pain. "Anyway, if there is anywhere you want to blow up, I am willing to sell the magic bombs I make at a cheap price." She raised her hand and forced a smile. "I do not need them." At this moment, he released Mitchell's weak hand, smiled at her, and said with a hint of sarcasm, "Everyone is curious about you, Giselle Roysevin. Looks like you have become quite famous." Huh. She was a little angry, her face frowned, but she still forced a smile and replied, "I do not appreciate that." He turned around and asked, "Oh, and how about Emily? Is she inside?" After that, the three of them entered the building, with Mitchell leading the way. Arriving at a room, he rang the doorbell and called out, "Emily." After a while, there was still no response. He said, "Maybe she can't hear us." Seeing that, Renil said, "You can go now." He politely replied, "Then I will take my leave." Before leaving, he bowed to Roysevin. Suddenly, he abruptly opened the door, causing her to startle. Seeing that, she worriedly asked, "Is it okay if we open the door without asking first?" The scene before her was so terrifying that she was stunned. Looking at the doll on her side, she thought, "Is this Isabel's friend? Oh my gosh! This place is cursed." Seeing her scared expression, he could not help but smile and said, "Let us go inside." At this moment, she trembled with fear, hesitatingly said, Do we really have to go in?" Seeing that, he smiled even brighter and teased her, "We won't die." Even though he was holding her trembling hand, she was still afraid, thinking, "No, I do not want to catch it." Stepping into the middle of the room, she turned her head to look. She saw the doll's head smiling. She fearfully grabbed his arm and screamed, "Its eyes!" Tears welled up in her eyes as she trembled and said, "I think it is angry because we have trespassed on her house. Can't we leave this place immediately? What if we get cursed?" He actually calmly kicked the doll away quickly. Her face was so scared it turned purple, and she hurriedly said, "Are you crazy? Why did you kick it? What if it holds a grudge?" He was not scared at all and even laughed, "Stop talking nonsense, and let us go. We can't just stand here forever." She still hesitated, saying, "But..." Suddenly, he stretched out his arms towards her, gently asking with concern, "Do you want me to carry you?" She actually dodged out of his embrace and just proceeded forward. That action made him blankly ask, "Do you hate being carried by me more than being cursed?" She crossed her arms and shyly said, "I have not even finished digesting breakfast yet." Those words made him even more amused. Asking back, "What?" Embarrassed, turned to anger. She said irritably, "It is nothing. Let us go inside now." Her face was already as red as 2 tomatoes, and he chuckled to himself behind her. Arriving at a corner of the room, she blankly made a sound. Then said, "Could it be? That person is..." Before her was an old woman with pure white hair, sitting and examining a piece of cloth. "She is Emily?" He slowly walked over, leaning in close to her and saying, "I am here." Only now did she notice and look up. Seeing him, she happily stroked his head and said, "Little rascal, you are here. When will you stop calling me that? I am not a little rascal anymore. You should say lineal." This scene made her caught off guard. While staring at him, she thought, "Boss seems more relaxed than usual." Seeing her standing behind him, she asked, "What is the matter? Are you finally planning on introducing this old woman to your bride?" She hurriedly said, "Emily, you are just joking, right?" She smiled brightly and replied, "Just teasing you a little." She sighed in relief, thinking, "She is just joking." But it seems like they are not real grandmother and grandson. I wonder what their real relationship is. She smirked knowingly and said, "Of course you would not come here for those kinds of things. You would not bring a girl wearing such evil energy on her neck and introduce her to me as your bride, would you?" As soon as she finished speaking, both of them were shocked and stared wide-eyed. She pushed up her glasses and said with a serious expression, "Girl, what is that dangerous thing around your neck?" She blankly asked, "What do you mean?" She continued, "That cursed thing around your neck. Can you show it to me?" At this moment, she hurriedly took off the scarf on her neck, thinking, the cursed thing, maybe she is right. Yes, wait a moment please. She struggled to take off the scarf. Not hearing her say anything more, she asked, so young lady, how did you meet this little boy? At this moment, she smacked her forehead, thinking, I should have introduced myself to her first. Then said, I am sorry for my rudeness. She bowed politely and said, hello, I am Giselle Roisevin. I am an intern at a small shop owned by Boss Lionel. Suddenly, he raised his voice and said, not an intern. You are a full-time employee. She was a little blank and made a huh sound. Seeing that, he just smiled and said, because I saw you working hard, I decided to officially hire you a few days ago. Now she was surprised and gaping, saying, why did not I know anything about it? He explained, I am telling you now. She pouted a little and said, so if I did not mention that I was an intern, you were planning on hiding it from me forever, right? The two of them kept trading words back and forth. I just forgot, boss, really. Emily, who was standing to the side, chuckled and said, little rascal, you brought back an interesting girl. He also chimed in, saying, well, at least she is not boring to watch. And she, at this moment, was so angry her brain was about to explode, thinking, did he hire me to tease me, not to work at the shop? Anyway, this is my employee at the shop. Hearing that, she whispered to him, not a normal employee, a full-time employee. He also followed her lead and repeated, she is a full-time employee at my shop. Returning to the main topic, a purple bruise was revealed on her neck. He annoyedly said, as you can see, she has something rather troublesome on her neck, so I am looking for a temporary scarf to cover it up. She slowly approached and said, let me see. Her wrinkled hand placed on her shoulder and said with pity, oh my, it must hurt a lot. Yes, it looks scary too. It won't be easy to cover it up. Hearing her say that, her face became gloomy and muttered, I can't believe it. She turned around and comforted her. Don't be so sad. Wait for me a moment. She immediately replied, yes. From a box, she took out a piece of cloth, saying, try using this piece of cloth. After that, she soaked the piece of cloth in something. The piece of cloth slowly sank, creating a beautiful, magical scene. Standing next to it, she shockingly thought, this is magic. After soaking it, she said, about a week. It will take about that long to finish. He was a little surprised. A week? That is longer than I thought. She rubbed the piece of cloth and said, I think it needs at least 3 layers of magic to cover it up. I have never tried stacking so many layers like this before. Hearing that, he turned to leave, replying, I understand. Then we will come back next week. Let us go, Giselle. She obediently followed behind, yes. Suddenly, she gave a sinister smile and said, by the way, since our granddaughter is here, why do not you help me thread some needles? He actually refused, saying, I am in a hurry, so... She was pulled back by him, and blankly made a huh sound. Unexpectedly, she used her crocodile tears and pitifully said, but my eyes are blurry now. Young lady, do not you feel sorry for an old woman like me? She hesitated a little, cautiously saying, that... In the end, she decided to help her and said, it is just a simple thing, boss. Why are you so cold-hearted? Before he could finish saying no, I have fee. She had already agreed. I will help you. It is just threading the needle, right? Seeing that, he whispered, trying to stop her. Do not help her. She turned away to find something, saying, thank you, kind girl. After a moment, she pulled out a box with probably hundreds of needles, and gently said, here you go. Standing before hundreds of needles, she could not help but be surprised, and a little flustered, saying, you have so many needles. He, standing to the side, but unable to stop her, could only scratch his head helplessly and say, I told you not to help her. Do you understand now? A moment later, walking out of Emily's room, her hands were trembling, and she had no strength left. He said, Emily is a master of creating cursed dolls. That Isabel doll is also one of Emily's creations. In fact, she is very good at threading needles because she likes to see others suffer, but pretends to be weak. Hearing this, her body trembled. While recalling the time she spent threading needles, she looked at her hands with tears in her eyes and said, I understand now. I promise I won't trust anyone in this city again. Looking in the mirror, she touched the bruise worriedly and asked, is it really a tracking mark? He sat next to her, reading a book, and casually replied, it is hard to believe, but it is true. Hearing that, she could only sigh. He continued, so whenever you go anywhere, have someone go with you, either Gilbert or me. Hearing that, she was stunned and asked, from now on, always, forever. Suddenly, she came in front of him and slammed her hand on the table, seriously saying, boss, tell me the truth. He was a little flustered, and asked, what is it? She asked, did you get fired? Hearing her say that, he closed the book and frowned, asking, who got fired? She casually replied, you did. Just like that, the two of them one asking and the other answering. Did your superiors tell you to quit because you are always fooling around? How do you know I am always fooling around? You are fooling around right now. To the point that an employee on vacation can't even rest. He wondered, why can't you rest? Suddenly he pulled out a basket of gifts from under the table. He handed it to her, gently saying, here, take this stuff to the dining room. She happily hugged the bag of candy and happily said, it is not because of these things that I am here, okay? It is just that the boss is at the shop, so I, as an employee, conveniently went back to my room to rest. She turned around, happily running away while whispering, I am going to eat all of this in my room. Seeing him staring at her, she shyly explained, before you misunderstand, it is really not because of these things that I am lingering around here. He replied, yeah. The room suddenly became strangely quiet. He sat there holding the book, but his head kept turning back and forth. His eyes slowly moved towards the door, thinking, she has not come out for a while. Is she still eating snacks in that basket? Suddenly he thought of something, then asked himself, should I stop her? He approached the door to her room, raised his hand to knock, then realized the door was open. Without saying anything more, he gently asked, Giselle, may I come in? Suddenly she cried out from inside the room. With a slightly trembling voice, she cried for help. Help me. He swung the door open and called, Giselle. His footsteps hurried to her side, asking, what is wrong? Arriving next to the bed, he realized she was having a dream and mumbling, boss took all my snacks. He was speechless, thinking, what, is she talking in her sleep? The scene just now made him sigh, I can't believe it. After that, he quietly sat on the edge of the bed, looking at her, thinking, is this what it feels like for people to raise a child? Why is she crying suddenly? What is wrong? I already changed the chicken coop and everything for them. Didn't you buy it to use as a curse tool? After recalling for a while, he muttered, chicken coop? He turned to look around the room, thinking, this place is quite cramped, and it is located in a crowded area. I can't say this is a good place to live. There can't be servants here for her either. Clean up nicely, rice, it is really delicious, although Giselle seems to be very skilled at these kinds of manual tasks. Since when did he start talking to himself? She has the ability to be independent and adapt very well. His back slowly bent down, and his hand gently touched her hair. While touching that soft hair, he suddenly realized something in a panic. His hand slammed down on the bed. He just kept staring at her intently without blinking. He got closer and closer, muttering, this is... After looking for a long time, he thought, her hairline is turning black. I am not seeing things. Isn't this a side effect of forbidden magic? He lifted her face and thought, I wonder what other changes are in her body. Since I do not know what Giselle Roysevin looked like before, I can't guess what has changed and what has not. His hand gently caressed that beautiful face. Suddenly he frowned. Looking at the bruise on her neck made him feel sorry for her and cursed, that bastard dared to leave a mark like this. If I could erase it, I would want to erase it immediately. Suddenly her eyes slowly opened. Seeing him touching her neck, she could not help but misunderstand, and said with a fearful face, stuttering, boss, what are you doing? Why are you holding my neck? You are kidding, right? Seeing her misunderstand, he became even more amused and smiled. He slowly pulled his hand back, unable to resist laughing out loud. Even though she was confused and did not know what was happening, he was still laughing and thinking, she also has the ability to use poison without dying. What is so important about that? You scared me. She bruises so easily like this. If someone touches her lightly, she looks so weak that she might fall immediately. After that, he gently called, Giselle. Seeing him suddenly call her name, she surprised and made a huh sound. Then he continued, your name is Giselle. She honestly replied, yes, I am Giselle. He still smiled and said, that is the name I gave you. The more he spoke, the more confused she became. What are you talking about? His hand gently touched her cheek, saying, from now on, I will give you the name Giselle. So never joke and pretend to be Giselle Roysevin again. His words stunned her. He said, and to commemorate me giving you a name, I will make sure to build you the most luxurious and magnificent chicken coop in the world. His lips still smiled, his eyes still gentle as ever. On the contrary, she was both shy and happy. She slowly sat up, hesitatingly saying, boss. He immediately replied, what? Her eyes became serious, asking, that chicken coop, is it safe? He still gently nodded, replying, of course. She continued to ask, even safe from the boss? Her words caused his happy expression to suddenly become dazed. Suddenly she yelled, then resolutely said, that looks silly, but I am not a chicken, and definitely not a pet. Besides, you did not buy chickens to be pets, but hired me to be a shop employee? Not to mention, the contract is only valid between two equal people. We already signed a contract. Her naivete made him laugh out loud, saying, that is so funny. Seeing him laughing at her like that, she slammed her hand on the bed, resolutely saying, "I am serious, do not laugh at me anymore." "What do you mean, a magnificent and splendid chicken coop? If you have extra money to do those things, why not give me a raise?" He was overwhelmed by this cuteness, thinking, "My Giselle is truly both funny and charming. When I return to the mansion, I will have many things to prepare for this chicken coop." After a period of argument, she changed into the clothes he bought for her, admiring herself in the mirror, looking very happy. After mentioning the chicken coop, Lionel suddenly left and said that he had something to do. She sat at his desk, enjoying, saying, "This is what a real vacation should be like." She took out a notebook, writing something, and thought, "Studying the flavor of poison is also quite interesting. Mixing strawberry-flavored poison with banana-flavored poison will create a strawberry banana flavor, and I can also distinguish which poison tastes like fresh watermelon and overripe watermelon. That is great. A unique ability. How did I get this ability?" Suddenly she recalled everything. This means that my ability is not something that the original Giselle had. Suddenly a man appeared before her, politely saying, "Hello, excuse me." She thought, what a surprise, a customer. Since when was he here? Then shyly replied, "I am sorry, but the shop is closed today." "Wait, did not I lock the shop door?" He shyly scratched his neck, his face gradually turning red, stuttering, "Oh, is that so? Then this is a big problem." Then wringing his hands pitifully said, "I urgently need something, is it possible?" She could not bear to refuse, so she asked, "What are you looking for?" She began to search for him. "A piece of rotten wood, it should be around here somewhere." Seeing that it seemed difficult to find, he asked, "Is it very hard to find?" She replied, "It is deep inside, wait for me a moment." After searching for a while, she finally found it, and was so happy she cried out. Then happily said, "I found it." While she was not paying attention, he pulled out a bottle containing something from behind, staring at her with a gruesome expression. At this moment, she was still holding the box she had just found, smiling. In the room, Giselle vaguely felt a pain from her neck. She hugged her neck and scratched it non-stop, thinking, "Are there mosquitoes in the shop?" Just then, Giselle noticed something strange crawling. In fright, she leaned back, screaming, and hurriedly grabbed the wooden box with both hands. "It is a spider!" Without hesitation, Giselle smashed it down. Immediately afterwards, the fear still caused her to burst into tears. Seeing that, Tones worriedly called out, "Miss, are you all right?" He cautiously touched Giselle's neck. "Here, you have been bitten." Feeling the breath, she startled and turned around. Tones was slightly flustered. "I am sorry, I accidentally touched you again." Giselle's voice trembled, her eyes widened in panic as she looked down at the bright red wound. "Oh my gosh, it is bleeding." Tones worriedly asked, "Do you have ointment for spider bites?" She paused. "I am not sure. I do not know if I have any." There was a moment of silence, then he smiled gently. His words were calm but full of meaning. "If you are free, would you like to come to my shop? I can give you some medicine." Giselle exclaimed, her expression both surprised and doubtful. "Shop?" Tones bowed and placed his hand on his chest as a polite greeting. "I am sorry for the late introduction. I am Thons, a pharmacist, running a small pharmacy near the Northwest Square." Hearing that, she showed an interested expression. "So you are a pharmacist?" After a while, Giselle looked in shock at the broken box. She almost screamed, "The box!" Giselle looked flustered. "This was the last one, but I panicked so much. I am very sorry, Mr. Customer." Tones hurriedly shook his head, smiling kindly. "It is okay. I can find it in other shops." But he quickly added, "Instead, you should stop by my shop for the medicine. It is not far from here, so it will be quick." At the suggestion, she was momentarily stunned. After a moment of hesitation, Giselle bowed her head and said softly, "Thank you for your kindness, but I still have to look after the shop. I should not leave the shop empty without an employee." Hearing that, Tones frowned and repeated in a low voice, "But did not you just say the shop was closed?" She forced a smile. "I did say that, but what is wrong with resting? I have to make money, now I have to clean up the shop, so can you leave for a moment?" He softly replied, "Okay," then turned and grabbed the doorknob. "Yes, I will come back next time." As soon as Tones left, Giselle's expression immediately changed. At this moment, the butterfly spirit said, "Giselle, you locked the shop door." At this time, she worriedly confirmed again, "Right, no matter how I think about it, I am sure I locked it." A suspicion flashed in Giselle's heart. Yet he was able to unlock it and enter as if nothing had happened, although Windria did the same, so there are no rules prohibiting others from doing the same. But what is strange is that he touched exactly the spot where I was bitten by the spider. How could he see the bite in such a short time, especially since that spot was covered by hair? Thinking of this, Giselle subconsciously reached out and touched her neck. As soon as she pulled her hand back, a streak of blood appeared on it. Without hesitation, Giselle put her hand in her mouth. "I can taste a citrus flavor in the blood." A shiver ran down her spine as she remembered. That customer. Why did he put a poisonous spider on me? After a long time, Windria worriedly asked, he put a poisonous spider on you. Seeing her serious eyes, she hurriedly denied. That is just my guess. Windria once again asked, did you see him carrying any spiders? Giselle sighed in frustration. Unfortunately, no. She sighed inwardly. The butterflies did not see anything either because they were resting in the corner of the shop. At the same time, she cautiously looked up at the ceiling. Could it have fallen from the ceiling? Giselle immediately looked up. She shook her head in denial. Since I moved here, I have not seen a single insect. If there was a poisonous spider here before, the butterflies would have definitely discovered it. Windria's eyes darkened. She muttered to herself. You are right. He is indeed very suspicious. Unexpectedly, Windria seriously asked again. You said he was a pharmacist, right? Then, is it possible that he is the quack that Cillian mentioned? Giselle's eyes widened. She repeated in confusion. A quack. She seriously explained, her voice echoing throughout the room. That is right, according to Cillian. He deceives people by selling painkillers as medicine, but strangely, people started going there because their pain disappeared strangely. On this side, she repeated unconsciously, her eyes still full of confusion. Using painkillers as medicine. Giselle lowered her head, suspicion rising in her heart. If he can turn a painkiller into a cure-all, then he can also disguise poison as medicine. I am probably thinking too far ahead. Besides, there is still some time before Wayne Ior is poisoned, so maybe the two of them are not related. Then suddenly Windria spoke, interrupting Giselle's thoughts. Anyway, Giselle, did Laniel say anything about 10 after that incident? She exclaimed in surprise. Yes. Suddenly Giselle remembered an event. She must be talking about the day the boss kicked 10 out. After a long time, Giselle looked up. She affirmed with certainty, I do not think he will say anything. Hearing that, Windria frowned, muttering, Really? Then I guess he is not too angry. Seeing that, she speculated, Are you worried about 10? She was slightly startled and muttered in explanation. What do you mean, worried? It is just that I am the one who called him here to help out. It would be troublesome if I got involved in something troublesome. Giselle almost did not pay attention. She curiously asked, Windria, are you really not going to take 10 as your disciple? At the unexpected question, Windria showed a dissatisfied expression. She huffed and replied, Why would I teach curses to a kid with no talent like him? His magic bowl is too small, so he can only do childish tricks. In that moment, she vaguely remembered Renil's voice. It is the attribute in magic. That attribute is determined from when a person is born, similar to the size of a person's magic bowl. It is decided from the start. Returning to reality, Giselle was momentarily saddened. Renil once said the size of a person's magic bowl is decided by nature. 10, even though he is very enthusiastic. But it is a pity. At this moment, she suddenly asked a question. Is there really no other way to expand the capacity of a magic bowl? Seeing that, Windria shook her head without thinking, There is not. Then she slowly continued, as a final explanation. However, even if everyone knew, they would not do it. Giselle raised her eyebrows in suspicion. Why not? Does not everyone want to become stronger? Windria suddenly released a burst of dark air, she said in a low voice, to explain it simply. At this moment, Windria slowly raised her voice. Everyone possesses a magic bowl, and the size of that bowl has been decided from the start. Speaking of this, she did not forget to remind, however, there is a way to increase the size of it, that is to dig deep inside and expand it. Giselle unconsciously grabbed the writing brush. She softly said, If you want to expand the inside of magic. Windria immediately continued, You just need to dig out the empty part inside with magic that has an opposing attribute. Before she finished speaking, she hurriedly interrupted. If there is such a way, why? Suddenly she changed her tone. Think about it, Giselle. Windria sternly reminded, For mages, the magic bowl is their heart and source of power, allowing someone else's magic, moreover magic with an opposing attribute, to approach the magic bowl. At the last moment she emphasized each word with a strained voice. It is like entrusting your life to someone else. In that moment, Windria seemed to be talking to herself. If you are wrong, even by a little, the bowl can break, and a person can be immediately crippled or even die, so who would dare to do that? A long silence followed. Giselle nodded slightly. I understand. She unconsciously thought, So Renil saying it is dangerous is not unreasonable. The scene shifted to the dark night, the moonlight, illuminating all things. Inside, Giselle stretched her shoulders. She could not help but feel a little confused. It is strange. I am a little disappointed that Renil has not contacted me since that day. Is it because I am feeling worried about that strange customer from earlier? I am a little worried about him, and I also feel more at ease when he is around. Thinking of this, her cheeks unconsciously flushed red. In that moment, Giselle unconsciously whispered, I miss him. As soon as the words were spoken, Renil suddenly appeared right before her eyes. As soon as she saw him, she almost froze in shock. Giselle tilted her head, her eyes staring at Renil. Seeing the expression on her face, he smiled slightly. Boss, what is wrong? Seeing Giselle still motionless, Renil could not help but worry. He hurriedly approached. Are you okay? He tilted his head and looked straight into her eyes. Why do you look so sad? After a long time, Giselle finally reacted. She hesitantly spoke. Actually, the butterfly spirit suddenly interrupted. Master. It quickly approached. Renil, we have something we want to tell you. On this side, Giselle was momentarily panicked. Actually, I was planning on waiting until I was more certain before telling him. Meanwhile, Renil sternly stared at it. What is it? A few minutes later, he angrily repeated each word. Some lunatic released a poisonous spider on her. Giselle forced a smile. She avoided his eyes. Yes, but that is just my guess. Hearing that, Renil unsatisfactorily rebuked. Even so, you are still certain that it was caused by him, right? After a moment, he gently reminded, since you are the one who was there, you should be the one who knows the most, even if it is just your intuition or speculation. If you feel that way, then just assume that is the way it is. Giselle looked at him, her heart pounding. I did not expect Renil to believe me immediately. Then, unexpectedly, he gently stroked her head. I will remember to find out about this, so do not be so upset anymore. Giselle immediately came to her senses. Thank you. At this moment, Renil suddenly changed the topic. By the way, where's the bite? She hurriedly pulled down her collar, her hand reaching behind her. It is here, it is not bleeding anymore, and the swelling has also gone down a lot. Renil had already stood right behind her. He opened his mouth. Let me see. As soon as he touched Giselle's neck, he teased. Is your hobby leaving random scars on your neck? She heard and showed dissatisfaction. What do you mean? I only like a clean one without a single scar. Giselle seriously asked. Is there any disinfectant in the shop? I think at the very least I need to disinfect it or apply some ointment. Renil turned his head and looked around. Is there? Seeing that, she became even more dissatisfied and questioned. Boss, should not you prepare medicine at work? Look, I got hurt while serving a customer. Should not I be compensated? Faced with Giselle's sulky expression, Renil smiled faintly. Looks like I have to go buy some medicine. He continued with a sinister expression. So you want to assign responsibility to me? Without saying anything, he moved closer to Giselle. Seeing that, she hesitantly opened her mouth. Can you give me some ointment? Meanwhile, Renil brazenly enjoyed the fragrance from Giselle's body. On this side, she vaguely felt something unusual. Her cheeks flushed red. Giselle hurriedly backed away. She angrily shouted, What are you doing? Seeing that, Renil showed an innocent expression. He brazenly explained, I heard the low temperature of my body will help reduce the pain. After speaking, Renil smiled, his eyes evilly staring at her. Is it not cool enough? Should I do something else? As soon as the words were spoken, Giselle was so embarrassed that she could not speak. She hurriedly jumped up. No need. The pain has been gone for a long time. Renil just showed an innocent expression. He curiously asked, Where are you going? Giselle almost shouted. Please do not talk to me. After speaking, Giselle slammed the door shut. She did not forget to remind, I want to be alone in my room, so do not call me. In contrast to her, Renil tried to hold back his laughter. He gently touched the empty space on the table. Immediately afterwards, Renil gradually touched the door opposite. He softly whispered, Giselle. Renil gently stroked the door. She said she missed me. Inside, Giselle, who had been guessed, right on the bullseye. Thinking of the words she spoke unconsciously just now, she could not help but feel a little panicked. He heard it. Giselle was momentarily confused. She hurriedly corrected her words. What are you talking about, Sullian? Windria? No, I miss my friends. Renil laughed lightly. Do you have any other friends? He chuckled when he thought. She has not been summoned here for long. After a long time, Renil gently touched the door. He announced in a low voice, all right then, I will go now. Giselle immediately opened the door. She was slightly flustered. Where are you going? Renil bent down and asked, Didn't you say you wanted to be alone? She quickly replied, I said I wanted to be alone in the room only. He gently stroked her head. All right, I understand. You go rest. I will stay at the shop, so do not be afraid of anything. Giselle showed an angry expression. Who is afraid? At this moment, she spewed out a series of shocking information. I am just not in a good mood. Because a guy who is even bigger than me suddenly opened the locked door and walked into the shop and threw a poisonous spider at me. Then, with a red face, he invited me to his shop. On the opposite side, Renil's expression immediately changed. His eyes darkened. After speaking, Giselle smiled. Anyway, because the boss decided to stay at the shop, I feel somewhat more at ease already. Then I will go now. He replied briefly, All right. She left a promise in a low voice. See you tomorrow. Renil unconsciously replied, Okay. In that moment, Giselle's voice kept echoing in his ears. Because a guy who is even bigger than me, with a red face, he invited me to his shop. He thought to himself, that is annoying. In Renil's heart, there was still a vague suspicion. He said he was a pharmacist named Thons, if he is so good then. The scene shifted to the next morning, at an ancient house. At this time, Giselle revealed a happy expression. She smiled brightly. I did not expect him to stay at the shop and even buy me breakfast. Giselle continued, I am really touched. Renil just quietly observed that appearance and smiled sweetly. Then she looked up at him curiously. Come to think of it, boss. Do not you have anything else to do today? He casually replied. I have some things to do in Van Hel. She nodded slightly. Is that so? After a moment, Giselle was still curious. She lowered her head and asked, But what kind of job are you assigned to, boss? I guess you probably do not work near the chairman. Suddenly she dropped a teasing sentence. Because I see you are too idle. Seeing that, Renil sighed helplessly. Then he explained with all his heart. My job is to manage this shop. My shop is licensed by Mr. Dot. The chairman. I also do a lot of other chores, like filling out the personnel list when deploying people in an event. Giselle chuckled softly. I guess our lives are similar. A speculation rose in her heart. So there are messengers hired to deploy people everywhere. Suddenly, Giselle became serious. But please stay away from big events like the assembly. She carefully reminded, because your main job is to manage the shop, so you do not need to attend such dangerous events. Hearing that, Renil curled his lips into a smile. Why is the assembly dangerous? Giselle leaned forward. She affirmed with certainty. That is where all the dark mages gather. How can it not be dangerous? As soon as the words were spoken, he silently stared at Giselle. At this moment, Renil crossed his arms with a serious expression. He softly asked Giselle, Among the chairman's futures that you know, are there any attack incidents that happened during the assembly? She immediately avoided his eyes. He caught on quickly, muttering, Yes. Renil looked straight at Giselle. He smiled faintly. Then, I definitely can't miss the gathering. She shouted unsatisfactorily. What? But I told you it is very dangerous. In contrast to her, Renil showed a carefree expression, without any fear. If something dangerous happens in a place where dark mages gather, that means Dylan is there. Then, of course I have to go. Giselle froze. She worriedly stared at him. I have thought about this for a while, but he really is the type of person to throw himself into danger. Upon reaching the outside, Renil bowed in greeting. Giselle, you can return to the shop first. With Gilberton, I still have something to do, so I have to go. After speaking, he turned and left hastily. Seeing that, Giselle was filled with anxiety, her eyes directed towards Renil. He won't go meet Dylan, will he? Thinking of this, her thoughts suddenly broke off, but Giselle thought about it and could not help but be excited. If the boss can throw a rock at Dylan's head and make him lose his memory, my life will definitely be much more comfortable. She politely turned to, Thank you for taking me back to the shop, Gilberton. Gilberton bowed. It is my duty. Suddenly, there was a call from afar. Giselle, stop. Something big has happened. She startled and turned around. Sulian. The news spread quickly from his mouth. Right now, Renil is going to meet that guy. The scene shifted to an extremely luxurious mansion. At this time, Tones and Renil stood facing each other. He did not beat around the bush and bluntly questioned, I heard you are flirting with my employee, so I thought I should come and take a look at your face. Speaking of this, Renil frowned tightly, his eyes fixed on him. You. He looked straight at Tones' sinister appearance and shouted, Who are you? Faced with the questioning, he casually denied the accusation. I did not know Miss Giselle Royspin was your shop employee. That is a bit of a surprise. Hearing that, Renil could not help but laugh. Giselle and I do not have any memory of your emotionless face. What is with that smug look? Contrary to expectations, Tones was not angry at all. He brazenly provoked. Smug, if it were not for me, you would not have been able to meet Miss Giselle, right? As soon as the words were spoken, Renil frowned tightly, his eyes burning with anger. At this moment, Tones smirked. He triumphantly asked, So, Miss Giselle's gold magic has worked, right? Suddenly, a burst of energy erupted from Renil, only to see dozens of fragments falling straight to the ground. At the same time, the entire room shook violently. Returning to Renil, he gritted his teeth, trying to suppress the blazing rage. Renil stomped his foot on the ground. He began to fight internally. Should I kill him right here and now? As soon as the thought flashed, Renil immediately rejected it. No, it seems he knows something, so I can't kill him immediately. On this side, Tones showed a naive expression, but why does not Miss Giselle remember me? He continued to add, with an appearance that seemed to be provoking, I am sure I told Miss Giselle everything about gold magic, about the crimes of the stars. Tones' expression was slightly serious, he said in a horrifying voice. For some reason, Ms. Giselle's behavior right now looks very normal for someone who has signed a contract with an entity from another dimension. It seems that gold magic has not failed at all. Then, it is possible that we misunderstood the content of gold magic from the beginning. Then Tones seemed to sink into his own world, he muttered to himself. Meanwhile, Renil unconsciously felt something unusual. He questioned himself. Why is this feeling so familiar? A person seems to be talking to me at first, but then they sink into their own thoughts and start rambling. Thinking of this, Renil frowned with anger, but I have... At the same time, Giselle's group stood neatly outside. She eagerly looked inside. Is the boss really here? Sullivan happily confirmed. Yes, that is right. He was so excited that his eyes lit up. This is really a golden opportunity. Now he will drive away that quack, and everyone will come to me to get healed again. Giselle almost collapsed. Oh my gosh. Such a golden opportunity. Seeing that the situation was not good, she waved her hand to explain. This is a popular place lately, so maybe he came to check it out. Our boss is present unexpectedly. Gilberton suddenly spoke up. That is not it. He seriously explained. There are only 2 reasons why Mr. Renil visits other people's shops. One is when there is something to buy. Giselle was momentarily confused. Then of course this is a shop, so. At this moment Gilberton raised 2 fingers. 2 is? He casually emphasized each word, to destroy it. Giselle heard and startled. What did you say? Celine excitedly asked back. Right, is that right? He nodded in affirmation, obviously. Seeing that, she was even more shocked. Wait, how are you 2 so sure about this? He quickly made a suggestion. If you do not believe it, and want to bet, Giselle. Gilberton did not forget to add, 1 gold coin if he gets driven away. He nodded and followed. Me too. Then Sullivan carefully confirmed, of course, Miss Giselle will bet 1 gold coin. On the other side, right? Her heart almost screamed, what are you guys betting on? These people are crazy. After a moment, she watched the inside in horror, her mind becoming more and more chaotic. Oh my gosh, looking at the condition of the shop, is he really destroying it? Just as Giselle was still confused, whispers came from somewhere. That guy is the mage who runs the general store, right? The woman tried to lower her voice. That is right. It is that guy who blew up Sosepi's magic tool shop. She startled and looked in that direction. Boss, what exactly are you doing? Another person quickly asked, but clearly Sosepe has been boasting about being Mr. Wayne's sworn brother for a while now. Are you telling me that Mr. Wayne let him mess with his sworn brother? The other person quickly confirmed, as if certain of the story. What else could it be? She continued, her voice gradually lowering. And even more surprising is, Mr. Wayne gave the key to the safe to that guy. Seeing that, Giselle quickly ran over. She opened her mouth with a question. Oh my gosh, is that guy managing Mr. Wayne's assets? The woman unconsciously replied. That is right. Hearing that, she hurriedly asked, is that true? She hesitated. I think so. Rumors say that he always goes in and out of Mr. Prier Wayne's mansion. Suddenly the woman grabbed Giselle's hand. She excitedly leaned towards her. Speaking of which, you are Giselle Royspin, right? I am a big fan of yours. Let me shake your hand. The woman forcefully grabbed Giselle's hand. She excitedly suggested, and you are an employee of the general store, right? How did you get that job as a fan? I want to be close to you until I go home. Not stopping there, she asked, how did you get hired? Is your shop still hiring? If so, can you give me some hints? Giselle was so frightened that she was terrified. What the heck is this? She frantically struggled. Let go of my hand. We are not hiring anymore. As soon as she pulled her hand away from the woman, Giselle cautiously looked at her. Wants to know internal recruitment information. What exactly is she planning? Suddenly the woman said in a strained voice, you, this little thing. Immediately afterwards, she brazenly cursed. You are just a petty criminal and became famous thanks to your beautiful face. She looked at her confused. Excuse me, what did you say? The woman continued to yell without paying attention. Just shaking hands is so difficult. Do you think my reputation is just for shaking your hand? Blending into the crowd, Cillian leaned forward. Oh my, Ms. Giselle is arguing. The 2 of them shouted in unison. Go, Giselle. Giselle clenched her fists. She reassured herself. All right then, let us win this battle. On this side, the woman pointed at Giselle's face. She used harsh words to mock. Looks like you got a job at the general store with that beautiful face, but never think about getting close to Mr. Wayne. Understand? Not willing to be silent, Giselle patted her chest and retorted. I do not feel offended by the fact that I am beautiful, but I think you are mistaken. Our general store is very strict in selecting people, based on their abilities. Immediately afterwards, she criticized the other party with dissatisfaction. It seems you are just venting because you are not good enough, so why do not you try to hone your skills? Faced with the reasonable accusation, the woman lowered her head. You. Returning to Tones, he smirked. I heard a commotion outside. Speaking of this, Tones turned to remind. Coincidentally, the person we are talking about is outside the shop. He continued to add, you can ask that person directly. Renil immediately turned around. Seeing that, Tones triumphantly asked in response. You are also curious, Renil unconsciously muttered. Giselle? He stared at her, his heart full of doubt. What did Giselle summon with her gold magic? Before Renil was a fierce battle between 2 women. As soon as he realized the situation, he was momentarily panicked. That woman then hurriedly shouted, Pedro! He immediately appeared, his body bowing with respect. Yes, I will clean up the noise outside. Suddenly Ranil issued an order, "Hold that guy down." Pedro could not help but feel a little panicked. "Yes, what do you mean?" Outside, the woman coldly questioned. "Hey, you are very good, huh?" Giselle did not give in. She responded sharply. "I am not better than someone who only knows how to vent on others." She angrily pointed a knife at her. "You are nothing. If you are not an employee of the general store, do you think you can say that?" Faced with the dangerous situation, Giselle's body retreated. "That is the knife she was just fiddling with. I have to run." Just as things were about to get chaotic, Ranil immediately stood in front of her. He quickly knocked the knife out of the woman's hand and said in a cold voice, "She is nothing." Ranil gently stroked his hair. He glared at the other party. "Continue, keep talking." She watched confused. "Boss." At this time, Ranil laughed. "So what you mean is, I hired an employee for my shop sloppily." Faced with his appearance, she cautiously replied, "Number." The woman turned to avoid him hurriedly, her voice trembling. "What I mean is." Immediately afterwards, she screamed, her body running away like smoke. "It is nothing." The woman quickly squeezed through the crowd while yelling, "I am really sorry." At this time, Ranil turned to Giselle and questioned, "Why are you here?" She hesitated and glanced behind her. Then, "They said you came to drive away the pharmacist Tones, boss." Hearing that, he immediately turned around, his eyes full of love. Seeing that, Ranil bent down and asked, "So, you came to stop me?" His face revealed dissatisfaction. His cheeks puffed up. Meanwhile, Giselle was moved for the second time. She hurriedly denied, "No way, why would I stop you?" Giselle huffed and said, "I am not that kind and kind-hearted, right? I just came to make sure you were fighting safely, boss." Seeing that appearance, Ranil unconsciously smiled. At this time, Giselle cautiously turned to look at him. "Am I being a little selfish?" She glanced at the window. Pharmacist Tones may be innocent. That is, Mr. Pedro. Unexpectedly, Ranil blocked in front of Giselle. She seemed to remember something and hurriedly asked, "Right then, boss, you came out after you finished your work, right?" He nodded in confirmation. "While the shop owner is making a mess at the pharmacy, even my shop's employees are getting involved in the business right in front of me. So I came out to see what was going on." Giselle was so embarrassed that her cheeks turned red, she quickly denied, making a mess. "No, they started it first." Ranil unhesitatingly made a suggestion. "As an employee, it is good that you want to help the boss, but you do not need to do anything that he does not ask you to do. If you want to retaliate, just punch him. I will hold him down for you." Giselle almost screamed, "No, I would not do that, really." Unable to bear it, she immediately turned around. "You two come out and explain. You saw everything from the beginning." Sullian quickly avoided her eyes. He brazenly replied, "I told you to restrain your anger." Seeing that, she angrily yelled, "Really, all our traitors, who was the one who excitedly bet on whether he would be driven away or not." Ranil quickly caught the problem. He turned to interrogate. "You are teaching a kid who already spends money like water, and now you are adding gambling." He was momentarily cautious. That thing." Giselle immediately interjected, "I am not being wasteful, I am just snacking. Anyone who hears that will misunderstand." After a long time, he gently patted her shoulder. "All right, go back to work. The rest we will talk about later." She immediately nodded, "Yes." After speaking, Ranil quietly raised his head to look in one direction. Inside, Pedro quickly caught the signal. His body suddenly released a burst of dark energy. It covered Tones. In the blink of an eye, the two disappeared, as if they had never been there. Later, Pedro sternly looked at Tones, who was being held captive. Noticing the energy, he turned his head. "You have returned." Pedro worriedly asked, "Have the others returned to the shop yet?" Ranil acted like he was complaining. "I had some trouble taking them back." He gradually approached. "Any gains?" He bowed and confessed, "I am sorry, there was a variable." Hearing that, Ranil confusedly looked towards Tones. "Variable," Pedro hesitantly replied. "That is?" Only to see before him was a strange Tones. He tremblingly raised his head. "Why, who?" Ranil immediately noticed the abnormality in Tones. Pedro turned to explain. "It seems there is a hole in his memory." He continued to report. "Especially in the last 3 months, it is very difficult for him to recall the details." He smirked with interest. So now he is a completely different person than before. Pedro continued to present. "I am sure it is not due to black magic. I have considered the possibility of white magic, but white magic can't be powerful enough to erase a person's memory to such a clean extent." At this time, Ranil spoke up. "That is not certain." He vaguely remembered the scene from earlier. "I did not feel any magic inside the shop just now. This guy does not seem to be able to defend himself either. However, perhaps with some white magic, one can deceive the eyes of a mage." In his head, a series of questions crowded together. Is this really the intervention of a white magic mage? Could it be that Dylan or Viviana did it? At the last moment, Ranil flashed a suspicion, or could it be someone else? Right then, Pedro spoke up, interrupting the line of thought. "That is right, this is not a very useful memory, but After a moment of hesitation, he came to a conclusion. It seems he is quite impressed with Giselle Royspin. Bayro suddenly delivered a shocking information. He is very eager to stuff her corpse and then put it on display. Speaking of this, he carefully asked, so can we use Emma's Giselle Royspin to evoke his memories or reactions? Reniel unexpectedly ordered, that bastard, make sure he never crawls out. He said with a cold tone, if that bastard catches my eye again, I do not think things will end there. After that day, there was news that the pharmacist Tones had closed his shop and disappeared from Van Hal. At this time, Giselle seemed unable to sit still. She turned to ask, seriously speaking, you did not drive him away, did you, boss? Seeing that, Reniel casually replied, as if not bothering to care. He probably suddenly did not want to run the pharmacy anymore. Is it my fault that he went bankrupt? Not stopping there, she continued to question. But that day, you destroyed a bunch of stuff in his shop, boss. He immediately interrupted. It is just that he does not know how to treat customers well. And in this area, damaging goods during business is not a big deal. Giselle looked at Reniel in confusion. Huh, what do you mean? But no one has ever smashed anything in the general store. He suddenly smiled. This is the general store licensed by Mr. Wayne. Who would dare to touch it? Hearing that, she was stunned and bewildered. So the other shops are not licensed. Reniel nodded in confirmation. All except those run by tenants in this building. She shuddered slightly. Oh my gosh, it really is a city of criminals. Giselle seriously thought, I can't believe the boss received direct permission from the leader. In a place like this, is he really the closest person? At this moment, she ran quickly towards him. Excuse me, boss, I have a question for you. Remembering the woman, Giselle quickly added, I heard a rumor about you yesterday. She hurriedly recounted. I heard you are the one who holds the key to the chairman's safe, and I was told that you also often go in and out of his mansion. Faced with Giselle's curious appearance, Reniel showed an indifferent appearance. He turned to reply briefly. I only go in and out a little. Hearing that, she continued. For some reason, so you can have fun without any worries, is the reason because you live at the chairman's house. Reniel immediately denied. No, I have my own mansion. Momentarily, he laughed. That is right. Speaking of mansions. Reniel looked straight at Giselle. He made a suggestion. Do you want to work from my house? In that moment, she almost froze. Giselle hesitated. She forced a smile. What? I? Work from where? I am sorry, there must be something wrong with my ears. I think I misheard something. Seeing that, Reniel repeated again. My house, my mansion, do you want to work from my place? What do you think? As if she could not believe it, she confusedly asked again. Are you suggesting that I move in with you? He nodded in confirmation while examining Giselle with his eyes. Is there a problem? She frantically protected herself. Of course there is. A man and a grown woman living in the same house is a big deal. Suddenly, Reniel changed the subject. I actually saw Tarantula in Tones' shop. He seriously said. That was the spider that bit you last time. Hearing that, Giselle almost fainted. Really? Seizing the opportunity, Reniel once again led the way. That is right, he was clearly targeting you. After that, should not you be more careful in the future? He continued to explain. Gilberton and everyone are only here during work hours. But what if some hooligans sneak in at night? Those guys do not even care about Mr. Wayne. She was momentarily confused. After hearing what he said, after a moment of silence, Giselle hesitantly opened her mouth. I think I should follow your advice and move my sleeping place, boss. Receiving the answer, Reniel smiled with satisfaction. Before leaving, he did not forget to remind, think carefully and then decide. I still have some things to prepare, so I will be back later. At this time, Giselle was alone in the room. The butterfly spirit flew around the room. They kept repeating, the master's mansion is so luxurious, the master's mansion is so magnificent. The garden in the master's mansion, the most wonderful magic garden ever. She helplessly watched. Are they skillfully urging me to move into the mansion? At this moment, a matrix appeared right before Giselle's eyes. Seeing the abnormal reaction, they worriedly asked, what is wrong? She confusedly asked back, what is suddenly wrong with you guys? One of them casually speculated. Has the protective magic been broken? Giselle unexpectedly shouted. What? The butterfly spirit hurriedly announced. Someone has broken into the shop. Hide, quickly. As soon as the words were spoken, hurried footsteps sounded. The person who just arrived said with a charming voice, hello. She continued to ask, is anyone here? Giselle was so frightened that she did not dare to move. The woman raised her head and looked up. She smiled coldly. Poison dust. So it is a white magic mage. The butterfly spirit repeated, white magic mage. Suddenly, screams came from outside. Inside, Giselle kept telling herself, don't make a sound, the butterflies have been attacked, so Reniel will notice and come quickly. The woman had been crouching under the bed since when? She smirked. It is time. Now the woman gently pulled the bedsheet. She whispered the name, Giselle Royspin. Immediately afterwards, the woman pulled her hand strongly. Before the unexpected scene, Giselle's heart became even more panicked. Why? Why is she so strong? Only to see the woman jerked her to her front. Seeing that, Giselle lowered her head. She trembled and said, I am sorry. We are not open. If you break in without permission, it is trespassing. Hearing that, she could not help but laugh. What? The woman said softly, think of me as a friend who came to visit. We just met a few days ago. As if awakened, Giselle loudly questioned, You were the one who caused trouble the other day, right? On this side, the woman let out a soft laugh. This time, I remember. She could not help but feel a little confused. What? She suddenly pushed hard. The woman lowered her head and looked down. She gently reassured. Don't worry. I won't kill you, so do not be afraid. I have used too much energy because of that spell at the entrance just now. Damn that bastard. I can't believe he dared to put such a strong enchantment in this place. Meanwhile, Giselle was both angry and somewhat scared. After a moment of hesitation, she bluntly questioned, Who are you? The woman's expression immediately changed. She suspiciously looked at her. You remembered me just now. Giselle raised her head and looked up. She shouted, It is not her. I am talking about you, the one who is controlling this girl. The woman tilted her head in confusion. That is strange. Giselle Royspin is not usually so perceptive. She suddenly said something incomprehensible. Gold magic. You did not do as I told you. Giselle's heart became even more panicked. What, she just said? Gold magic? Meanwhile, the woman muttered to herself, So that is why there is a side effect that changes your personality. What did you summon? A normal person? Then suddenly she leaned closer. What happened? I told you to become more delicious, to become food for that person. The woman looked straight into Giselle's eyes. She said, Then I will acknowledge you for getting close to Renil and luring that person out, but that is not enough. Seeing that, she frantically struggled. You? What the heck are you talking about? Giselle hurriedly pulled back her arm. She could not help but be horrified. To be food for others, what kind of weird thing did I just hear? I did not mishear, did I? So that means... At this moment, the woman unconsciously heard the sound. Giselle Royspin is the one behind everything. Did someone force her to use gold magic? The target of gold magic is Renil? Thinking of this, she exclaimed. But... The woman almost lost her mind. She wondered, why is Giselle still alive in this room full of poison dust? On the opposite side, she confusedly watched. That is also what I want to ask you. The woman smiled softly. The power that Giselle obtained from gold magic is also not very useful. At this moment, Renil unexpectedly raised his voice. Is that all? Immediately, he knocked her away. Not stopping there, Renil continued to hit a few more times. As soon as she saw him, Giselle almost burst into tears. Boss. She both blamed and complained. You are late. The butterflies have been dead for a long time. Giselle paused. She looked at Renil emotionally. No, thank you for coming. At this time, she confusedly called him boss. Giselle hesitantly asked, You are my boss, right? Renil did not answer, but asked back, And you? He seriously questioned, Are you Giselle Royspin? Right? She was momentarily confused. Excuse me, what? Unconsciously, Giselle remembered, Don't imitate Giselle Royspin, even if it is just a joke. She put her hand on her chest and affirmed, I am Giselle, an employee of the general store. Renil did not answer. He frowned and looked at her for a long time. After a long time, he explained in a low voice, That woman did not intend to kill you. She was just talking to stall for time. Renil showed a blank face. He continued, From the beginning, she came to contact you. This is the one who joined hands with you to use gold magic. Giselle could not help but feel a little surprised. How do you know? I only just found out about that. She suddenly remembered her hurried appearance. You are late. The butterflies have been dead for a long time. She softly muttered. Could it be? As if she could not believe it, Giselle loudly questioned. You have been here for a while, have you? You were hiding and eavesdropping on the conversation. Renil did not deny. He continued. You once said you knew the future of important people. You also said that you would tell me and ask me to save you. Giselle's heart was full of pain. She could not help but find it hard to believe. You are suspecting me. Then Giselle looked straight at Renil. She said with a trembling voice, Boss, do you think I would collude with someone whom I do not even know the name of and set a trap for you with the future I know? At this moment, Giselle tried to suppress the pain in her heart. She tremblingly replied, I know the boss might be suspecting me. After that, Giselle raised her head and looked straight at Renil. But it is really not me. I completely do not remember anything about gold magic, and do not know anything about those women. He slightly narrowed his eyes. His voice sounded cold and emotionless. You are definitely bait that person is targeting at me. Hearing that, Giselle was almost petrified. She unconsciously remembered the woman. She shouted with a strained voice, I will acknowledge you for getting close to Renil and luring that person out. Giselle tightened her grip on the shirt. She lowered her head. Maybe that is the case. Seeing that, Renil continued. He stared at her. But it seems that things did not go according to that person's plan. He wants you to fully fulfill the original role. Having no choice, Giselle once again nodded. Yes, maybe that is the case. Her head was spinning. I also do not know why it is Giselle Royspin using gold magic, because that thing was not in the novel. Where does Tien come from for Renil? And what was the white magic mage inciting Giselle Royspin about? She put a big question mark. It does not exist in the novel at all. Thinking of this, Giselle became even more confused. She questioned herself. Did I really read a novel about this world? Will this world unfold exactly as in that novel? In that moment, Giselle almost panicked. She frantically asked herself, and did a me exist from the beginning, who sat and read that novel? Who am I finally? Finally, she gave a concluding question. Why did I become Giselle Royspin? At this moment, Renil softly called, Giselle. She immediately interrupted him without hesitation. Yes, I know without you saying it. I admit that there are situations that cause suspicion. Seeing that, he continued to call, Giselle. Meanwhile, she clenched her hands tightly, her nails digging into her skin. But really, it is not me. I do not know anything. That probably does not matter to you, right, boss? Seeing her body trembling non-stop, he suddenly felt sorry, Giselle. After a moment of silence, Renil gently touched Giselle's hair. Why are you crying? Tears welled up, but she denied. I am not crying because I am sad. I only cry when I feel disappointed and uncomfortable, so that is all. Giselle seemed to sink into a pile of confusion. In the past and now, I have tried so hard to live, to adapt, to integrate. But why are not things as smooth as they seem? She tried to wipe away the tears, muttering, I am not crying because I really want to cry. At this moment, Renil unexpectedly leaned over, his hand gently caressing Giselle's cheek. He slightly raised his eyebrows. Are you afraid of me? Do you think I will kill you? Before the unexpected question, Giselle had tears in her eyes. She fearfully lowered her head, her voice trembling. If you have to kill me, please do it quickly and painlessly. Seeing that, Renil gently touched her cheek and comforted. I won't kill you. He tilted his head and looked at the girl before him. Renil was silent for a moment, then affirmed, will not kill you, Giselle. After speaking, Renil laughed and teased. What, do you want to die? She hurriedly shouted, Of course not. As soon as the words were spoken, he lowered his head and smiled faintly. Then suddenly, Renil gave an announcement. The chicken coop has been decorated. Giselle confusedly repeated, Chicken coop? After a long time, she unconsciously remembered. You once promised that. I will build you the most luxurious and largest chicken coop in the world. Returning to reality, Giselle stared wide-eyed at Renil. You really wasted money on those things. Immediately afterwards, she used her hand to cover her mouth as if trying to suppress the scream in her heart. Finally, Giselle happily speculated. So you kept me to find out the mastermind, right? She leaned over and looked at him excitedly. You are planning to use me as bait to counterattack, right? If this is related to me, that kid will approach me again. I will actively contribute with you, boss. Really? Meanwhile, Renil frowned thoughtfully. I can understand how she usually thinks about me now. Then he worriedly touched Giselle's hand. But why are there so many wounds on your body? And I do not know healing magic. In contrast to Renil, she appeared calm. With these wounds, you just need to apply medicine, and it will be fine. Hearing this, Renil wore a displeased expression. It was a pity she did not intend to kill this woman. She almost lost her life. How could she squeeze into such a small space to hide? She was momentarily flustered. She came so suddenly I could not think of anything. The more he listened, the angrier he got. Did she not know what fear was, arguing with a stranger? Giselle gave a forced smile, stammering an explanation. I do know what is scary. But, well, can I say I reacted like an employee negotiating a salary? Seeing her innocent appearance, Renil could only laugh helplessly. Seeing this, Giselle also grinned brightly. A moment later, Renil leaned forward. He waved his hand to push her back. I need to check if she is still dangerous. Step back. She was momentarily confused and suspicious. At first, he clearly doubted her, but why did he change his mind now? Then Giselle remembered the insult from the woman. She was just a criminal, albeit famous for her beautiful face. She almost screamed in her heart. Oh, no way! Don't tell me he changed his mind, because I cried with his face. Thinking back, Renil's spirits did drop when he saw her burst into tears. After a moment of silence, she tilted her head and asked, Boss, do you think I have a pretty face? At the unexpected question, Renil almost froze. He blankly turned to look directly at her. Before Renil could answer, Giselle laughed excitedly. I did not expect my life to be saved just because he liked my face. I would probably die of embarrassment before dying at my boss's hands. Just pretend you did not hear anything. Contrary to expectations, he coldly remarked, No, you are not that beautiful. She nodded in response. Yes, I know. Not stopping there, Renil smiled slightly. The things you do are what is beautiful. Hearing this, Giselle felt even more motivated. She curiously asked, Considering what you have witnessed, do you think what I do is beautiful? Suddenly, Renil pointed directly at Giselle's nose. Except the way you cry is especially ugly. She embarrassedly replied, I am really sorry for hurting your eyes with my ugly face. In that instant, Renil stared at her. He offered, Then, if you really want to cry, cry in front of me. His voice echoed in her ears. If you are angry and disappointed, do not find a hidden place to cry. Instead, come to me. Even though I do not want to see that ugly face, I will help you solve the problem. Giselle, on the other hand, had not understood yet. She just stared at him blankly. A moment later, Giselle lowered her head. She blankly touched her cheeks. Why is my face so hot? I feel like my body is acting strange. Giselle quickly changed the subject. But what about this woman? Shouldn't we take her to the medical center? Renil looked down, his eyes cold as frost. She is dead. She was dead from the start. He continued, explaining. There is no way she could have survived being trapped by the protection magic placed at the entrance of the cave. Giselle's throat tightened. So I was just talking to a corpse this whole time, Renil calmly nodded. Yeah. He tilted his head, staring intently at her. So, have you thought about moving to my mansion yet? Giselle almost blurted out. I will move in right now. Viviana's temporary medical station appeared like an oasis. Viviana smiled softly. Now, just rest for a few days and you will be fine. The bodyguard chimed in. Thank you, Miss Viviana. Just then, Barry Finn slowly removed his cloak. He said in a low voice, You are still busy doing good deeds, I see, Viviana. On the opposite side, her eyes immediately lit up like lamps. Viviana exclaimed excitedly, Master! Barry Finn grinned, the former archmage and Viviana's white magic teacher. She stood up abruptly and rushed over. It has been a long time. Are you making an appearance because something happened? He shook his head, slowly approaching. Don't worry, the hideout Viviana built is still safe. Barry Finn lightly touched his face. He said bitterly, If that was the reason I came here. Then he leaned down, his voice gradually fading. I am just curious if you have had any contact with Renil since that day. Viviana immediately shook her head. No, I have not. I do not know where he is or what he is doing. Barry Finn slightly smirked. Actually, I think I have found that kid's whereabouts. She looked at him in surprise. Really, Master? At this moment, Barry Finn seriously confirmed, That is right. Saying this, he spoke cryptically. The small seed I sowed has finally sprouted. Viviana, on the other hand, repeated in confusion, What? A seed? Barry Finn slowly explained, a faint smile on his face. Yes, a seed. The greed of the mages has dragged a dark cloud over the world. Finally, he emphatically stressed, and I sowed a seed among them to dispel it. Hearing this, Viviana felt a little sad. She said with a choked voice, You are still doing good things for this world, Master. Viviana showed regret. I wish I could heal your broken mana vessel that day and restore your magic power, Master. He gently touched her shoulder, comforting her. Don't say that, Viviana. Normally, a broken mana vessel would kill me instantly, but... Barry Finn looked directly at her. I am still alive today. Thanks to you, Viviana. He paused, his eyes distant. But another of my students has been lost forever. Barry Finn continued with a serious tone. Renil must have gone with the mages. I think he is become a close associate of Wayne Aolra. Viviana slowly opened her mouth. What? A close associate of Wayne Aolra, Renil. But does not that mean he must be very powerful? Barry Finn tilted his head thoughtfully, then replied, He must have found a way. With the evil nature of black magic, inhumane methods may have been used, but it is also interesting. If his mana vessel is broken, he will need a constant supply of mana to survive. Suddenly his expression changed, his voice becoming urgent. If he is forced to absorb the mana of the mages like he did with us that day, then Dylan must have discovered it and considered him a serial killer. How could he do that? Could there be another way we do not know about? Viviana suddenly approached. Master. He startled, muttering, I am sorry. I am used to talking too much. Seeing this, she quickly offered. Would you like a cup of tea? Let us drink together and calm down. He agreed without thinking, okay. A moment later, Viviana carefully poured tea. She called out in a low voice, Master. Viviana wore a curious expression. The seed you sowed among the mages. What kind of seed is it? As soon as the words were spoken, Barry Finn smiled slightly. It is. Barry Finn continued with a smug look. If we can't find the whereabouts of the seed, Giselle Royspin, we will find Renil. She was momentarily confused. Giselle Royspin. The scene shifts to a luxurious and magnificent mansion. Inside, Giselle looks serious. Boss, actually, just be honest with me. She looked up in panic at the skyscraper. A short-term rental, right? Not a private residence. Seeing Renil not answering, Giselle quickly guessed. Or is this really not your mansion, but Wayne Aolra's? He helplessly replied, "Just assume it is a mansion he gave me. Either way, this is my mansion." Immediately after, Renil suddenly snatched the luggage from her hand. He turned to smile. "No more doubts, right? Then follow me. I will take you on a tour of the mansion." The scene shifts to the inside, where a spire is placed in the middle. Giselle looked around the mansion and could not help but sigh. "It is so big." Giselle quietly whispered, her body moving quickly. "Oh my god, what is this? This porcelain looks really expensive." Later, she slowly followed behind Renil, her eyes still looking around. It was at this moment that Giselle stopped. Only to see Giselle was somewhat cautious, she hesitantly opened her mouth, "But boss." After a moment of hesitation, Giselle frankly expressed her views. "There is no one here." Seeing the entire hall silent, she could not help but feel a little curious. Such a large mansion must need a lot of servants to manage, but I have not seen anyone since just now. Renil sighed softly. "Didn't I tell you already? I do not trust humans." He continued walking, his voice echoing, "This mansion is the safest place for me. There is no way I would let anyone else live here." Giselle stopped, her heart skipping a beat. "Huh. So He turned back to look directly into her eyes. "You are the first one." Renil was now standing right in front of Giselle. He emphasized each word. "You are the first person to enter this house and live here." As soon as the words were spoken, she stared blankly at Renil. Giselle clenched her palm. She hesitated. Immediately, she seriously asked, "So am I the manager of this mansion?" Before Renil's bewildered appearance, Giselle indifferently ignored it and continued to speculate. "Is this a side job? If it is my second job, we need to rewrite the contract." Hearing this, he sighed helplessly. She chuckled softly. "Just kidding." Instead, Giselle declared loudly, "You want us to be close so you can react quickly when enemies approach, right? Don't worry, I won't betray your trust, boss." The more he thought about it, the more confused he felt. Where did things go wrong? Renil changed the subject, his voice suddenly lighter. "Do you like flowers? There is a large flower garden around the mansion. Would you like to see it?" She nodded in confusion, her voice small. "Yes, I like it very much." Meanwhile, Giselle almost screamed in her heart, "I hope it is not too obvious. Why do I keep saying things that are so easily misunderstood lately?" After a long time, the two moved to a flower garden. Giselle's eyes scanned the area. "This place is the magic garden the butterflies mentioned." Her eyes widened. "Everything in the mansion is made of magic," Renil nodded in confirmation. "That is right." Giselle seemed to grasp the information. "That is why he does not need servants." Then she turned to look at him worriedly. "But is not using so much magic very difficult?" He replied, as if reading her thoughts, "If I receive magic power immediately, it is not too difficult." Hearing this, Giselle blinked. "Receive magic power immediately? Is it because all the flowers in this garden are made of magic?" Renil's eyes glanced at the vase in Giselle's hand. "And you, what is with that vase?" she quickly explained. "I saw there was an empty vase, so I picked some wildflowers nearby to put in it." Giselle happily brought it in front of him. She smiled radiantly. "It looks pretty, does not it?" Immediately afterwards, Giselle excitedly handed it towards Renil. "You should put this in your room, boss." He snatched it from Giselle's hand. "Without hesitation, I will put it." Seeing Renil's hurried appearance, she confusedly followed. "Where will you put it?" He looked up in one direction. "My bedroom." "Come along." The voice seemed to reverberate straight into Giselle's mind. She repeated in confusion. "To the boss's bedroom." Renil was silent for a moment. She was even more confused. "Why the bedroom?" He did not answer, but turned to smile. "I wonder that too." Noticing the abnormality, her cheeks flushed red. "Bedroom." Giselle unconsciously stared at Renil, thoughts rising in her head. Usually, that is a place to sleep. But beds have many uses. At this moment, he tilted his head to look at her. "Why is your face so red?" Giselle's inner self almost exploded after the question. She frantically covered her face with her hands, constantly explaining, "There is nothing wrong with my face." Seeing this, Renil teased, "Don't panic like that. Just follow me. I have something for you." After speaking, Giselle and he went straight into the house. She craned her neck, her eyes staring ahead. This is your bedroom, boss," Renil shrugged. "That is right." Only to see Giselle's eyelashes were curled up. Her blue eyes were big and round. In a flash, Giselle's face darkened. She choked up. "But this is..." Giselle suspiciously confirmed again. "This is your bedroom, right?" Still as before, Renil nodded in confirmation. "That is right." Receiving the answer, Giselle looked around again. But why? Doubt rose in her heart. There is no table, no chairs. He does not have anything called a bed. Giselle stepped further in, looking around. There are no photo frames or decorations either. An empty bedroom. It looks so lonely. Later, Giselle carefully placed the vase of flowers on a shelf. After a moment of silence, she could not hide her curiosity and asked, "The hallway is decorated very nicely, but why does this room only have a bed?" Hearing this, Reniel curved his lips into a smile. "Besides the bed," he suddenly admitted, "I have destroyed everything else." Contrary to expectations, Giselle reacted abnormally. "Boss, you are so amazing," Reniel quickly explained. "That is a thing of the past. Even if that happens again, you won't see it." At this moment, he brought a piece of cloth in front of her. "Here." Before Giselle's bewildered eyes, Reniel urged, "Take it." Seeing that she did not understand, he added, "Emily's shawl is finished." Giselle quickly took it. "Thank you." Seeing Giselle excited, he did not forget to remind her, "Remember to take it with you when you go out, but you do not need it in the mansion at night." She turned to look at Reniel in confusion. "Why do not I need to wear this in the mansion?" Suddenly, he changed his tone, "Because no one can find you here." Reniel looked seriously at Giselle. He smirked. "This is a place where magic is disordered." Before the shocking information, her whole body froze. Giselle still did not fully understand. She wondered to herself, "A place where magic is disordered. I do not know exactly what that means. But does it mean this is a lonely place that no one can find except for those who are invited?" Thinking this, Giselle looked at him in confusion. Why does Reniel have to hide in a place like this? After a long time, she excitedly ran to the dining table. "So much food. Did you cook it yourself?" Reniel shook his head in denial. "No, I prepared it yesterday. Before that, it was empty." She turned, simultaneously posing a big question mark. "So how did you eat before that, boss?" Reniel thought for a moment and then casually replied, "Just casually." Giselle shouted in panic, "Casually?" She angrily chided, "Eating is a very important and sacred thing. People need energy from cooked rice." Seeing this, he interjected, "From the beginning, the constitution of mages depends more on magic power, so eating is not too important." Giselle seriously rejected, "No reason is acceptable." She excitedly came up with an idea. "I am not very good at cooking either, but I will try to prepare at least one meal so we can eat together." Meanwhile, Reniel wore a dissatisfied expression. "She is doing things I did not ask for again." "That is really sincere." He helplessly looked at her. "Usually when I give her permission to rest, she does not want to. Let us see." Then suddenly, Reniel pointed his hand at Giselle and snapped his fingers. Feeling the energy, she immediately turned around. Giselle confusedly looked at the robot. "This is..." At this moment, she blankly speculated. A golem." Reniel quickly nodded in response. "That is right. The chef does not necessarily have to be human, right?" Immediately afterwards, a series of golems appeared, cleaning and doing laundry, serving meals, gardening. He sighed softly. "I will create them gradually." On the other hand, Giselle could not help but feel a little worried. Is it okay to overuse magic like this? What if you get sick again like last time? Contrary to her, Reniel wore a calm expression. "It is okay here." He thought to himself, "Because I have the magic garden. If I did not have this place, I would have died, or become a cripple, long ago." At the same time, Giselle was still worried. She approached. "It is okay here. What about outside?" She thought to herself, "Is he hungry? Why does he always leave the sentence unfinished?" Suddenly, Reniel announced, "By the way, I almost forgot. Gilberton will be at the entrance of the mansion every day when you go to work, so go with him." He continued, adding, "I will pick you up after you get off work." Giselle blankly listened. "He will live with me, handle the housework with magic." In her head, a sweet scene appeared, and pick me up after every working hour, like a husband taking care of his wife. Thinking this, Giselle angrily punished herself. "What is wrong with me?" Not caring about Reniel's presence, she unconsciously muttered, "Did he really mean that? I did not expect him to go that far." After speaking, Giselle hesitated for a moment. Suddenly, she turned to look at him with sad eyes. I am not sure why you are so good to me, boss." Giselle looked up. "Boss, you know I am not Giselle Royspin." Reniel did not reply. He just quietly looked at her. After a long time, he answered succinctly, "I know." Hearing this, she confusedly asked, Do not you think I am dangerous?" Reniel smiled and replied, "I used to think about that." He gently touched her slender shoulders. The silent moment stretched out. Reniel suddenly confessed, "Whoever you are summoned here, I like the person who is in front of me right now." He vaguely recalled, "This mansion, like a fortress, which is no different from my own will, my subconscious, is welcoming you without any defenses." Returning to reality, Reniel smiled sweetly. "You are very dangerous." He touched Giselle's body, looking at her lovingly. "More dangerous than you think." After speaking, Reniel gently removed his hand from Giselle. Then he carefully reminded, "Now that you have toured the kitchen, why do not you go rest? You have to go to work tomorrow." She unconsciously replied, "Yes." In that instant, Giselle was still confused. When Reniel said I was dangerous, did he really mean that, or did it mean something else? Next morning, she blankly rested her chin on her desk. Giselle shuddered slightly. After the tarantula incident, I am a little scared to open the shop. Luckily, the three mages take turns staying at the shop. I guess the boss asked them. That must be troublesome. At this moment, a fairy butterfly flew over hurriedly. Giselle, you can't drink Sullian's medicine. It will give you a stomachache. She gave a forced smile. I know, you do not need to remind me. Sullian curiously leaned over. Are you talking to those familiars? Giselle nodded in confirmation. The boss told me their names. He could not help but feel a little suspicious. Knowing the names does not mean you can communicate with someone's familiar. You are not even a mage. It is really strange. After speaking, Sullian clapped his hands. As expected, you seem to have a physique that is very compatible with magic. Is that why the boss kept you around? He smiled with a sly face. But it is rare to find a body that is compatible with black magic. Could you give me a drop of your blood? She immediately refused. No way, number. Sullian sighed listlessly. What a waste. Giselle gave him a wary look. You are not planning to secretly attack or do something to me, right? He quickly replied. Of course. Sullian said quickly, his voice trembling. If I accidentally hurt you. He raised his hand and slashed across her as if signaling. Your boss will kill me. As soon as the words were spoken, Sullian trembled and hugged his body tightly. Hearing this, Giselle thought to herself, as expected, that was not my hallucination. Whether it is Cillian, Gilberton, or Windria, everyone seems to have difficulty or is afraid of Renil. Renil is just a supporting character. There is no need to be so afraid, is there? Then suddenly she leaned towards him, whispering, Hey, mister. Sullian, I am wondering about this. Giselle seriously asked, Is it true that among all of you, our boss is the leader? Sullian confirmed without thinking, That is right. He excitedly boasted, Because that person is really amazing. Giselle's inner self became even more excited. Our boss, the person I thought was just a passing supporting character, is really the number one. She smiled happily. Our boss is the top of the hierarchy. Sullian did not care about his appearance. He nodded vigorously. Of course, he is the best. Suddenly Sullian gave some information. Above all, he is my benefactor. He said quickly without thinking. If it were not for the antidote he gave me, I would have died already. So I also decided to help him with all my heart. Giselle was full of doubts. In the original work, the person who saved Sullian's life and gained his loyalty was Wayne. On the other hand, he happily pointed to himself, I am the closest person to Renil, even more than Gilberton or Mrs. Windria. She was still deep in thought in the novel. The person that Sullian obsessed over was Wayne Aol. After a long time, Giselle reacted, Sullian. At this moment, she seriously asked, Do you ever feel uncomfortable that our boss is the closest person to Wayne? Aolry? He seemed nonchalant. What is the big deal? After speaking, Sullian continued to praise. Renil is a very outstanding person that no one can compare to, right? He is a natural-born genius mage. She chuckled softly. I understand. Even better than Mrs. Windria or Mr. Vidro, right? Sullian confirmed without thinking. Of course, they can't compare to him. Seizing the opportunity, she opened her mouth. Then, Giselle looked directly into Sullian's eyes. Is he better than Wayne Aol? Only to see his whole body froze like an iceberg, his voice trembling, Giselle. Immediately, Sullian stood up abruptly. I just remembered I have something urgent to do. Before she could react, he turned and ran away, so I am leaving now. In the blink of an eye, Sullian disappeared. The door slammed shut. The fairy butterfly criticized. He does not even have any skills. You do not know, Giselle said awkwardly. I am not in the mood to laugh. She clenched her palm, her voice cold. Do you know? Immediately afterwards, Giselle's eyes widened as she looked up. Can you tell me about the boss? I guess I do not know much about him. The fairy butterfly was momentarily confused. What do you mean? She gave an example, like what he has done, what he has been through, things like that. It helplessly lamented, that is too broad. At this moment, the fairy butterfly quickly made a suggestion. Why do not you just ask him directly? It seriously added, we do not know much about the relationship between humans, but you are the first person the master has allowed to stay at the mansion. It seems you are very close to the master. Hearing this, Giselle's cheeks flushed red. She shyly replied, Really? Then Giselle excitedly declared, Yes, maybe that is right. I will ask him myself, thank you. An idea suddenly arose in her heart. I do not know why, but I feel like Renil will tell me the truth if I ask him. In a flash, night had arrived. The scene was extremely picturesque. At this moment, Renil suddenly appeared. He tilted his head to look ahead. I have come to pick you up. Was everything okay? As soon as she saw Renil, Giselle startled. Boss? She tried to avoid his eyes, her heart in a tangle. About that, what should I ask? Suddenly, Renil's expression changed. He shouted, Wait! Renil, without saying a word, touched Giselle's face. You! He gently touched her eyelids with his fingertips. Have you not Did you not have double eyelids from the start? Before the unexpected action in question, Giselle unconsciously stepped back. She was momentarily confused. I do not have double eyelids. Immediately afterwards, Giselle hurriedly looked in the mirror, only to see inside was still her face. Giselle vaguely recalled a vision. I am sure I. After a long time, she seriously affirmed, I guess not. Unexpectedly, Renil quickly took the mirror from Giselle's hand. He asked in a low voice, by the way, have you finished cleaning up the shop? She quickly turned around. Yes, I am done. Instead, I wanted to look in the mirror for a bit. Renil blatantly made the mirror disappear, he offered. Then let us go home. Don't you want to try the dinner made by the golems? Seeing Renil's hand, she stopped. He even came to pick me up in person, but it seems he is... Then Giselle gently touched his hand. Yes. At this moment, Bedro suddenly rushed in. You are here, he said quickly, panting. You have arrived, Lord Renil. She blankly looked at him. Mr. Bedro. Hearing the familiar voice, Bedro reacted. Miss Giselle is here too. At the same time, Renil hurriedly ordered, Mr. Bedro, I do not know what is going on, but get out. Suddenly, the man who rushed in let out an earth-shattering scream. My lord! Giselle's eyes widened as she looked at them. The door is broken. Who are they anyway? Suddenly, as if an electric current ran through her, she stopped. Wait, that person? Giselle carefully observed each feature. Silver hair. A terrifying thought appeared in her mind, a cold, untouchable aura. It is, like, the description of Wayne Aole, is not it. Don't tell me that person is Wayne. Wayne continued to shout. We are in trouble, my lord, right now. He immediately collapsed, muttering curses. You, the crazy employee. Giselle thought to herself, that must hurt. She looked at Renil anyway, the person that Wayne called. At this moment, she could not help but feel a little surprised, my lord. Thinking back, Renil uses magic power so easily, treats the three villain characters badly, and does not seem to get along with Dylan. Giselle covered her mouth as if not wanting to believe, no matter how you look at it. I can't. My head is hot. She quickly left. I will go to another room. Feel free to talk. At this moment, Renil unexpectedly grabbed Giselle's hand. You are not going anywhere. Wayne's eyes widened in surprise. Are you going to take that crazy employee with you? He nodded concisely. That is right, he said nonchalantly, but that employee's mania is easily contagious. Bedro immediately squeezed Wayne's shoulders. Go open the teleportation gate. He immediately turned Wayne around. At the same time, Giselle lowered her head. I do not know where we are going, but you can leave me behind. I am useless. Renil held her hand even tighter. I do not want to. Suddenly he asked tentatively. Then how do you feel about meeting him in person? Renil nonchalantly continued. Didn't you say something before? Sparkling silver hair and a face that you can't forget once you see it, she asked in panic. You did not tell him that I said that. Did you? Hearing this, Renil laughed. Why would I do that? It will be more impressive if you say it yourself. Giselle almost screamed. What? You want me to say it myself? You are so heartless, of course. He blatantly burst into giggles. I am very happy that you now know how heartless I am. Then Renil got straight to the point. So I guess you also know what I have not said, right? Giselle looked hesitant. Then she replied, everyone thinks Wayne Aole is the leader. Saying this, she looked seriously at him, but actually, Giselle quickly concluded, the real leader is you, boss. Renil did not deny it at all. He smiled sinisterly. That is right. Giselle's facial muscles completely froze. Her heart was surging. Giselle's inner self screamed helplessly. Didn't recognize the villain while he was right next to me, and even thought I was lucky not to be involved with him. Thinking this, she still could not help but feel a little confused, but in the novel, the villain is Wayne Aole. Giselle blankly observed Renil, a handsome, silver-haired man. Suddenly, he pointed at her forehead. In other words, Renil suddenly got closer, he whispered. I can't leave you alone now that you know that. Contrary to expectations, her heart was pounding. Okay, I hope so, because I know the secret. Seeing that appearance of Giselle, Renil wore a bewildered expression. She gently called. Boss, is not there always a confidentiality clause in every employment contract? No matter where I go, I won't breathe a word. Giselle was flustered. So please spare my life. Renil smiled slightly. What can I say? She angrily cursed inwardly. I have shown such loyalty, and now he is laughing at me. After speaking, Renil carefully handed over a cloak. I understand, but put this on first. Giselle was momentarily blank. This is... She slowly took it, her fingers gently stroking it. A cloak? Before that, he did not forget to instruct. Don't wander around, just stay by my side. Giselle reacted at this moment. Wait, where are we going? Renil casually replied. I do not know. I am not the one opening this teleportation gate. She exclaimed in horror. What? Her inner self resentfully screamed. You are still going in, not knowing the destination. In that instant, Ranil gently reached out his hand. Take my hand. His whole body seemed to radiate a halo that made Giselle's heart flutter incessantly. Seeing her hesitate, Ranil turned around. If you want to be trapped in a space-time rift, you can go alone. Giselle frantically followed. Wait for me, she resentfully cursed. He really is a villain. In the end, I got involved with all the important characters in Poison Apple. Meanwhile, Ranil nonchalantly teased. Hold on tight. An idea flashed in her head. That is also bad. After a long time, Giselle quietly observed her surroundings. This. At the same time, Ranil called out softly, over here. She could not help but feel a little confused. Where is this? On the opposite side, he once again reached out his hand towards her. Giselle. Before that appearance of Ranil, Giselle hesitated for a moment. Finally, she stepped closer to him. Seeing this, Ranil smiled lightly in satisfaction. As soon as she touched his hand, Giselle reassured herself. It will be okay, right? Suddenly, shouts rang out. Get out of the way! Get out of the way! She worriedly looked around. Everyone looked so busy. I do not know if I am allowed to be here. At this moment, Giselle could not help but speak up. Excuse me, boss, where are we? Anyway. Suddenly the man rushed up. Leader Wayne. She followed the sound and looked ahead. Leader Wayne. What is going on here? Giselle was momentarily horrified. For a second, I thought he was the real leader. His acting skills are really top-notch. He bowed respectfully. There are a few things we need you to check for us. He coldly replied, All right, let us go. As soon as he passed Ranil, Wayne said in a low voice, Go inside and assist, Mr. Pedro. Giselle could not help but feel a little surprised. Is he talking down to the boss? Anyway, is a fake leader allowed to treat a real villain like that? She stared blankly at him, but Ranil did not seem to care at all. That is tough. This worldview is really hard to understand. At the same time, non-stop whispers rang out. Someone seriously asked, Have you handled the sacrifices? The other person quickly replied, Yes. He continued to order, Quickly clean up the altar underground. Giselle tilted her head to look over. Everyone's so busy, I want to do something to help too. Then she quickly turned around. Boss, wait, Ranil blankly watched her leave. Giselle, where are you going? Giselle bent over and picked up a wooden box. I just thought I should lend them a hand. He frowned uncomfortably. What do you think you are doing? Later, Giselle turned around seriously. While the mages are holding a meeting, they were attacked by the enemy, and now they are hurriedly handling the materials to leave this place and escape. Is that right? Seeing his expression, she was even more certain. It seems like I guessed, right? Seizing the opportunity, Giselle gave her reasoning. Since no one here knows the boss's real identity, well, I have to pretend to be useful to avoid suspicion. Ranil suddenly asked, Why are not you surprised? She blankly looked at him. Huh. He stepped closer. Why are not you surprised by this situation? She naively replied, I am not surprised. I stopped being surprised a long time ago. After speaking, Giselle raised her head, her eyes somewhat serious. This is not a situation where I can sit still, so I have to do something. Hearing this, Ranil's face fell. He suddenly reached out and took the wooden box. Let me do it. At this moment, the woman grumbled. Hey, you two quickly go clean up Leader Wayne's office. Giselle exclaimed in panic. My stuff. Seeing Ranil turn around, she awkwardly reached out her hand. How can you take that? He did not care, and continued moving. She frantically followed. Wait, boss, let us go together. Only to see Ranil's expression was somewhat dangerous. After a long time, the two arrived at a mansion. Giselle blankly looked around. What are these doors? Which one is the office among them? Suddenly, Giselle's body slammed hard into Ranil. She was almost dizzy. Why did he suddenly stop? Later, Giselle reacted. She blankly looked up. This is... Giselle said quickly, her tone somewhat confused. Boss, this is a wall, is not it? Only to see Ranil waved his hand, and the wall turned into a door. He carefully instructed. Stay close to me. She immediately replied, Yes, boss. Her inner self secretly affirmed. Sure, it is definitely the office of the villain. There is no way it would be in a normal place. As soon as they entered inside, everything was extremely chaotic. Contrary to Giselle's blank expression, Ranil was quite calm. She blinked her eyes and looked at the pile of documents in front of her. Are we going to burn this pile of papers here? His voice was hoarse, cold. Leave it there. We will handle everything at once with magic. Giselle worriedly asked, What? But... Ranil's footsteps stopped. He suddenly changed his tone. Why? Ranil tilted his head to look at Giselle, his eyes as deep as an abyss. Do you think I brought you here? She trembled slightly. That is... Giselle softly spoke. A warning that you are so dangerous, I should be careful with, myself. Seeing his expression, she was somewhat afraid, isn't it? Seeing this, Giselle came up with an idea. Or is it a threat telling me not to mess around? To be careful with my mouth. It makes me a little scared. Do not tell me it is a threat to my life. Is it? Ranil replied briefly. One of them is right. She almost screamed, "Don't tell me it is a threat to my life." He came closer, his voice small but sharp, intending to make you understand that I am that kind of person. Suddenly, Renil changed his tone, low but urgent. "Before you told me do not come to the assembly, so according to you, how will that assembly end?" She stopped, her heart beating fast. "The assembly? Why are you asking so suddenly?" In the second part of the original work, the Grand Assembly, where the female lead, male lead, and villain meet, a massacre occurred right in the middle of the city. Giselle's expression gradually became serious. She whispered, "Maybe at that time." After a long time, Giselle finally spoke. Dylan Starcy became a victim of terrible magic from Wayne Aori, and lost his tail. Renil smirked. "Is that so?" His hand gently lifted, and then suddenly pressed down. "Now, sit down and enjoy the show." Sit down? She had no choice but to comply. Yes. Giselle blankly watched Renil's back. But, watch what? At that moment, he turned to look at her. From within Renil, a stream of energy radiated out. Immediately afterwards, he pressed his hand on the table, and a seal immediately appeared. In that instant, an enormous stream of magic power exploded. Witnessing that scene, Giselle's mouth dropped open. This magic power. The light almost swallowed her body. Silver smoke rose from Renil's hair. Giselle was almost immersed. "Now I understand." Later, he slowly spoke. "What do you think? I heard silver hair is very beautiful and sparkly." Renil smirked. He continued. "Is that right?" Giselle's heart was beating wildly. Her head was spinning. "The reason this person brought me here?" In that instant, she was almost stunned. After a long time, Giselle hesitated. "No, this is completely." She covered her mouth to suppress the scream in her heart, a sight so enchanting that it would destroy a country. Giselle stared blankly. The black-haired Renil I saw before was also very handsome, but silver-haired Renil is something else. It could not be more perfect. Is Viviana nearsighted? How could she choose Dylan instead of this face? She lowered her head, questioning herself. "I do not understand." At some point, Renil had appeared right in front of her. He asked uncomfortably. "So what do you think?" Giselle unconsciously blurted out. "Of course it is enchanting, is not it?" She hurriedly corrected herself. "You look very cunning." Renil repeated with dissatisfaction. "Cunning." As soon as she noticed the abnormality, Giselle awkwardly corrected herself. "That is not it. It is extraordinary. Ah, no. I mean, you look very captivating, truly spectacular. That is an amazing sight. Yes, that is a gift from God." Renil raised an eyebrow, his eyes sharp, as if wanting to see through her. "Do you have a talent for sarcasm?" Giselle blurted out. "No, I am not being sarcastic. I always speak from the heart. Don't you believe me, boss? Your silver hair is the best." He softly replied and turned away. "Forget it. Our work here is done. Let us go back." She muttered to herself, still not recovered. "Go back. To sleep." Giselle pursed her lips. "So, this magic? He came all the way here just to show off and clean up a pile of papers? Really?" Thinking this, she blankly watched Renil. Or is there another reason? Outside, the sound of people was rushing. Wonderful. The man praised. As expected of Lord Wayne, he erected a barrier. "Quickly clean up and get out of here." Giselle quietly listened. A barrier. Later, the other person excitedly shouted, "Every time I see it, I am amazed. How can he cover the entire castle with a barrier alone?" She stopped. If that was a barrier. Is that what they were talking about earlier? Giselle looked up. I think Renil was the one who did it, right? So that means, in that short period of time, he erected a barrier around the entire area. A voice echoed from the end. "Let us go, everyone. Line up." The man shouted. "Leader Wayne has opened a new barrier, so do not push and shove. Don't cut in line." Giselle could not help but feel a little confused. What is this? It looks like. She leaned forward, her eyes fixed on the subject. All of them are moving in an organized manner, unexpectedly. Giselle turned to look at the silver-haired man next to her. "Mr. Pedro." Suddenly, he turned around abruptly. She shuddered slightly. Why did he suddenly? At the same time, someone urged, "Let us go." Giselle wore a dissatisfied expression. What the hell is that power? Although it is a power that no one knows about. Right before her eyes, a stream of energy poured out. In the moment of passing Pedro, Giselle could not help but feel a chill. He whispered softly, almost inaudibly, "Take care." Before the sudden warning, Giselle was both panicked and confused. Only to see Pedro bowed his head, her inner self began to scream, "What the hell is going on?" On the other hand, Dylan cursed, "Damn it!" He gritted his teeth. Just a little more, and I could have completely broken the barrier, but in the meantime a new barrier was erected. It was clearly done by that Wayne guy. Otherwise, there is no way they could have created such a strong barrier in such a short amount of time. It is so strong that even dozens of white magic mages rushing in would find it difficult to break. No wonder those mages have such far-fetched ambitions with him at the helm. In that instant, Renil's face appeared. Dylan became even more furious, and that Renil too. He tightened his grip on the hilt of his sword, his expression sullen. Anger rose, accompanied by regret. Those evil mages, I should have eliminated them sooner. A guardian mage suddenly appeared. Lord Dylan, there is a letter for you. Dylan paused slightly. That magic power at that time was not an illusion. At first glance, I thought I was familiar with it, and then I realized it was that Renil, that treacherous bastard, after coveting Viviana and Master's magic power, and taking everything from Master. His heart became even more confused. What is he planning to do now? We can't continue to stand idly by and watch the mages plunder the magic power of others. Perhaps that is why Master had to personally take action to correct this chaotic world. Even though his body is getting worse than ever, I need to sort things out. Dylan turned around and ordered, prepare to activate the tracking spell. The Guardian asked in confusion, yes, if it is the tracking spell, who are you trying to track? His voice was cold as steel. Giselle, he thought to himself, and the order of the world. Dylan coldly ordered, track Giselle Royspin. On the other hand, she hugged her trembling body tightly. Giselle shuddered slightly. I suddenly feel a chill down my spine. Is it because I have been working too much today and my body is getting weak? Let us go. What is next? Gate after gate. How many gates have I gone through just to get back to the mansion? It is so difficult. Too difficult. Her gaze fell on the figure in front of her, but Giselle could not help but feel a little confused. Will his hair not change color again? If it were not for that hair, I would have thought what happened today was just a dream. At that moment, Renil reached out his hand, a stream of magic power radiating out. Fairy butterflies immediately appeared. She looked up at him worriedly. No, I think he used a lot of magic power earlier. Is it okay to use magic power like that again? Thinking this, Giselle pursed her lips. He looks unusually tired. Her voice became smaller. Sorry, boss. I think you are probably a little tired today. Giselle hesitantly spoke. Don't you think it is better if we go inside and... There was no response, she asked in a low voice. Rest a little. Giselle took a step forward, her hand reaching up. Boss. Immediately afterwards, she screamed, Boss, only to see Renil fell to the ground. His face flushed red. His breathing was somewhat difficult. Giselle frantically shook Renil. Boss, are you okay? She struggled to support Renil's body, stuttering to ask, Can you walk? His hoarse voice sounded weak. As long as I stay here, I will be okay. You go. She panicked. What? Giselle resentfully shouted. What are you saying? How could I leave a sick person in a place like this? Renil's voice was very weak, intermittent as if breathing. I am really okay, go. After speaking, his body fell forward. She became flustered. What should I do now? The boss fainted again. Should I call a doctor or something? One of the fairy butterflies stepped forward, reassuringly in a deep voice. Anyway, no one can come here. Quickly, take the master to the middle of the garden. Giselle looked up, stunned. The middle of the garden, it quickly replied. That is right. The master's magic power is currently unstable, so he needs to rest in a place with a lot of magic power. Worry rose even more in her heart. I also felt like he had used too much magic power earlier, but I guess he was already overexerted. Thinking this, Giselle frowned. Could it be? She could not help but wonder, did his hair change color also because he used too much magic power? Only to see Giselle gently touched Renil. She quickly took him to the glowing flower beds, then raised her head and asked, What do you guys think? Is this enough? They quickly replied, It is enough. This is the place with the most magic power. At this moment, the fairy butterfly confusedly asked, Then why did he summon us? There is nothing dangerous today. Summoning us will only slow down his recovery process. All is. They shouted in unison. Because of you, Giselle asked in surprise. What? They accused her together. Recently, the master summoned us because of you. Even though his magic power is unstable, he still called us over. Really? She thought for a moment. If that is true, then why did Renil summon both Ren and Van for me to explain the situation to me? Who will panic if the boss faints? At this moment, Giselle's eyes lit up. She directed her gaze towards the front, the magic power radiating from the flowers. Giselle quickly came to a conclusion, so that is it. Renil recovers by absorbing magic power from the flowers. One of them reminded, All right, that is it, you can go now. The other one quickly chimed in, That is right. From now on, we will protect the master. She exclaimed in panic, What? Giselle frowned, her tone suddenly sharp. Do not you think it is strange to just leave a sick person lying outside like that? They were a little surprised. What sick person? The master is very strong, he is just resting. They firmly asserted, He only needs to rest for a while and he will recover. She blankly, a suspicion rose in her heart. Always like this. If they say that, then this is not the first time. Then she raised her head, seriously questioning, Hey, does this happen to the boss often? Does this always happen whenever a mage uses a lot of magic power? They took turns arguing he does not always summon us. We can't know everything, but the master is different from other mages. He is a great and special person. They continued with a nonchalant look. That is why he was able to resist the attacks of those traitors. That is right. Soon the master will get up and go punish those traitors. She secretly complained. Those traitors. Immediately afterwards, Giselle seriously questioned. Ren, Van, what happened to the boss? They all avoided her eyes. I do not know anything. Seeing this, she wore a weak appearance. Please tell me. They looked embarrassed and hesitant. Sorry, we can't tell you. Giselle, I know you are not capable of betraying the master, but... Someone's voice suddenly echoed. They were also helpless, like you. Giselle suddenly felt sorry. What, in the end? What has Renil experienced in the past? What kind of wounds is he carrying? But I am sure all these thoughts, she desperately thought, won't change anything either. In that instant, Renil was also immersed in pain. I do not know. He gradually opened his eyes, his heart empty. My pain. A question flashed in his subconscious. Is it really worth it? After a long time, Renil woke up with a start. He blankly looked up. This is... Thinking back, when I came to the garden yesterday, he was shocked to remember his own weak appearance. Only to see Renil ruffled his hair, he thought, where's Giselle? Suddenly, feeling a coldness, he lowered his head to look down, a wet towel. Thinking this, Renil turned his eyes to look ahead. No, more than that. Seeing the pile of items, he could not help but feel a little confused. What are these things? Then Renil suspiciously stared at the umbrella. What is? At that moment, Giselle walked over. Oh my god. She quickly asked, Boss, you are awake. Do you feel better? He blankly raised his head. Giselle. At this moment, Giselle stepped closer. She said gently, First of all, I brought soup for you. You can try it. Then, suddenly, Giselle tripped. Her body swayed. Seeing this, Renil quickly opened the umbrella towards her. The bowl of soup in Giselle's hand also flew straight up. Seeing herself floating, she breathed a sigh of relief. Phew, I thought I was going to fall. After a long time, Giselle finally managed to exclaim, No, do not use magic power anymore, boss. He resentfully questioned, So I should just let you fall. She looked awkward. Thank you, but... The boss is still a sick person who has not rested for half a day, sir. Renil's eyes widened as he looked at every corner. But, what are all these things? Giselle smiled radiantly. Of course, this is my special idea for you, boss, who had to sleep outdoors all night. She excitedly boasted. The umbrella is for when it suddenly rains or for early morning dew, and I prepared snacks and water in case you wake up hungry, sir. The mat is for you to lie down more comfortably. Boss? The fairy butterflies took turns praising. She is truly an excellent subordinate, master. Giselle is the #1 subordinate. Hearing this, Renil wore a helpless expression. He said in a deep voice, What? Didn't they explain this to you? If you just left me there, I could have recovered on my own. She quickly replied, I know. Renil frowned after hearing this. Then why? Giselle quickly interjected. But boss. She took a deep breath, her voice trembling but determined. It is not normal to use magic power and then faint like that. After speaking, Giselle looked at him with pity, right? Renil sighed helplessly. To tell the truth, it is not a big deal to me. She suddenly took a step forward, her voice resounding loudly. But you were clearly injured, were not you? It does not matter if you have recovered. But you were injured at that moment. It hurt so much that you lost consciousness. If so, then worrying about that person is obvious. He blinked, tilting his head slightly. Why is she getting angry? Giselle is more thoughtful than I thought. Or does she want me to repay her for this care? She suddenly lowered her voice. This boss. Giselle was silent for a moment, then said slowly, Boss, you once said that you trust me, and that is why I was able to set foot here, because of that trust. Saying this, she was a little hesitant, but is it? Giselle sat down. She looked directly into Renil's eyes. You do not expect much from me, right, boss? The corners of her eyes trembled slightly. Her eyes were somewhat sad. Seeing this, Renil carefully opened his mouth. That is because... He coldly spoke. That trust is my emotion, and you do not necessarily have to reciprocate. Not stopping there, Renil continued, adding, It is normal not to have any expectations, right? Giselle was full of dissatisfaction. What kind of nonsense is that?